Teammate vibes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see how that one goes, whether or not any of the teams have picked that one up. Of course, that all aside, it's time for match number 1 of the losers bracket. And it has never been more important than this. We have not seen
Let's
so far
go.
over the course of this
Let's
competition an elimination
go.
match
Let's go
just
play.
yet. But these 6 rounds
Let's
are
go
going to be the ones that
watching
decide
some
which 10
fucking
teams
match.
go home first and
Ay,
most
ay.
disappointed.
Here we go. We can see them dropping
Here we go
in.
again.
Getting into game.
Coba kita
12
lihat
edge,
ya.
as you can see, nice little tree popping up over the side there.
Oh, mulai deh.
And well, I guess we'll get to see whether these teams have really sorted this all out, you know, and think about how many contests we're
jadi
going
nggak
to
ada
get
comment
between
center
them. FC Destroy certainly a team that we're expecting to take, you know, if not contesting someone at their drop location, someone else.
Yeah, almost definitely. I mean, yesterday, and it looks like
stick.
that's going to continue into day number 2 as well. Odik on the other side of this engagement with that Arcstar you mentioned already, finding themselves a way to get a knock. Jay Savage, I'm sure he's done. There's no way he'll be getting picked up right now.
Oh, ini ada.
And Amaz just
Kenapa ini
trying to
nggak ada?
escape with their own lives. Massive has to come out. Good shots in. One worse, he might have just gone a little bit too over eager on his own, isolated the fight against 2, and now all of a sudden it's
Shit,
back into
wrong.
the 2-on-2. Maybe winnable.
Mari kita nonton.
Right, Thompson
Nice.
down to
Mari
just
kita nonton
SHRP,
Revenant dulu.
and
Ada Tarzan nih, Zim. Wah,
Wah,
Abi itu.
wah.
Gua bawa semua ya sana ya.
Ini rumahnya belum lulut kan, Bang?
Belum. Lu bisa loot tuh. Loot situ ya. Tengahnya nanti gue yang loot.
Biasanya Revenant nih di World Edge lumayan bagus
Sana.
performanya.
Semuanya di situ.
Ikuzo, let's go.
Gua ini hapok emas dong.
Iya, ambil ini.
Wah,
Makanya. nih.
crafting kah?
Piken nih, Max. Sama bot 2 tuh di luar ya.
Tunggu.
Hati-hati ya dari ini. Dari sini loncat. Cuman hati-hati dari loncat ya pokoknya ya.
Oke.
Max lo habis kelar liatin loncat terus saya ada Max, jangan ke tengah Max.
Oke. Crafting lah, Bang.
Let's go, let's
Enggak lo ya
go.
crafting dulu, gua belum ngambil semuanya. Craftingan.
Sama.
Gua ngambil craftingan dulu.
Paling gua crafting
POV-nya POV
Tadi di
balkon
dalam
deh.
enggak ada energi ammo Max.
40 doang.
Di mana?
Liatin nih. Cari di tengah-tengah sini. Awas dari thermal aja sih.
Normal harusnya nggak rotate ke sini dia.
20 sel gua, 3 baterai.
80.
81.
Gue bikin ini nih, bikin apa namanya? Sniper ammo.
Ada orang di sini nih. Backpack, Bang.
Oke.
Wah, lapas iponnya latin. Lihat, Bel.
Berapa?
Ada orang di situ tuh. Saya di situ dia.
Dia mau itu bikin ini dia, ngeloot juga apa namanya?
Oh, crafting.
Crafting. Udah nih gua ini ahim ya. Crafting gua ya.
Ya, body jangan lupa, Bel. Crafting body maksudnya.
Ping,
Gua liatin arah
ping,
rumah.
ping. Mereka land di the
Nol ya,
tree.
Fit, ya. Nggak bisa crafting baterai gua ya.
Gak bisa sih. Gua ngambil satu lagi nih. Satu crafting
Untuk
lagi.
balkon weapon setnya Havoc
Udah,
plus charge lifer.
Udah
Oke.
dah.
Main poking.
Kalau udah gue juga mau buat flatland.
Ya.
Ada set heavy ya. Di sini. Gua lepas ya. Setnya kayak udah kosong.
Gua lepas, lu lepas aja gak apa-apa gua liatin.
Liatin launch
Gua yang liatin. Gua yang
thermal.
liatin. Thermal nggak ada yang liatin.
Thermal udah rotate harusnya.
Wah, enak banget nih pecah travel.
Gua buat knockdown itu penting banget tuh soalnya. Kalau kena lo juga time-nya kalau misalnya 30 nggak kepake buat knockdownnya. Liatin thermalnya, gua crafting. Dengarkan gua ngomong tadi.
Apa?
Ngalahin.
Sudah mulai mengantuk, boy.
Knockdown. Ada orang.
Tim.
Nice. Gila.
Ke belakangan
Gua
dikit
kiri.
ya. Ke belakangan dikit.
Dia ngapus.
Gua balik ke rumah, hati-hati.
Wait the fuck. Gua kena ini.
Oh my.
What?
Damn, di push G2 mereka.
Gua selling
The
ntar.
fuck is this
It's
guy?
G2 bro. Hari
Lu
Max.
camping sih, Bal. Bal, camping
Iya.
dulu.
Lari
Iya,
ya, Bar,
lari
lari
gua
ya,
nih.
Bar. Ya. Gua di gua.
It's G2 bro.
Just camping.
What the fuck?
No.
Oh, ini POV-nya
They
gitu.
did. It's unfortunately they are going to go down. It looks like to G2 here. That said, we've got some other people in the
Nice,
vicinity
TP
trying
deh.
to hunt. Belkin does manage
Yeah.
to get away,
Sama CR
but
di
Zen
awasi pon tadi
now
udah.
pushing up,
Coba
wondering
tandain aja box.
after hearing the shots
Yeah,
if they
200 meter
can get
soalnya.
back in off the back of this. I don't know if I'd recommend the fight though.
Yeah, look, I mean, G2, we definitely expected
Oh,
more
bisa
from them
ring,
yesterday, and they
Woo.
also picked up
Penyalahan
on the
doang
talent
tadi.
predictions. They got my prediction for this lobby as well. I think they're really going to pop off today. I think this is definitely a
Dari
lobby
belakang,
that they're going to look to dominate and really get some momentum going into tomorrow. And the way they've started off as
Oh,
well
kalau
is a good
drone bisa
indication
dengar
of that.
berapa
Trying to
hit
take that
zonanya ya?
aggressive fight against Revenant. They're also not shying away from
Nice,
Zen
Belkun.
either. Even though Zen was the team to get the drop on them, it looks like G2 have actually got the benefit in this, this fight. They have the high ground. They won't quite be able to cancel the Valk ultimate. Can they land the shot? That's the real question. Just not quite in the end, and Zen will get out
Nice.
to safety.
Nope, so spinning
Good
around
shit,
does
good
enough
Nice,
to hide
Belkun.
Range bro.
from the aim of
really?
G2. Belkun
Gue res kalian aja langsung ya. Ah nggak
Iya,
bisa,
kayak.
mesti dilatin deh.
Gak apa-apa sih. Kita bisa ngelit lagi nih, Bal.
Dua
Range
syringe.
tuh bentar.
Tunggu bentar aja kalau mau res. Atau ada? Enggak ada.
Lagi nyari syringe nih gua.
Ya
Ke
pakai
belakang.
dua sering dulu.
Pakai
Ya.
aja, pakai aja.
Maka revive kita dulu biar kita bantu
Iya,
nyari.
ada.
gua lagi sekalian nyari. Ya.
Gak takut. nih.
Enggak, gua nungguin bentar dulu siapa tahu
paham,
dia
paham.
datang
Iya,
maksud
iya,
gua
iya,
gitu.
iya, paham,
Ya,
paham.
delay dulu bentar gitu.
Biar
Hmm.
dia keluar enggak dekat-dekat sini gitu kan.
Iya. Kalau ngelut mah bisa nggak ini lagi, crafting lagi kalau mah abis mati. Like what the fuck? G2 playing so late, man.
No, he just wanna hinting us.
Bro,
Ada
using
kok
the drone, bro.
Mau nge-push, dia udah push lagi.
Nice.
Gue udah bubble loh padahal tadi.
Nggak ada syringe lagi di semua ini.
Paling gua ke tengah kayaknya.
Mau kita harus kalau kita lagi dong.
Mending
Mau gua coba gak lihat ada berapa squad situ?
Nice, nice. At least.
Santai, bisa zone 1.
Nol 200 meter. Tapi
Wow.
di sana
Oh,
di
ya.
box lo nggak 200 meter loh.
Berguna banget nih.
Ada orang
Bentar,
masih ada dia.
Balik deh. Kayaknya sih kita, Sipon. Doom
Tadi-
gimana? Doom.
Doom?
Iya,
Doom
Ya,
buat?
kita nggak nyampe Bel masalahnya.
iya kah?
Iya, kan
Syringe
dua
sisa
syringe
satu
doang.
kan?
Iya.
Gua ada
Bagus.
dapat nih, gua masih ada medkit gua.
Oke.
Lo dapat gak kira-kira kalau kesana?
Enggak, satu syringe.
Terus kemana?
Lewat lapas sipon gitu mungkin kalau ketemu syringe lagi.
Oke.
Cari syringe.
Holy shit, G2 bro.
Santai.
Gua nggak terlalu panik kok.
Yuk, bisa yuk.
Sini belum di-loot kayaknya.
Nanti ntar cek aja kalau misalkan 0 baru berani crafting.
Gua coba sini boleh. There's
Langsung
no
crafting
way.
aja Max.
Pep, gua mau
Ada
mau
drone,
cek.
ada drone.
Hah?
Ada drone itu di depan.
Kok gua nggak denger ya?
Ini harus crafting loh kayaknya.
Gua ada syringe lagi demo kok. Nyata. Gua bisa lebih nano.
Mati nggak ya gua?
Ya, ada yang harus satu crafting ini. Satu aja
Gua
korbanin.
crafting.
Gua mati kayaknya. Ada yang fakulti juga ya.
Bakal kesini kayak dia.
Lu revive gua. Oh no. Gak bisa
Taruh.
ngapa-ngapain anjing.
Enggak, dia lari. Deran.
Udah gua res.
Medkit, bikin medkit. Gua ya res.
Oke.
Medkit, bikin medkit.
Oke.
Langsung ngambil ya, Aim ya.
Nice, gila. Mereka nggak panik dong.
Gua lari. Abis medkit, lari ya Max ya.
Gue bisa banyak buat crafting medkit.
Enggak, langsung lari ya kalau bisa 20 detik kan ya.
Oke.
Gua udah nggak ada udah nggak ada crafting lagi.
Gua ambil, sabar. Biar cepet.
Ulti gue 20% Bel.
Langsung naik ini mau gak?
Kita mau lewat kiri apa kanan?
Lewat kanannya sih. Lewat kiri sih gua nggak ini lagi sih.
Stackingnya kita stay stacking lagi kita.
Ish.
Ini sih. Iya, jump tower lagi gua.
Oke.
Ayo cepetan loh. Ring 2 lo main sakit. Gua nggak ada apa-apaan. What the?
Gua ada
Yuk,
ulti.
yuk,
Ya,
yuk, bisa yuk.
Mati nggak sih lo kalian pada?
enggak. Enggak apa.
Di landslide masih bisa, stacking masih bisa.
Nggak ada ininya gua craftingannya.
Kan di stacking ada.
Nemu
Gua
syringe.
medkit dulu deh, baru ke stacking.
Bergeletak gitu.
Gue stacking ya Bel.
Iya.
Bentar dong, sekalian ngeliat sedikit senjata.
Jauh
Oke,
banget.
depan. Udah ada berapa medkit ya?
3.
Nah, nyentuh.
Gue bisa kebal kan?
Boleh. Lu gak mau crafting?
Enggak sih. Gua di
Gua gak apa-apa
landslide.
crafting kan Bel?
Ya nggak apa-apa. Jangan terlalu lama.
Crafting gaming.
Gua crafting boleh.
Eh.
Dua medkit. Mati gak tadi gitu? Belum.
Belum.
Kabur tuh yang di losip.
Gua
Hati-hati
crafting.
ya. Tuh. Ada orang di sana. Untungnya
Bel,
tower
menurut
aman,
lo,
lewat sini
menurut lo
aman.
gua harus ulti ke lu apa gua jalan kaki ke lu nya?
Jalan kaki nanti ultinya kita pakai sih. Ultinya harus kita pakai nanti. Ada orang yang main di sini.
Jauh lebih chill sih kalau
Dia ke depan
Revenant
lagi
mainnya.
kah?
Gua ke lu.
Kita harus ke sini nggak sih? Terus Falcon
Ah,
1
no.
menit lagi. Di sini ada orang nih, di sini ada orang.
Makan zona kiri lagi mau nggak?
Sini aja sih, sini. Jangan ke kiri lagi, udah nggak ada zona-zona lewat zona lagi.
Oke.
Gue udah nggak ada heal.
Oke.
0 heal gua.
Gua-
Halo emang ada medkit.
4 medkit, 0 syringe.
Syringe ada 2 nih di sini. Ambil, udah free di sini.
Masuk kanan kita berarti.
Info tuh memang penting, cuy.
Oh ini ada
Boleh.
orang di
Apapun.
sini nih. Kita bisa ke sana tuh.
Sekarang.
Tunggu max medkit dulu. Bagi medkit dong kalau ada yang ekstra atau battery gitu. Nggak ada ya?
2-0 gua. Kalau nggak salah
Oke.
sel.
Nih gua kesini kan. Nanti gua scan ring, gua scan pakai zona ya. Gua scan pakai drone maksud gua. Nyari
Buat
yang free.
Kosong dulu ya.
Terus kita fakult.
Oke.
30 detik cukup sih.
Harusnya cukup. Ada orang depan, ke kiri sini.
Oke, 20 detik ya, Bel.
Ya, tadi free di sini ya.
Oke.
20 detik berarti kita harus Valkyrie ult ke rumah-rumah bawah nggak sih?
Ish.
Di sini ada orang nih tadi.
Ultinya dari mana bagusnya? Dari sini emang bisa ngelewatin Skyhook.
Enggak sih. Mau ke sana nggak kita? Tanda gua tuh.
Boleh, oke.
Ayo dari belakang sini Max. Sini
Boleh, boleh.
putih. Di depan ini ada orang nih. Di tanda gua sekarang ada orang. Pojok ini bisa kagak? Main di pojok kita.
Lihat. Kalau nggak ada orang bisa sih.
Oh, ada orang tuh.
Lepas.
Lepas aja. Nggak ada.
Bisa
Ada.
sih kayaknya.
Boleh.
Bisa. Berapa?
Gua ambil batu
Nice. Dapat zone mereka.
Kita putih lo, him. Max putih.
Gua 2-0 ya, nggak terlalu banyak ngepick.
Dia
Bella?
pasti ada orang tuh. Iya ada, dia mau trivin kita nih, hati-hati ya.
Nggak, dia tahu si lain putih. Ada kesalahan nggak?
Nggak ada.
Enak sih kita spot kita nih.
Iya, tapi kalau di push sama mereka main gak enak juga.
Turun nih mereka, Bel.
Turun kah?
Gua ambil angle sini dah.
Mereka kemana?
Depan gua. Nih.
Oke.
Lo, knock.
Nice,
Nice.
Nice. Nice.
Dum.
Maju. Wait.
Goti.
No, gua mati, Cok.
Crack.
Lo.
Nice. Nice.
Lo banget.
One more. One. Nice.
Let's go.
Bentar, gue back. Gue
Shit
angel.
on, man.
Get
Yeah.
the fuck out of my game, dude.
Get shit on, bro.
Bro, I like the
Sini, kiri.
I like the energy.
Lihat him.
Watching them, you know, we heard that they identified it was that team, and they just, instead of
Go
moving
back.
further into Skyhook and trying to
Nice.
find a position, they really wanted to make sure they got those extra
Sheesh.
kills on the edge. That's their
I
style.
love that storyline with his gold backpack, you know. It's popping up all over the place, right? G2 picked it up, they died. Now it's really going to help Revenant out on.
Nggak ada.
Banyak
Ada.
banget looting dia.
Botila ada.
Dapat, ada.
Oke.
Nice, Revenant, nice.
Kalau betul-betul bilang
Gue
gua
nyari
banyak.
spot, dengerin gue ya. Gue nyari spot ke lantai 1 atau lantai 2, lantai 3. Kalau ada spot langsung kita gas, oke?
Oke. Gua ada banyak net juga.
Gua pakai jasa rifle kayak Ebal.
Gak, jangan.
jangan.
Cari ganti.
Enggak,
Jangan.
shotgunnya enggak ada.
Gua kasih shotgun. Sini. Tuh, gua ambil car. Langsung ini aja, langsung gas ya. Ayo.
Udah tahu di mana?
Udah di lantai bawah. Ayo.
Ping
Go.
bell.
Lantai bawah ini, lantai 1 kosong.
Rumah ini.
Ini ya, masuk dalam sini,
Oke,
tanda gua.
Oke.
Misa aja enggak apa-apa. Tapi rumah ini ya, tanda ini dalam gua.
Iya. Gua dari
Lewat
sisi
situ.
bel apa kan?
Enggak,
Gua
lewat
sisi-
sini,
Oke,
enggak boleh
oke.
lewat situ.
Oke.
Nice.
Chill, ada bom,
Nice.
Gold
I think we
infinity.
can play this.
Ya, go. Now.
I like the
Chill,
Revenant.
chill.
Tutup senjata lu, Im. Gua mau lu pakai master gua nih. Bolt 3 tuh.
Yes.
Pakai merah gua, Im.
Gua master juga.
Ya,
Gua
ambil.
master juga.
Bolt gua mana?
Enggak
Gua
tahu.
pakai.
Oh, enggak apa.
Him, ambil ya.
Shotgun ammo.
Nih.
Ambil ya, Him.
Tuh.
Dah,
Him,
liatin
ambil
ini.
ya. Lihat nih, ambil tuh.
Gua liat tangganya ya, guys.
Dorin gua.
Ya.
Kita nge-dev aja ya.
Yap.
Kalian bisa jagain gua gak? Gua pengen ngedrone.
Iya,
Gila,
gua liat
gila.
tangga nih.
Oke.
Lihat tangga kanan gua aja, Him.
Ini kan.
Enggak kanan gua yang di bawah.
Enggak, Lahim nge-pick kita ya. Lahim nge-pick tangga pakai mastif. Lahim
Oke.
nge-pick tangga pakai mastif.
Biar gua liat ini.
Bisa tembakin dari pintu anjing.
Lantai 2-nya free nih. Bisa ke lantai 2 ini gak kita? Caranya gimana ya? Gua ulti, kita lewat kiri terus ngedum bisa nggak? Lewat kiri sini
Lihat
ngedum.
kiri.
Tahu ada pintu depan sini gak, Im? Itu ada
Bisa
nggak?
sih.
Yang
Gua ulti dulu yang atas
panjatan
kalau-
itu di mana
Iya.
ya? Yang manjat itu di mana?
Manjat di kiri nih, ada di
Gak usah ulti
kiri-kiri.
apa ulti?
Lewat pintu
Lu-
depan.
lu-
Ulti,
lu-
ulti di sini.
Gua ulti.
Ya,
Gua
ulti
juga
atapnya.
ulti. Ulti sini sekarang. Ulti.
Oke. Oke.
Gua ulti
Yuk.
kiri, lewat kiri, Im.
Kiri,
Sini,
kiri,
Iya,
kiri,
tahu,
sini.
tahu. Gua kena ulti gua.
Terus kiri, nanti ngedum di ini ya. Terus naik ke lantai 2, lantai
Iya,
2.
betul.
Kalau nggak perlu dum nggak apa-apa.
Nggak perlu.
Nice.
Nice.
Good job, good job. Back.
Let's go.
Cila sini.
Iya.
Gua
Max lihat ujung.
jaga pintu gua.
Enggak, Lahim harus jaga tangga. Lu ada ini soalnya. Ngeker terus Him ya.
Iya,
Biar lu
ada
nggak
ini
kena
soalnya.
stack star, harus ngeker terus.
Nice.
Max liatin itu pintu.
Oke.
Yo, let's go yo Revenant bisa yuk.
Gua di pintunya ya, Bel.
Iya.
Pintu gua hancur.
Oke, sial.
Gua coba netin ini deh yang di satu dapat
Ah.
kill gua.
Nyantai ya, Max. Gua
Iya.
over.
Gua
Coba
nembak-nembakin
cari kill
marker.
lah. Iya. Coba cari kill. Dia udah gerak soalnya.
Crack.
Kita gua di push.
Iya, oke, gue battery. Liatin Him.
Gua baterai.
Gua itu tuh, gua net.
Iya. Terus,
Gila, ulti crypto di mana-mana
kemana-mana
cuy.
ya.
Di pintu itu terlalu ini.
Nggak ada dia, ke bawah dia. Chill. Liatin tangga lagi, Max, liatin
Yes,
ke sana
yes.
lagi.
Oke.
Tarik kill kalau bisa.
Dan perang ya. Stop. Dan
Uh.
perang anjir.
Iya kah? Bisa tarik kill kah?
Atas perang.
Oke.
Knock nggak? Knock berapa?
Enggak, balik.
Balik.
Oke. Oh, gua ada ini. Gua lantai 2. Oh, gua nggak bisa. Gua lantai 1.
Gue battery. Hati-hati, mas tadi tak
Goal
ada.
backpack, goal backpack.
Gua aksar.
Naik aja, naik aja.
Aksar gua.
Naik lantai 3 ya.
Celaim.
Tidur.
Celaim, kita bisa menang nih. Kita tinggal jaga lantai 2 ini, menang
Ya.
kita. Lu bisa liatin ini lagi nggak dari sini? Ya, dari depan lu sekarang, dari depan lu enggak dari belakang, tempat link tadi. Nah, liatin situ, tangga situ. Gue juga nge-pick sama lu. Kita bisa main di pintu yang di kanan tanda gue ini, Im. Pintu kanan lu tuh. Tahu kan lu? Ini yang gue tandain sekarang. Kita lewat pintu itu nanti ya. Nanti keluarnya lewat pintu itu. Ngerti kan
Kayaknya
maksud gua?
aman dah. Ya nggak sih kalau pakai bubble?
Nanti. Ada bubble lu, Him.
Ada sih.
Ayo, bubble, gas. Ayo. Ares.
Maju dia anjing.
Gak, balik lagi ke lantai 2.
Aja play 2.
Gue medkit.
Mereka bakal nge-spin kita nggak sih?
Medkit. Liatin itu. Liatin situ ya terus, Him. Gue nggak ada net lagi. Ulti gua 3% lagi. Liatin aja pakai lantai.
Gua ada
2
mobil
nya.
respawn si Bel. Gua ada mobil respawn si Bel.
Ya udah buka. Gua bel.
Lah kalau si Bell mau ngedrone agak risky gitu, Him.
Oke, liatin aja
Harus-
terus, Him
iya.
ya. Lu liatin semua hal ya.
Gila, nice.
Nice.
Gila,
Back.
nice.
If you need bubble, tell me.
Gua bisa masuk kah?
Kiri sekarang, kiri. Main sini. Lihat drone gua nih. Kita cari kill yang dari sini. Cari kill yang
Yuk.
dari sini.
Ya siap.
Siap.
Fokus ya.
Gua
Ya,
masuk
awas dari
guys,
kiri
gua
lo
masuk
ya,
guys.
awas dari kiri lo ya. Oh,
Dari 91 senjata dong.
nih.
Depan gua dapat gua satu.
Nice, tuh.
Nice, dapat satu.
Lihatin deh.
Oh, iya, liatin nih.
Four
Mereka
squad
duluan
left.
itu, bukan kita. Mereka duluan.
Ayo, Revenant yuk.
Awas yang di sini ya dia.
Max, lu liatin ini ada.
Iya.
Max, lu yang liatin Max.
Yap.
Jangan ngedum ya, Im ya. Gua bilang ngedum. Ngedum di sini nih, nanti nih ya. Kalau gua bilang dum,
Iya.
ditandain yang gua tandain banget.
Yang atas kita
Kalau
dulu
gua bilang
ya.
Iya, dimin aja dulu. Dum yang ini ya, tim ya. Di situ
Iya.
ya.
Awas,
Gua dum.
Yuk. Go.
Gua terbang. Ayo.
Hai.
Terbang.
Mati gua di atas.
Dia ngedum juga anjing, Cok. What? Dia ngedum duluan di bawah.
Iya.
Ya, dia bisa.
Dia nge-critical duluan.
Iya, tapi bubble gua gak hilang. Cuman
Bubble hilang.
dia bubble gua gak hilang, cuman dia
Oh.
dapet yang lu tandain tadi. Dia
Heeh.
ngedum di
Nice
situ
sih.
anjing.
Anjir ya.
Paksa gua
They playing
nggak
nice.
bisa itu.
So
Iya.
calm.
Buat ituin.
Nah, udah bagus kok kita. Max juga nggak boleh gitu ya, Max ya. Udah kita udah bilang berapa kali lo. Lu kalau
Apa?
misalnya nggak disuruh ngeflank, nggak boleh ngeflank gitu.
Gua mati kan ngikut Lahem.
Enggak, Lahim lewat tangga, lu lewat
Zipline.
zipline.
Iya, gua cepet karena Lahem udah di atas, jadi biar
Ya,
gua cepet.
Enggak, kan itu namanya
Mending-
nge-split.
mending
Kita
lewat
harus
tangga
lewat
aja.
tangga rame-rame lah.
Jadi kayak mundur bareng.
Gua kan di lantai 2. Mau batu Lahem harus lewat tangga lama. Gua mau
Oke, sedikit ada perdebatan di situ. Cuman memang ya maksudnya si Belkun sih ya sih. Kalau emang mau maju bareng semuanya lewat tangga. Jangan lewat jangan misah-misah. But that's itu lebih ke kritikan yang membangun sih, bukan blaming atau apapun. Understandable lah. Dapat mengerti.
To win it out in the end. A very close thing though. That really comes down to the wire, those kinds of bubble fights.
Yeah, and with that kind
Oke,
of
bakal
circle as well,
direkam
it is
ya?
a very classic sort of Skyhook one, and 26 points GMT pick up there
look.
in the end because they get to play
Revenant,
from
nice.
the high-rise building. When it ends there in the middle, as you said, they just get the last chance to drop off, and they have high ground for so long to pressure those other teams below them. And the ones in market, they can survive for a little while, but certainly it's hard for them to survive all the way to the end.
Yeah, Game With was one of the teams in the market. They pick up 15 points out of that game. Definitely not a shabby one for them. Crazy Raccoon, same discussion around those lads. But have a look at the teams on this side of the scoreboard. Those are the ones that are going to be a little bit worried with how things have played out. 2 points, 1 point. Hey, 4 points there for Ascend. I guess that's not too bad, but for anyone else, it's a really rough-looking start to the lobby. G2 in particular, they
Nice
looked
play,
so
nice play,
good, didn't they,
Revenant.
Gino? They got
Rapi,
the
rapi.
2 knocks
Cukup
initially
rapi lah.
onto those Revenant
Ada
players,
minor
and then
mistake, but
Revenant came
it's
back
okay.
and sent their regards. They got the 2 reses. They came back to fight G2. They took them down, and Revenant, I think, walked away with a top 5 placing. But of course, the major storyline,
Whoa.
GMT Esports, massive game from them.
8 kills from Naski. The IGL absolutely putting up the numbers there. A couple assists coming through from Mady to help him out, and then Surdell as well. Obviously, that black market integral to how they played the position for the longest time. I think one of the other important parts of that game was when they took the roof, because you know they were playing a little bit lower down earlier than that. And sure, that's a kind of a safer position. Sometimes you saw all the ordnance that can come in if you're trying to hold that roof position. But eventually it netted them a couple of kills, and it meant that when we got to that end game, they were able to look down on everyone and have the safe exit and the vantage point to net them the rest of those 26 points.
Indeed. Well, 26 points, that's not a bad start to the day, but that's all that it is. Just a start. We've got 1 game done, 5 more to go with the lobby, and of course, plenty more action. It's time for us to take a short break. Don't go too far away because game 2 is coming up next.
Gila.
Herman Miller, the official chair partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
holding the door.
Banning.
Good.
He's banning.
Keep.
Still
I'm holding the
banning.
door. I'm holding the door.
Underneath us.
I'm still holding the door.
Nading
They
underneath.
bubbled. They got EMP'd.
I'm
dropped.
batting. My team on as well.
I'm flying. I'm flying. My fly is out.
Gibby cracked.
Crack one. Lay my shield if you can. All you, boy. Let's go. I'm jumping.
Let's go, dude. Oh my. Yo.
Well, lots to celebrate about there for GMT as they pick up the first game of this lobby. But Genome, as I said before we went into the break, it is just a start. One game does not a winner make, and it certainly does not make them the top of this lobby. It might go a long way in getting them into the top 10, though, which is, of course, what you need to be doing. That said, we've still got 5 games to go, so you can't be resting on your laurels right here, and you definitely have to be looking towards these next couple of games on World's Edge to continue the good form that GMT have started off with.
Yeah, you have to worry about being in that bottom 10 Elfish. We've said it time and time again, because that is what's at stake here in our losers bracket round 1. So 26 points, as you said. Honestly, like, what is the cutoff usually for a 6-game series?
Well, we can look at the last series,
and
actually.
being in the bottom 10, right? I feel like it's usually maybe about 30 points. So that's GMT have got, 90% of the way there with that one big game. I mean, 14 kills on top of the placement points is a hell of a start for them. And man, we watched that the replay of the finish there. It wasn't even 50 shields. I think it was like 25 that he picked up off the ground.
It was half a white armor that he picked up. So he had like one shield left on the red armor, and then he picked that basically that exact same thing up off the white armor.
He basically found an eggshell in there and like stuck it on his head, and he was using that for protection. That's about it.
Goes a long way, apparently, because it helped him pick up the win. Either way, end of the day, as you say, 32 points actually was the cutoff for the winners bracket between 10 and 11. So maybe that's the number we can think about. Maybe that's what we can look towards right now. It feels like GMT have gotten pretty close to that in just the one game. With that all said, though, a lot can change. You know, sometimes a lobby can be really top-heavy. Sometimes a lobby can really be quite tight, which is kind of what it felt like with that winners bracket lobby. There was a lot of teams getting a lot of points in towards the middle of the pack as well. So I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see what we're going to get. There's a team on your screen that's going to want to turn things around after game number 1, G2. They started strong, and then they paid for it a little bit. They, I suppose they tickled the Tigers' feet, and then the Tiger wasn't too happy about it. Revenant turned around and just took their head off.
Yeah, I'm doing my best to, kind of like psychoanalyze their faces there as we get the vision of them on the screen. And, you're wondering if that doubt is starting to creep into their minds. I mean, some people had them, maybe not as a favorite to win, but certainly a favorite to do quite well in this tournament. And now all of a sudden they go down the first game with 2 points. I mean, as we said, maybe you only need 30 points to get through into that top 10 and make it into the next round, but certainly G2 want to be doing better than that, and maybe they're going to have to pick their fights a little more carefully, because we talked about it earlier. You're going up against an APAC South team, it doesn't matter who they are cracked.
They are cracked, all players are cracked, that's what APAC does stand for. Especially the ones from the southern region, in my personal opinion. Either way, of course, we do have to jump into our next game as soon as possible. The teams that we're really looking for to turn things around, though, are those teams towards the bottom end. I'm talking Invictus Gaming and below. That means you've got 1 point or 0 points out of the first game, and that is just not going to be acceptable over multiple games. I'll give you one bad game. That's fair enough. But if you want to stay in this competition, you can't be affording to have multiple 0 or 1 or 2 point games in a lobby like this, because if that's going to be the case, you're going to be done. So into game 2 we go. GMT, of course, keeping their heads high after a massive win to start things off. But there are so many teams that do not have that luxury.
Yeah, GMT might be the only one, honestly, that kind of has that luxury with a 26-point start. We will, of course, try and work out if any of these teams are going to continue to try and contest each other, if we're going to see, the fights down south like we did last time. Lots of third partying often happens there at the start of a game. If the teams are feeling a little bit frisky. Revenant, of course, they're still landing at the tree. GMT Esports, yes, so they are landing at Landslide, just like we had predicted. I don't believe that's where they land, you know, in their native region. But as we said, you know, it's a reasonable way to play when you do have the NOBAR starting on World's Edge. As you can see, we're going to get another sort of northwestern ring, though this time it looks like it's probably going to pull over to Lava Fissure. It'd have to be a pretty big shift, I'd say, to get to Countdown. Maybe still a chance there, but teams like Space Station Gaming and Ascend, going to be pretty happy with that. The super fast rotation from GMT is going to be even faster with their proximity to this ring.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to say it's still a fairly similar kind of a shift to the Skyhawk circle we saw in the last game. So for those teams that start on the northeastern side of the map, not too bad. The southwestern side of the map, not too bad. But if you're starting on the southeast, if you're Phoenix team, or if you're Kick or Fennel, or maybe even Revenant, this is a long way to go. So you're not getting too much circle luck, unfortunately. That's just sometimes the way that it does play out. Of course, you know, this isn't going to be the only map that they'll play. So maybe we move on to Storm Point, and those teams will start to get a bit of a helping hand from the zone shifts. Either way, though, of course, with a game like this, there is so much mobility to be able to make your way into the zones that maybe it's not.
Gua kayak gitu, gua nggak marah, gua nggak marah. Enggak, Max, enggak. Kita kesini dulu. Abis itu baru ngecek ya, Max ya. Baru ngecek.
Dropin gua 1 baterai sama 2 sel gua drop nih.
Oke. Ya, gas dulu.
Terbang dari mana kita?
Ke sana, pokoknya sana. Terbang dari sini.
Sini pun bisa harusnya.
Agak depanan lagi. Belakang itu sih, di belakang itu kalau emang bisa.
Ini kan?
Ya, di belakang itu.
Masih di belakang tuh dia.
Masih
Maju
jauh
lagi
tuh.
deh, gua takut kena cancel. Depan ini deh.
Bisa dia. Dua. Nih. Gibi.
Valkyria.
Lo, Gibi lo.
Crack. Ya, gua aksarin. Gua aksar Gibi. Crack. Nice. 25 biru.
Gua kena stun Horizon-nya.
Nice, 25 biru itu dia.
Horizon crack. Horizon
Go.
45 flash.
Nice. Gua pecahin
Ya.
Max.
Di atas ada.
Ada di
Tenang
atas.
aja. Di atas gue yang ngurus.
Dia
Bantai.
foto.
Satu di pintu gua.
Valkyrie hampir crack di
Gua
atas.
di ulti, gua aman.
Bantai Horizon ya.
Knock.
Nice. Good job.
Nice. RNT kill G2 lagi.
Di atas tuh ya,
Nice.
hati-hati,
Chill ya,
Max.
Nice.
Chill ya.
Gua malu ya.
And once again, it really does look like G2 will be falling at the hands of Revenant.
Well, the bubble provides a little bit of safety here for Revenant. They obviously got the drop on G2. Gentrifying had to use, it looked like maybe this guy would dive actually to get out of there. And EMP, that's on the bottom. Is that from another team? Because
Yes, it would have
gosh, G2 are really getting a get out of jail free card right now, it seems like.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess Gentrifying is, but the rest of G2, maybe not so much. The real unfortunate situation here for Revenant Esports is that they've lost Lahim, and that's going to make getting the res a little more difficult. Obviously, the Gibraltar, he's a bit of an ambulance. Sometimes pop that bump down, get the res, but in the end, it looks like Mexus has gotten across there okay. They have the bin for cover to get the res.
I mean, I don't think it was another. I can't see another team anywhere near on the map, so I guess it was just an EMP that came in, and I don't think it even caught Gentrifying. So he's popped it a little bit too low there, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so.
And you know, stunned his own team without even getting the benefit from it. Okay, look, they get Lahim back up and running. Revenant with a fantastic start to this fight, and now struggling to work out how they can finish it off. Mexus, he wants to use those VTOL jets to get up to the top and challenge this high ground that Gentrifying has right now. But look, I don't know, apart from maybe waiting for a Skyward dive and then just three-man dive bombing G2, I'm not sure what else they can do. Okay, Gentrifying is down now. They need to try and use this opportunity to get on top of him, but it looks like he's going to make a quick escape. Could we see another repeat of game one with the respawns and then, you know, a run it back?
In this case, you can only get the one res. Designful, his banner was collected, but Resulta unfortunately not going to be taking any more part in this round. G2, obviously, they will be able to get one res, but...
Lagi tuh, emang lu mau ngelut lagi? Mau ngelut lagi bisa sih. 1-2 doang gua nih.
Iya, gua cuma
Bisa terzone kita.
Ayo,
Ya, balik
main
lagi
belakang yuk. Kita kalau di revive dating lagi.
Ya, hati-hati yang another timnya aja.
Iya kan?
Kalau ada,
Iya.
dengerin gua. Kalau ada another timnya di sini, kita balik ya, balik ke spot kita lagi ya.
Oke.
Enggak, gua nggak mau perangin other team soalnya. Resource kita nggak ada.
Ya, makanya gue bilang tadi kan, ngelut.
Gua kira lu ada ininya ya.
Belum. Sob. Dia knock doang sama gue.
Baru di end ya. Hati
Gua-
banget.
banget,
Gua
anjing.
ngedrone ya.
Iya. Itu
Gua drone
horizonnya.
sini, hati-hati lo, jangan ke depan dulu. Gua drone dulu bentar. No.
Oke. Horizonnya bisa di rest tuh, masih diambil. Entah di mana.
Liatin resannya aja yang hilang di mana.
Belum ada.
Bisa ngelut tuh.
Blood body-nya sini doang kan, GB doang.
Bisa loot, kita tertring.
Satu orang aja yang loot kayak.
Gua kayak, gua butuh
Gua aja,
banget.
gue naik lagi soal.
Oke.
Ambil
Drop
aja
dua
semua, lu
Phoenix.
drop semua ya. Nanti lu ini lagi. Jangan sama ini ya.
Termasuk body itu.
Bilang ada atas kenapa?
Gua liatin northwest.
Repeater ini tuh.
Bel. Northwest gue,
Mozambique.
lihat gua monitor gua.
Oke.
Repeater Mozambique dong.
Oke. Apaan bagus nggak sel-selannya?
Udah gua ambil semua deh di ini.
Extended heavy-nya ada gak? Gua level 1.
Gua drop 8 sel tuh.
Masih ada satu tim nih, satu squad nih. Di mana tadi inian horizonnya? Tahu nggak lu?
Gak
Nah,
tau
itu
gua,
nggak tahu, itu
dibalik
nggak tahu.
ini anjing.
Phoenix-nya ada yang carry enggak?
Bisa sih.
Gua.
Gua.
Gua satu
Sel
dua
juga tuh, sel 8.
Boleh
tim
sih.
Selim. Lu berapa sel lu, Em?
Gua 6 doang.
Gua kasih lagi nih. Tuh. Gua 62 sekarang, lu 82 tuh. Akstar mau gua.
Gua di atap.
Mending kita nyantai dulu sih, ngumpet aja sih di rumah. Ngumpet aja dulu sini. Ada G2-nya masih ada tuh. Ulti lu berapa lagi, Max?
87.
87 ya.
Kejar ya sob ya. Gak ada ampun anjing, Max. Bel.
Kada ampun ya. Kada ampun, Op.
Wah, kita masih zone dong di tempat kita. Mau tempat kita aja kah?
Enggak, tunggu dulu. Kita bisa tertring. Kalau misalnya langsung
Masih
itu
12
bahaya.
squad, gila juga ya. Gitu.
Kita, gua ada ulti soalnya. Langsung ngambil spot kita, mumpung masih kosong. Tadi ada nggak sih?
Tadi ada orang.
Oh, ada.
Di sini ada orang nih rame.
Di
dulu.
spot kitanya.
Lu mau loot ini enggak dulu? Apa udah full?
Enggak,
Gimana
udah
lu
cukup,
tinggal
udah cukup.
gila
Guys,
semua?
Gua nggak mau risky.
Boleh sih kalau gua mau ngelut situ.
Mau apa lu? Butuh apa emang?
Gua mau tahu kan berharga, kan masih gak ada ngapa-ngapain juga gitu kan.
Mau biarin
Gua-
mereka reset
Kita
nih
main
berarti?
tertering.
Ya,
Gak biarin mereka reset.
biarin mereka repep. Gue pengen menungguin mereka repep. Abis
Oh,
itu kita
oh,
fokus ke
iya.
dia.
Oh iya,
Rencana
boleh
gue
dah.
tuh itu.
Boleh dah. Liatin
Gue lagi
beacon.
ngeliatin beacon nih, 3 beacon ini, Him. Liatin nih gue nih. Nih 3 beacon ini gue lagi liatin nih.
Yup.
4 beacon ini.
Kayak kalau ini kejauhan dah, Bel.
Kemana?
Ya gak sih?
The tree.
Mending ini aja dah.
The
Kalau
ya,
kita kejar, ya gak sih? Dan
Iya.
itu kejauhan banget anjing. Kalau menurut gua Rizky dia bisa ambil senjata lagi. Bisa balikin
Itu
kita
terbang
itu.
tuh dia tuh. Dengar gak?
Kesini dia, chill. Gak usah ngapa-ngapain. Jangan ganti senjata.
Ya, gua megang senjata.
Jangan ganti senjata. Biarin dia rest dulu. Dia pasti ngelut sini lagi nih, yakin gua.
Kita biarin pesawatnya turun atau kita langsung pas dia ngeres pesawatnya nimbul atau langsung kita bunuh.
Dia udah ngeres di launch site, lihat. Dia udah ngeres di launch site. Dia kesini harusnya ngambil tuh. Depan kita harusnya ada nih. Melihatin nggak? Dia udah ngeres di launch site itu. Dia udah
Serius?
balik. Iya, launch site hilang tuh, lihat bikinnya. Launch site nggak ada yang kontes.
Gue belain.
Dia mau turun. Depan gua.
Chill.
Depan gua. Di tower. Dia
Oke.
turun dia. Dia mau ngelut bait gibi.
Chill.
Chill.
Gila, gue suka nih Revenant nih.
Gila ya. Datang dia.
Yuk,
Bikin bim. Tuh, 2,
2, 3.
3. Itu Gibi tuh, beda spot
Ungu.
lagi tuh.
Gak ada skat ya?
Balik. Ayo balik. Ke spot.
Spot kita di situ. Mau kemana?
Balik ke spot
Oh,
sini.
jalan aja ya.
Jalan. Itu beda tim ternyata. Di atas itu ada orang gak sih? Ada orang di atas ini. Ya kita harus fuck out deh. Mobil mana ya?
Kita bisa fokus itu, Bel.
Oh iya, bisa sih. Lu gibi ult, kita fuck out berdua Max. Ayo, gibil tim, gibil tang ini anim.
Ayo udah
Ayo,
lihat
fokus.
Bel, udah lihat ya, Bel.
Masih
Udah
mau
lihat
kah?
ya, Bel.
Enggak usah, ayo fuck out aja bertiga, fuck out aja
Gua
bertiga.
bertiga
Ayo.
aja. Kita
Ya.
cari spot ya, Bel.
Ya,
Do not fight.
ya, harus spot. Sini nih Max, cari spot
Ketahuan
Max.
tadi.
Ini aja Max, ayo. Langsung gas ya. Kalau ada orang
kosong.
enggak apa-apa. Pokoknya gasin. Kalau ada orang nggak apa-apa.
Oke. Nggak ada coy.
Ya udah diem sini, gue di belakang.
Hati-hati di dalamnya, di dalam box hati-hati. Oh, nggak ada coy.
What the?
Let's fucking go, dude. Nggak ada. Mungkin
Gua
nggak ada
main
orang
spot
yang
gua ya.
tahu kita bisa main
Ya
sini
ya
kali.
ya kayak biasa
Gua
Max.
spot gua.
Wah kita bisa banyak dapat kill ini.
Ya, huge,
Jatah-
huge,
ya.
huge. Senjata gua Arterian Prowler. Lo ada kali 2 emang ya?
Gua kan
Max.
pakai ini.
Lo apa?
Wingman pick ya.
Oke.
Lu 2 kill kan ini?
Eh,
Kaget gua anjing. Astagfirullahaladzim.
damn.
Just rifle ya Allah. Gua pakai SLR lah.
Bal berapa lagi bal?
Apa? Drone
Ini.
kah?
Body lu. Sini.
200 lagi. Lo yakin? Kayak dikit nggak sih punya lo? Berapa punya lo?
Enggak. 6 bisa sih.
Punya lo berapa emang ya?
6.
Sel,
apa?
sel.
6.
62.
Gua coba ngumuin daripada gua
Apa?
ngepick. Peluru gua masih banyak soalnya.
Oke.
Ada main situ gak tuh?
Pokoknya di gua permasif ya. Selama nggak dinetin.
Ingat ya gua di up.
Iya. Lo harus liatin up-nya lu sih, Max.
Hmm.
Di sini kayak biasa nih orang Watson.
Ya Allah.
Kita harus nunggu ring close dulu ya.
Gua pakai Phoenix ya.
Iya. Main di gua enggak deh. Gua enggak ada.
Ingat
sisa
nih,
lu, gua mix.
dengerin gua. Kalau misalnya ada yang landing, lu GB ulti langsung, abis itu gua langsung ulti EMP ya Him ya. Mau
Oke.
EMP gua telat atau kecepetan, kalau misalnya dia di dalam doom dia, kita langsung ape doom dia pakai doom lu juga ya.
Oke.
Ngerti nggak maksud gua?
Ngerti. I understand.
Ya. Jadi ulti gua tuh cuman buat ngedamage doang 150, early damage doang.
Oke.
Enggak untuk nge-grief bubble dia.
Bantuan tambahan.
Ya
Iya,
bantuan tambahan
bantu
biar
back.
menang.
Oh ya, no.
Terus ulti bubble lu tuh biar kalau misalnya dia keluar bubble atau enggak bubble dia hilang kan dia fucked up gitu kan.
Iya.
Terus lu nge-bubble di dia, abis itu kita main bubble lu ya, bertiga.
Dan jangan lupa nih, gua ngasih doang ini di full
Apa?
lumayan penting. Di sini kan chest rifle nih. Kalau misalnya kita bubble pack di sini, jangan sampai keluar sini loh, lumayan deh
Iya.
kena damage ntar. Paham enggak maksud gue?
Oke.
Iya, sini
Ya,
enggak? Oh, mending kita
jiggle,
sini. Oh iya.
jiggle bubble dari situ, risky kena chest rifle dari itu orang.
Berarti dengar apa namanya main di bubble emang harus main di bubble. Bubble ini kita balikan dikit lah. Pokoknya pasti bubble dia duluan habis intinya itu. Sebelum kita bubble dia duluan habis.
Berarti gua ulti agak deep gitu, Bal ya.
Iya.
Biar gua gak terlalu
Lu kenain diri lu sendiri nggak apa-apa, kalau lu kenain kita nggak apa-apa, asal kena mereka intinya itu gitu.
Oke.
Di sini juga boleh nih ngultinya kan?
Iya, di batu kan.
Iya.
Itu kembar.
Di
Banyak
batu
turun
kalau
dia.
nggak depaninnya juga tuh bagus.
Banyak something di atasnya.
9 squad aja kita.
Ada
Ada
ulti.
orang main sini, ada orang main sini. Tembakin Max, tembakin
Ada
dulu,
ulti
Max, biar dia tahu kita main sini. Wah,
Gua kain dia
Lihat,
gua ke
tembak,
kanan, ke kanan. Free tuh.
Ya.
Horizon 25. Horizon 100.
gua aksarin.
Nice.
Gua kena satuin.
Nice, knockman.
Ada
Gitu
dua
lagi
yang
dong.
netin,
Gua
gua
netin.
tahu.
Gua netin.
Ih, ketemu gitu wae orangnya.
Net.
Di push dia.
Nice, kena tuh.
Nice. Gua backup. Ada
Ya, lihat
banyak
di
ini,
belakang,
mana
lihat di
ya?
belakang, takut
Iya,
B,
iya.
takut B.
Mati liatin Max.
Iya. Awas lu jangan mati. Di kiri kita ada tim yang mau wakap juga soal.
Nah. Gua ada pinik.
Boleh dah.
Pinik.
Ada tim nggak sih di bawah ini?
Ada. Hati-hati Max, 2 orang Max. Kita nanti liatin itu ya.
Ubingnya safe, Bel.
Ya.
Nggak ada
Bentar,
ubing.
tunggu drone gua. Gua ngecek pakai drone gua dulu. Kita harus kelarin yang ini nanti ya.
Ya.
Gua ulti ya, pakai drone gua nggak? Pakai ulti gua nggak? Gua nanya nih.
Enggak.
Gua saya.
Drone dulu aja, Bal.
Berarti nggak usah EMP ya?
Ya yang pasti.
Gua ada dua aksar kok.
Tuh, di situ tuh.
Sendiri dia.
Lihat GB ya, gas.
Nyatanya
Gas, gua bilang.
Oke. Crack. Udah dead.
Nice.
Nice.
Balik lewat sini. Pack bisa naik atas sim.
Oke.
Oh,
Itu solo. Gua dung.
Gua bater ya. Bisa kan?
Bisa.
Him,
Dia-
sini
dia-
tukar
gua di beda
back
nih.
Dia maju deh.
Gua ke lu ya, Bel. Aman gak, Bel?
Udah aman. Dia nggak ini kok. Reload.
Him, tukar backpack dulu, Him, please.
Gua gak ada sisa.
Gua drop, gua 1 baterai. Gua bisa loot yang kita bunuh tadi, bentar.
Iya,
Gak, bentar.
chill.
Kasih gua comms. Bel,
Ya, kenapa?
lu drone lu sekarang di sini.
Oke. Di mana?
Di Di tanda gua.
Oke.
Di bawah ada.
Nggak ada free.
Ada di sini, Bel.
Ada, iya. Ada.
Dua kin.
Itu gua maksud, Bel.
Hati si Max.
Gua crack.
Dundai.
Aman. Gua tank.
Ya. Medkit. Kita keringnya sih kayaknya. Fakultasnya kita nggak sih?
Tunggu dia fokus dulu. Gua backup. I'm dead.
Doom rest. Ada backpack.
Mas.
Langsung terbang aja kali ya, karena udah pakai
Iya.
doom nih.
Iya. Oke. Aduh, kena ini kita. Balik ke belakang sini.
Iya.
Battery.
Baterai gua.
Enggak ada
Di gua aman.
Dia mau perang,
dia
nge-push ya?
mau perang ya.
Gua ulti dah. Gua mundur belakang dulu.
Iya, gua netin. Crack. Valkyrie.
Crack.
Get the kill. Nice. Kizon. Jalan aja.
Ke zona.
Bel kena 2 hit. Give me.
Iya.
Nice.
Gue liatin tenang ya.
Bel. No, Bel.
No.
Hai.
Oh my god.
Nice. Good job.
Max lo nggak boleh ini lo Max. Nggak boleh ngeliatin open begitu. Nyantai aja di dalam, kan gua ada drone. Nggak boleh langsung nge-fuckdapin dia kalau gua nggak bilang fuckdapin.
Iya.
Lu harus diem di tempat safe. Nggak boleh mati karena gua pengen fuck out tadi gua bilang.
Iya, karena si Bel kan ngeliatin pakai drone. Jadi ya, it's okay.
Iya.
It's okay.
Sorry. Gua nggak nyalahin ya Max ya.
Iya.
Cuman ngingetin doang.
Ya lebih bagusnya tadi biar Bel drone soalnya lu gak perlu
Sorry ya,
buat.
Sorry ya.
Ya, nyantai.
Tadi tuh kan udah nggak ada kan Bel bilang kan. Nah, gue niatnya mau ambil sahabat lahim gitu.
I have shotgun. Don't push to this door. Don't get knock, okay? We win this game, babies. Let's go.
If we get in peace, shoot all the fuck.
So they've taken the space underneath Ascend here. You see Kick, they're like, oh, the truck's fine. I can tell you, it's not fine. That is a terrible space to play in.
All I'm going to say is I never knew that building had that call out.
You learn something every day, Elfish. I'm sure our viewers as well. Oh man, I think they're much happier to be, down the bottom there with a little bit of safety instead of out in the open. It'd almost feel like the T-Rex was coming through. You're just hiding behind your little safari Jurassic Park Jeep there.
Yeah, indeed. Well, a bit of an interesting way this circle's now playing out because no one's inside of the center of it. Everyone's playing sort of the outskirts. Pull has come across though too, where Kick have ended up. So they found themselves a nice little bastion of safety, turned it into a bit of a stronghold with all of those caustic barrels going down.
Let's go here.
Zen, remember they were here, I think quite early, and you actually see teams who play from Lava Fissure, especially with the caustic, they like to hide behind these bins. It's a very defensible position. I guess the only problem is, if someone's got grenades to spare, if someone has a gas grenade of their own, it can kind of become your demise.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've got a little bit of room to work with. They can go forward, they can go sideways, they can go up the stairs here as well. They're going to put the buff down pre-empty. Bombardment lands on their head. Looks like they're going to go for a skyward dive to make this rotation. To be fair, what other options did they have?
Yeah, but this is always the problem when you have to expand your dome to make the skyward dive, Elfish.
It is indeed. When you land, you're not going to have the dome to work with. Either way, Space Station are in an engagement right now. Defensive bombardment is going to be put down by Dropped to try and provide a little bit of space. Zen is in the mix now, having landed with their skyward dive. Kings is the only one left. He's gone for an armor swap there, and he seems to have gotten it off okay, but I'm not sure, unfortunately, that it is going to be enough in this kind of a scenario. What can you do but hope and pray to maybe get that bat off, which he does. Starless he will be finished by SSG, and in the end, Zen also ultimately does for SSG, clearing out their side of the map.
It's okay, but it's not really okay. Space Station Gaming, the victors there. GMT, again, have just been sitting in the middle of the zone for the longest period of time. Red armors are plenty for them.
Could they go back to back?
Sure, there's some drones running around, but they're certainly going to do their best to make that happen. With 6 left, it's looking pretty decent here, Elfish. They're already over 30 points.
Striker, the only other team that has gone back to back in this competition so far. So if GMT were to do it, they would be joining a pretty illustrious club. That's a nice beam from Nasky onto the player on top of the building just to knock him down a peg, put that pressure back on. Once again, this is not going to be an easy one to win for GMT though. Zone is going to end up moving away from them. It looks like it's going to shrink fairly central based on what we can see there from the minimap. So it doesn't really feel as though it's going to necessarily benefit any team more than another.
Well, what this means is it's going to shrink towards the center, of course, or close to the... So GMT is going to have to make their way across because the center is roughly in the lava, Elfish.
Yeah.
So the teams like SSG probably going to have a little more time to play with. GMT, they actually go down the bottom. I don't know about this. It looks like an EMP has just deleted their bubble. They're trying to hide underneath the bridge here, but I don't know if they can survive for very long at all.
Well, no back-to-back for GMT. V3 Vega are down on the bottom as well, inside of that lava. Defensive bombardments are getting tossed all over the place. Bubbles everywhere as well. Dome shields all over the place. It's Kick that gets eliminated pretty quickly. Now onto V3 Vega, who seem to be the major benefactors of a lot of the engagements that have been happening, but maybe they've bitten off a little more than they can chew. Space Station arrive on top of the cliffs, and now they look like the kings on the castle.
Oh, they've got the high ground. This is fantastic. Tappy's just going up. The Valk might be able to dance around for a little while and get some placement points, but Odic are the ones they have to beat.
Yeah, there was 3 teams. They had to find that one rat, which was one Tappy from V3 Vega. Now they can turn their attention in onto the 3-on-3, and quite frankly, this one should very much go the way of SSG. Zone is going to shrink favorably for them. They can choose when the engagements happen.
Bubble invested. They've got the Skyward Dive. It might be an option for them to come or go all the way up into the sky and then come down again. Because otherwise, what are you going to do? Die to the zone? I mean, Odic, what is your option right now? They're waiting for the other team to look down at them, and I guess that's a win by default for Space Station Gaming.
And look, I got to say for Odic, I mean, they really ran out of options, didn't they? What could you realistically do there?
They could have Valkol.
The Valkol, yeah, but I mean, let's be real.
It's a low percentage play,
I understand,
but you know what's a 0% play? Sitting in zone.
Sure. Of course, they want to deny the kill points as well, Gino. There is that factor. You know, the fact that SSG and Odic are probably vying for a much similar position toward the top end of the standings at the moment is something you have to take into account. But end of the day, you know, I guess they just felt like their options were quite limited. That was the best one they could take. It was out of the frying pan into the fire either way, not for us to judge. It is Space Station Gaming that walk away with the victory, as was very much expected. They had that high ground, they had that power position, and they'll be happy to pick up the win. Although maybe a bit perturbed that they do miss out on 3 KP. They would have liked those extra points, but maybe it's not going to matter too much, right? You got 6 games to play here. If you win one of them, you're probably booking your ticket in the top 10 at the very least. And I'd say a solid performance in the end there from Space Station with 12 kills anyway, netting 24 points. You can't be complaining.
It was very good for them. They came from the west side on that cliff, and you saw that the fight they had to take with Zen, I think it was, around the building pipe worked out well for them. GMT Esports, we were wondering if they could get back-to-back. Only 5 points, actually, in the end that they're going to pick up. IG a little bit better than the first game, but, you know, is that enough to push them forward? Odic with 17 and V3 Vega with 12. They're definitely well on their way.
Yeah, most definitely. A good solid performance in the end there from GMT as well. They get those 5 points to put on top of the big win that they got to start this lobby off. They're keeping that scoreboard ticking over. Good to see. CLG, an interesting prospect because we've seen that they can pop off, but we haven't gotten that so far in this lobby
Kill
today.
6, lumayan killnya. Kill 6 15.
They're toward the bottom of the table, so time really is running out for those two. I'd say game 3, they're going to have to get it done. They basically haven't gotten any points so far in this lobby at all, either of those two teams. And if they don't get it here at the halfway point, maybe they're not going to leave themselves enough space to work with going into Storm Point. And obviously, at that point, they're facing elimination.
Well, G2 are really struggling in the ongoing battle with Revenant Esports, the battle for the South. And you know, Revenant Esports looks like they're trying to get it done basically purely with kill points.
Well, the weird thing is, like, it's not even a hot drop, and we'll talk about that in just a second, because first we should touch on Space Station. This is, of course, their moment, having picked up the victory. Loba team coming through. You know, it's not every day that we get to see the Loba coming into the mix, but it worked out perfectly for Space Station. Circle shrinks on them, and they are very happy to reap the benefits.
I mean, you say that, it's 2 in a row now from Loba, right? GMT were running that as well. And yeah, look, you know, going back to that, you're right. You know, it's not a hot drop, but it is very spicy down there on the south side.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was interesting the way that
Ini
fight
G2
continued to happen.
gimana?
You know, normally you're going to get that if there's going to be teams both dropping in the same location, but one's at Tree, one's at Thermal Station. Obviously, points of interest that are right next to one another, but you don't typically see that many engagements between teams dropping in those two locations.
No, because they weren't even like Revenant weren't even trying to play edge there. Okay, they weren't going into the circle and then trying to prowl that. They went just directly at G2.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. Either way, it hasn't really worked out for G2. Is it working for Revenant? Well, I mean, arguments to be made that it is. They've got 16 points on the board. They're sitting in 5th place. GMT still maintaining first at the moment, but equal points with Space Station, so a lot can be said there. Odic, you know, again, we talked about them denying points from Space Station. Could be quite relevant in the end because they're still vying for positions. Game with, I think they're still sort of flying under the radar a little bit. We haven't gotten to watch too much from them, but they're doing a pretty good job for themselves. And here is where it gets a little bit spicy. The bottom half of this lobby. If we finish this lobby right here, right now, these would be the 10 teams that we'd be saying goodbye to. And to me, there are some surprising names on that list.
Well, luckily for our viewers and luckily for these players, we don't have to do that right now. They've still got 4 games to prove themselves. But I mean, look, 6 points, 5 points, you know, it's barely 1 game's worth of points that these teams would need to just jump themselves up even further into that list. So,
well, 1 game is what we've got left here on World's Edge. We're going to have to take a short break, but our final game of World's Edge for this lobby is coming up.
Let's go, Revenant. Ay, 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 ay. Nice sih Revenant mainnya. Tinggal ini aja apa, Valkyrie-nya tuh agak sering blunder jadi nggak dapet Valk ult. Coba aja nggak blunder.
We
Yeah,
burning,
it's a
still
duo.
burning.
It's a duo. It's a
No,
duo.
Yeah,
it's a 3-man. It's a 3-man.
Are you, yeah, it is a 3-man. It is a 3-man.
Just wait for
I'm
the
gonna get the
buckle.
kills.
Yeah, we get the kills. We get the kills. That's fine.
Hold on. Yo, hold on. Pop,
Wait.
grab nades, grab nades.
Dude, they're dead. They're dead. Just
Yeah,
chill.
I know, but I will grab the loot, bro. I knocked one. Ah, nice.
Nice. Good.
Let's go. Yo, drop, boys.
Hey,
Drop. Let's go,
get it,
baby.
boys. Holy.
Hey,
Lobo
Lobo
first
was
game.
the pick, baby.
First
Lobo
game.
was the pick.
We got a Llama Fisher zone too.
Let's go,
Oh
baby.
Well, actually pretty interesting to hear the comms there of Space Station Gaming. We were talking about it right toward the end there, whether or not they were getting the kills. It looked like on the screen they didn't, but based on the comms, they got a couple of knocks with the nades or something like that. So maybe a
I
couple
think
of those
it
kill
might have
points
been
did go
the
through.
yeah, sorry, the ticks of damage. You know, from the thermite. Once you get some damage on someone, and then the ring finishes them off. Could be wrong, but I believe that gives you the kill
Yes, it
credit.
does, yeah, certainly. Either way, look, really good stuff from Space Station Gaming, whether they got those kill points or not. Odic, also, you have to give them a shout out, a top 2 placing. It's gotten them into the top 3 overall. They're sitting fairly squarely, quite comfortably inside of the top 10. And, you know, we were having a discussion last lobby, myself and Xenox, about how it mattered whether you placed first or second or third or whatever through that top 10 to get those extra points heading into the finals lobby. Not the case here necessarily. It doesn't, you know, really matter if you walk away with first. It's kind of the same as yesterday. It doesn't matter in this particular lobby how you go, as long as you're in the top 10.
Which does open up an interesting discussion, Elfish, because if you are guaranteed to get through, and of course none of the teams are just yet,
Game
but
deficit.
at that point, if you feel like, you know, you can't be knocked out of that top 10, it opens up some options. It makes you think, well, I don't know, is there anyone I don't
Alright,
want to see
let's go.
in
Match
the next lobby?
Match
And the way
3.
that Revenant have been playing, pushing G2,
So
almost feels like it's got that sort of flavor
I
to
mean,
it.
I'm just going to say at this point, maybe Revenant does want to see G2 in the next lobby, because that seems like some free points for them right now.
The match has certainly been going their way. You call G2 free, is that what I'm hearing?
Wow. I mean, you said it, not me. That's all I'm gonna add to that discussion. Look, G2 definitely going to be hoping to turn that particular engagement around. Revenant will be hoping it continues in the same fashion. But either way, it's our final game on World's Edge. After this, we'll be heading over to Storm Point, and that certainly changes a lot up.
you lagi you Revenant
Nggak,
you.
Ding. Tuh lihat. Enggak, aman.
Ngedown ya.
Anjay.
Oh iya.
Tuh, 3-3 di sini. Oh iyalah.
Itu ngedown. Oh ada tuh. Ada satu di kanan.
Gue pakai repeater. Oh no, I forgot the 2
Oh dia mau nge-scan. Damn.
Gua ada 6x4x8.
Ngeri anjir. Dia mau ke gua gila. Wah, untung ini last game asli. Ngeri ya, astaga.
Gua ada kali 3 atau kali sama 24.
Oke.
Kali
Gua-
3.
kita main
sama
di
kali
mana ya?
2.
Oke.
Kali 3 boleh, gua pakai repeater.
Coba
Gua-
tandain tempat yang kalian suka main dah, tandain ya.
Kita kan
Nanti
ini,
gua
Bel.
mikir.
Kita kan ambil sini biasa di per overlock ya nggak sih?
Hah?
Yang bis itu.
Iya, tahu. Makanya itu gue pengen nanya, kalian ada tempat mana yang paling enak pengen main?
Bis sih.
Best ya. Saya tahu mau main dari lo. Im lo mau repeater gak?
Iya, gua butuh scope MX ya.
Lo ada repeater emangnya?
Udah
Udah.
ada hemlock.
Ya gue ada scope ya kali 1-2 sama gue.
Gua minta sama Max ya. Gua ada backpack apa?
Gua ada kali
Helm.
2, kali 3, kali 4. Gua bawa semua.
Gua pakai kali 3 boleh lah.
Gue resource aja buat kalian.
Thank you. Turun Mac. Turun
Kali berapanya? Kali 3 kan?
kali 3 ya.
Babel
Gua
nggak?
enggak. Gua 2 ya.
Gue 12-1. 2-2. Oke. Gue bisa kasih lo nih, Him.
Kita repeater semua berarti nih.
Mem. Tar.
Repeater
Terus
semua kita.
8 tuh. Yuk.
Kita
Gua ambil
repeater.
darah. Ini 8. Him, kampret.
Ah.
Itu 8 sel.
Ntar aja ganti ya boleh. Repeater ya, ntar ya.
Lo nggak mau repeater emang?
Ntar. Gua butuh. Bentar
4 kali
aja.
8 ya? Udah lo ambil.
4 kali 8-nya di situ. Gua drop.
Nggak usah. Udah, go.
82. Kita pakai repeater semua ya.
Just go.
Lu
12
repeater
sih.
sama lo Bel sama Kar ya. Biar lo udah lo ambil Bel.
Belum.
Gua ambil.
Tadi barrel ungu.
Ntar
Kena,
gua
kena,
kasih
kena.
si Mix.
Pahem, si Pel.
Lu pakai hemlock aja si Max kayak menurut gua Max. Biar lu nge-beam ke depan kan, soalnya nanti lo yang maju loh. Lu kalau maju pakai repeater kayak feel weird gitu gak sih?
Ntar kalau di depan kau dapat. Ini kita lihat sin harvester kan?
Iya, kayak biasa. Semua kayak
Si
biasa.
Bel jauh, agak jauh itu.
Ntar kalau misalnya bisnya ini Bel kayaknya bagus ya. Kita belok ke nonem nggak apa?
Bel body
belok ke
seal,
nonem.
gua belok.
Hah?
Body seal maksudnya.
Hati-hati
Oke,
lah ya,
gua
Max.
latin.
Lumayan.
Gua ready.
Tiga armor ya.
Tadi gua liat Max maju dulu kan, enggak ke orang juga. Makanya
Beloknya
gua-
ke Frequent East atau nonem? Kalau misalnya ada orang di bis.
Nonem sih, nonem.
No name.
Nonem mana ya enaknya ya? Rumah lonjong ini biasanya
Cari yang
sih.
kosong aja sih menurut gua.
Iya. Pokoknya misalnya ada yang kosong, mau di mana ya, gas.
Tadi kena red.
Lo tau kan tempat terbangnya di mana?
Depan lagi biar lebih ini.
Ya, di sini kan? Tanda gue, teman.
Boleh. Biar lebih ini. Turunnya nggak pas-pasan.
Ada yang fakot dari kiri tuh.
North.
Gua fokus di sini deh. Agak open sih.
Kosong tuh.
Boom.
Kosong. Ada yang sini nembak nih. Tadi.
Tandain lagi
Kalau
dong.
nggak salah.
Bis
Ini nih, bis.
Ada
orang.
Belok rumah
Ada
dia.
orang karena rumah. Oke, langsung ambil rumahnya. Lantai 3 gua.
Repeater, Bel.
Enggak, jangan sekarang. Ada loba.
Loba crack 100. Oh, enak banget repeater anjing. What? Peluru repeater gua 240 ya.
Gua juga ada orang.
2 3
Iya, enak banget him repeater. The fuck?
Mending lo kasih lahim deh 2 kali 4 ya. Lu
Dia mau
tukeran.
kali 3,
Gua udah. Gua ke 3 aja, Bel.
Gua kan 2 kali 3 kali 24 sama 2.
Gua lepas nih ya. Lu lepas dah mending, Kali ini nih.
Gua lepas apa nih?
Tuh,
Gua
tadi
aja
yang-
pintu bis ya.
Mending lu yang lepas. Oh, lu ada attachment-nya.
Iya.
Pintu bis hancur 1 sisi sebelahnya.
Max, kayak mending lu pakai hemlock dah Max. Kalau nggak lu pakai car nih, gue takut lu pas maju doang Max. Pas maju 3v3 anjir.
Enggak apa-apa.
Gak apa-apa, Bel.
Nggak
Gak
apa-apa.
apa-apa, gak apa-apa.
Ada.
Gak apa-apa, biar si Max nyaman di situ.
Gua 3 Axter ya.
Oke.
Ini di sini
Ada
yang di
ultimate
sini
Axel
loban.
1 nih, Bel. Lu bisa ngulti
Kasih
tim
gua,
yang gak jelas.
kasih gua. Nak satu plastik di bawah banget ya.
Gua mau cari pintu bis lagi bentar.
57, Max. Nice, Max. Hancur gak? Nice.
Hancur.
Ayo kita repeater anjing deh.
Ada yang di luar sini nih, di bawah ini nih. Nah, tuh.
Gua keker pintu ya. Tuh. Tadi mampus lo.
Oh, nggak ada kan kau bisa lepas.
Ada care package
Putih, Valkyrie kah?
di gua, Bel. Kalau Kraber boleh gua ambil, kalau enggak Kraber enggak usah gua ambil.
Apaan?
Care package di nonem di gua, lihat arah gua, arah SS1.
Nggak usah sih.
Kalau Kraber
Bentar, gue liatin.
ya. Kalau jelek
Itu jauh banget itu, Bel.
Gue liatin, gue buka. Iya, gue liatin dulu. Gue liatin semua nonemnya. Kalau emang kosong bisa, boleh.
Ya,
Kalau
itu
enggak,
maksud
nggak
gua.
usah.
Dia ngepick terus ya, yang di itu.
Gua
yang bis.
satu
Bikin aja, bisa jadi
dia
ungu tuh.
rempet sih ya Him ya?
Iya.
Back tuh. Bentar.
Bahaya juga ini gua ngetik di pintu nih.
Gue nyari dulu. Boleh lu Max, ambil lah. Bisa tuh.
Backpack sih itu, Max. Jadi
Bisa, Max.
backpack lu level 2 dah.
Level 1 lu sini Him, Bel.
Oh iya. Nah. Ambil lu yang buang lah. Tuh, ambil.
Penting sih itu. Gua liatin dah dari itu, Max.
Gue liatin ini aja.
Jadi kurir Valkyrie.
Depan sini.
Pencet gua, mabet. What? I cannot open. Gua bisa ngambil knockdown aja.
Nggak ada nih. Nggak ada name semuanya clear nih, lagi clear.
Gua tutup
name
pintu ya, gua takut kayak si kemarin anjing si Hal.
Kenapa? Oh iya.
Fokusin.
Sama ambil ini nih. Max, sekalian.
Oke.
Nggak ada kok.
Iya ya.
Lu backpack kan? Nih, ambil ini juga.
Oke.
Mana lah nih orang yang ngepick, ada ngepick.
Ambil yang itu juga. Wah,
Pinter
ini
ya.
ringnya di depan-depan sini nih. Enak nih. Udah, baiklah.
Nih, bebek masuk.
Langsung ambil loh.
Itu netnya nggak?
Ambil sama dia.
82 gua.
Nih, ambil
nih.
Max. Ambil lagi Max.
Oke.
Netnya.
Gue banyak sih, 4 gue.
Gua mau. Pak,
Ntar
kasih gua
kita-
sini. Kasih gua sini. Iya, nyata. Itu tuh ngefakult. Tembak.
Dari bawah gua.
Hampir satu orang. Krek, flash tengahnya.
Oh.
Ada yang scanning belakang kita ya.
Flash banget.
Oh.
Di
Damn.
Di drone ada kah?
Iya, ada di nanem.
Pakai drone apa?
Udah kelar dia, udah kelar. Caustic dia.
Bisa atas dia dapat ya.
Ya, jangan ngepick di pintu ya sih.
Iya,
Kalau pintu crack.
gue juga takut ini
Iya, anjing.
di rampage-in.
Oh.
Nah, Bel.
Ada yang ngeret.
Ngumpet anjing, ngeret dah. Kayak
Ada
kita main
ngeret
sini
itu.
sih emang sih. Udah bagus main sini kayak. Main di bis tuh terlalu ini anjir, terlalu bisa di app ya. Gua ada ulti lagi nih, ultimate acceleran lo ada kan Max?
Ada. Cipan aja sih, Im.
Oh, oke. Lobanya hilang.
Tim sebelah caustic ya,
baru
guys.
ulti dia anjir.
Tim sebelah caustic nih. Dia nyadar nggak ada squad di sini.
Tandain dong.
Gimana?
Yang di rumah ini, Bel. Im. Tuh.
Oke.
Dia caustic nah tuh, dia udah di beacon tuh.
Ya kan? Hati-hati ya.
Temannya,
Ya kayaknya mau kesini deh,
iya,
mesin deh.
temannya mesin ya kan.
Awas Max. Max minggir Max. Dia mau ulti nih, hati dia mau
Iya,
perang
iya.
nih. Siap-siap. Ini caustic. Gibi di gua Gibi. Gibi akan
10 damage. Gua crack, Bel.
Gua
Bel,
Bel.
gua dumel.
Oke. Gua dom, nice dom. Gibi lo parah. Keluar
Nice.
Kim, ada gak?
Ada
aman,
di depan gua.
Low dia.
Crack Bel.
Akan doy.
Gua medkit ya, gua medkit ya.
Doy.
Crack, dua crack,
Oke.
crack, caustic crack.
Low, Valkyrie low.
No, di dalam semua dia, nggak bisa.
Start chatnya. Gua
Gua bisa masuk.
Oke. Crack.
Dia ngelock,
Chill.
Iya,
Lu banget,
gua
caustic.
chill.
Chill, diam. Di gua aman.
Sama.
Battery.
Dia
Oh,
crack
iya.
semua sih. Bel, net di bawah ini, Bel.
Gak ada net gua.
Tanda gua.
Betul, iya.
Lu lihat
Gak ada net.
di samping
Mana?
tangga itu, di samping
Oh,
tangga.
chill.
Di
Ngeres
samping
dia.
tangga.
Ngeres
Itu
dia.
Max.
Gas. Bakar semua.
Crack.
Chill.
Nice.
Romor. Gua nyantai.
Bel,
Chill.
apa yang turun, Bel? Udah nih.
Crack gua. Di Valkyrie terakhir ya.
Iya, chill.
Gak bisa ngeres gak dia?
Max,
nyampe?
yuk boleh.
Chill ya
Iya.
Max.
Iya. Dia nggak bisa ngeres gak dia?
Iya.
Gila.
Chill.
Keluar dia lantai 2, Bel.
Ini gua lagi main.
Nice.
Nice.
Ambil banner.
Chill doim.
Iya, chill lo, Im. Kabur dia. Valkyrie-nya di rumah sebelah ini.
Bentar Max. Gua langsung ngeres.
Oke.
Heal.
Valkyrie tipis ya tuh.
Valkyrie tuh.
Crack. Mati dia.
Nice.
Block lo. Allah. Ada Treon full attachment nih. Gua ganti R3 ya. Gua ganti R3.
Gua ada R3 juga.
Gila.
Balik Max.
Gua
Balik ya. Bisa gak?
nggak tahu
Tembakin dari mana lo? Gua tembakin dia nih. Ditembakin
ditembakin
lagi
gua.
deh. Iya.
sih. Sebuah detik gua.
Gua harus ke Limes ya.
Langsung ke gua Im, coba Im. Cas reaper
5
mending
detik, 5
langsung
detik.
Lu ke
gas,
ke bawah,
bentar.
ke gua aja, Im.
kalau
Dua
gua bilang
detik.
gas ya.
Iya.
Gas. Doom. Nice, turun ke bawah.
Enggak usah.
Medkit.
Apa
Timing
gua
aja,
langsung turun
timing
ke bawah?
aja.
Gua liatin kok, chill ya. Langsung turun ke bis sekarang.
Iya, ke gua langsung aman loh.
Sekarang.
Nice.
Thanks, man.
Nice. Dalam, ngelotnya dalam.
Ada
Good
masjid
shit,
di luar
bro.
tim.
Iya.
Bel, lu gak perlu turun ke situ, Bel.
Tadi gua turun karena gua pengen ini ke sini.
Enggak, yang pas match nge-termite. Apa lu turun anjing?
My bad sih itu. Gua ngeraya bisa ini ya, bisa dari
Iya.
sini. Soalnya di kanan ini gak ada orang tadi.
Ya, lebih bagusnya lu lihat
Di
dari
tangga,
posisi
kan?
Max dah. Iya, gua lihat gini Max ngepick.
Di mana?
Bagus banget tadi anjing.
Oh.
Si Max use. Bagus banget dia ngepick.
Wah
gitu.
iya anjing, my bad.
Untuk si
Gua
Max
baru tahu
ngedengerin
itu.
call gua buat termite tadi. Nice Max. Holy shit.
Gua
so good, man.
nggak ada bom, Nggak ada bom gua.
Iya,
Nol
tapi gua
bom
kan
gua.
Ya
kan
bagus
gimana, kan?
kaps itu, bagus kaps.
Iya.
Karena gua
Iya.
tahu termati sini di
Pakai
pojok.
dulu nih, pakai dulu nih. Pakai dulu.
Body gua mana di sini?
Dicolong.
Wah,
Sama loba.
mau ngasih armor padahal.
Gak apa sih gua.
Sel
Lu
gua
mau juga,
dikit.
Bel?
Apa?
Ada
Sel
finish
gua
gak?
19,
Gak
sel
ada.
gua 19.
Gua sisel
Oh.
banyak, sisel banyak.
Tuh, ambil.
Gua habis ini 5-0.
Ambil tuh.
Baterai Bel mungkin. Gua nggak ada.
Nggak ada, ambil lagi tuh. Ya. Baterai lu berapa, Im?
Gak ada.
Chill.
Di bawah Mas Tim. Di
Bawah
luar,
ada masjid.
iya, yang
Di
di
luar.
box luar
Box
ini,
keluar,
di sini.
kiri. Box keluar kiri, sebelah kiri. Nice.
Gak ada anjing.
Ada.
Gak ada.
Di
Gak ada.
luar,
Diambil
di
berarti,
luar.
diambil loba, berarti diambil
Nih,
loba.
di sini.
Iya, udah
Udah,
dicek dia.
udah,
Diambil
udah.
diambil loba.
Ini orang
Ada.
hafal banget ya. Kita mesti di zone ya. Nice. Holy shit. You can scan
Ya, gua
Cover
scan beacon
Iya.
gua.
2 kali itu.
Ada
bisa.
kali 2 nggak sih?
Nope.
Tukar
Apa?
24.
Mau apa?
Nggak ada.
Gua kasih gua sini. Nih. Tuh. Mana kali 24-nya? Mim, ambil aja nih. Ambil armor gue ya. Tuh, 2, 3.
Watson. Dia main luar loh. Bisa
Iya.
difokus fire di kalem 2 tuh.
Enggak, sabar. Gue lihat belakang dulu Max. Tadi
Biar
kamu
gua
lihat.
liatin belakang.
Biar gua lihat.
Gue mau lihat di arah non-name dulu. Ada nggak orang-orang gitu?
Nice aim.
Ringnya tuh lihat. Nanti kita bisa vakult sih harusnya. Ntar gue nyari.
Situ deh.
Dia mau fakult kayak ini. Keluar dari bis di 3-3. Iya,
Vakult ya.
lihat nih.
Tembak.
Ada orang.
Oke.
Tempat
Deal.
ini.
Ya, 3 orang kali itu.
Iya.
Bilangin kalau dia ngenet ya, Im ya. Nget ya.
Headshot.
Gua di luar.
Let go guys, let go.
Dia
Let's
lagi
go.
ngenek. Iya, gue liat. Chill, gue liat.
Yo, bisa yuk.
Dia loba itu. Kita harus perangin sih. Dia kena hit di atas dia.
Ya, nyantai. 40 detik.
Oke.
Kita harus perangin gitu. Jadi kita bisa nge-vakult nanti.
Iya.
57.
Gold
Ulti ya?
ini ya.
Gold
Ya,
ya?
ulti lo. Dia di situ tuh.
Liatin bawah Max.
Gold sekarang, lihat tuh.
Valkyrie ya.
Nice.
Gua walk up ya.
Chill. Good. I'm good.
Valkyrie knock.
Dum.
Nice.
Dum.
Gua dulu.
Baik lo, him. Nah,
Lo banget.
Anduai gua. Lo.
Nice.
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 What the
Gua udah
fuck
terbang.
is this?
Gua serius sekali ya.
Nice.
What the fuck?
Gua udah terbang, Bel.
Bentar ayo, yuk. Gua kaltep. Ayo terbang.
GG.
Yes, shit.
Well played.
Harus pingin lo ya.
Gua nggak ngerti ini mau kemana.
Harus pingin. Oh,
Ya,
iya.
gua lagi nyari.
Lo
Oke.
mau serah gua apa gimana?
Heal banyak, placement udah lumayan. Nice.
Kita semua ngakal,
Belakang ini.
Oke.
Bisa gak?
Bisa.
Ini bis. Dum bis.
Oke. Gua
Gak ada
dulu.
orang.
Dum.
Gak ada orang.
Nice.
Oh my god.
Main di pojok ya, main permasif,
Iya.
jangan lupa permasif.
Permasif di gua.
Oke.
Permasif di gua.
Oke.
Gua
Good
butuh
shit,
like. Gua
Max.
butuh like 60 nih. Gua butuh like.
Tar. Nah.
Dah.
100.
Gua full
Udah,
ultimate ya, Bel.
ambil lagi.
Gua full ultimate ya, gua punya helm emas soalnya.
Punya berapa?
Punya helm emas maksudnya.
Oke.
Kita god spot lo ya. 51 gua.
Iya.
Ada
Ah ya,
baterai
god
lebih,
spot.
apa?
12.
Enggak, men, enggak ada baterai gua. Tadi
ada
di situ
baterai
ada
juga.
baterai.
Kita net
sekarang.
banyak banget ya.
Iya.
Banyak banget.
Yup.
Cari kill di sini, guys.
Oke.
Lihat,
Gelap.
Hati-hati kena tembak dari kanan.
Ya.
Gibi ya.
Uret portal.
Flash. Satu orang as. Berita nggak portal nih. Lihat gua portal tuh. Mas crack.
Aduh.
Oh sorry.
Chill. Jangan nge-pick di pintu, Im. Nggak boleh. Jangan nge-pick di pintu.
Gue cuma coba cari kill gitu.
Ya, sama gue juga.
Ya ini orang nggak bisa mana-mana tuh.
Ya, ini kita liatin ini ya.
Ya,
Kita
gua
liatin
liat.
tiga-tiganya ke sini. Iya, tiga-tiganya. Dia ada as. Mungkin dia bakal as ke kita ya. Siatin.
Ya benar banget. Free 3 KP free ini.
Gue bagi lag lagi dong. Lag gue dikit.
Tinggal 80 Bel, gue 100.
Oh ya udah, nggak usah deh.
Bel tunggu ring close aja Bel, gue nge-pick Bel.
Iya.
Mending lu
Ini
gak
crack
usah
lagi
nge-pick.
dia.
Bel, denger kan? Gua.
Ya, gue 200 ada udah.
Mending itu aja. Mending gua aja sama Max yang perlu.
Iya,
Ini
iya.
ada Valkyrie belakang kita deh.
Ada di sini dia. Dia mau nyoba nge-app nih nanti. Enggak, dia masih ring. Biarin aja dia main di kanan nanti.
Oke. Pintunya kalau hancur call ya please.
Iya,
Kalau pintu
dengerin gue,
hancur.
dengerin gue dulu, dengerin
Ya,
gue.
ulti gua ready.
Doom di sini nanti kalau kita fucked up ya, setengah doom ya.
Oke.
Kalau nggak di sini di kita, doom di sini nih. Di belakang, oke?
Oke.
Menurut gue bagus di sana sih Bel.
Iya, kalau di netnya sebelah sana, kita
Oke.
doom sebelah
Yes,
sini.
yes, yes,
Kalau
yes,
netnya
yes,
sini, kita doom
yes,
sebelah sana.
yes,
Nice.
yes.
Fokus sini guys.
Gue ngeliatin kanan kalau gitu.
Gua nge-pick pintu kalau gitu. Lu
Gua,
nge-pick
ya.
pintu Bel.
Enggak, gue nge-pick kanan. Pintu ini kebuka, hati-hati, nggak bisa lo. Nggak bisa nge-pick pintu ya, mati lo dikenain di sini 3 orang.
Yap, Max, lu nunduk.
Lu nunduk, Max.
36.
Gue duduk.
Jangan gerak, Max. Nembaknya jangan gerak.
Iya.
Mati lo kenainnya. Gue lagi lempar.
Max, gua net aja kali.
Net lah, bagus minggir lo.
Fucked up nih, lihat track. Nice. Sweet, you guys look that. Gue liatin belakang kalian.
Gua net Bel, Max.
Gue termite.
Nice.
Di mana dia? Tandain.
Di box sini
Di
Bel.
box.
Belakang
Oke,
box, belakang
gue akstar, gue banyak.
Mati dapat gua, dapat dia.
Osnet.
Bisa
Chill.
ditengin, masih bisa
Ditengin.
ditank. Masih bisa ditank.
Lihat
Gua
lagi.
Masuk
Ulti.
ya.
Crack Ibi.
Kestak satu.
Ah.
Next, Max. Chill, Max. Gua haltiin pintunya. Chill aja, Max, di atas, Max. Chill aja di atas. Chill aja, Max, jangan perang. Chill. I told you to chill.
Sorry.
Please. Nice, man. Max, listen to me, man.
Yes. Tag 2 padahal tadi anjing.
Ya gue slug 1.
Gua langsung kena headshot tuh liat.
Max, chill. You need to chill, Max.
Nice try. We're good.
Yeah.
Oh, we still learning. Nice.
banget gue.
Nice. No. Jangan
Bagus
pikirin itu,
aja.
Beb.
Vega, are they a duo or yeah, they're a duo. Yeah, of course. We just saw them. So G2 and CLG, I believe, are the two power teams at the moment. 3 players alive for G2. They're turning their day around. Let's see how they're feeling about it.
We probably focus RV first. To try to get those kills. I think they have to move first. Crack.
30 flush. If we drop, we have to kill this duo for placement and
Alright.
kills.
Well, can we not play their backside out here?
Wah, padahal
that's where the
kalau
other
si
team's
Max
gonna go.
chill,
Oh yeah,
mungkin
this is
placement
gonna
bisa
go.
lebih bagus mungkin.
Who's out here? Is that another rat? I'm gonna queue him.
That's more than one.
No, that is the rat. Okay, they got
I
it.
didn't hit a thing.
The duo and 2 trios.
Alright, focus the RB then.
The thing.
No, it's one
Sliding
more
up.
rat. The other
They're
rat's
sliding
on
out on him. They're sliding out on him.
Yep.
Don't fuck them up too bad.
Alright.
Let them fight.
They're gonna EMP too. Alright, don't really shoot him.
Don't shoot them. Don't shoot them.
This rat's gonna be on our left, by the way.
Let them fight.
I'm gonna ult them when we jump.
Start sliding down. Start sliding down right. Come down here. Come down here. Chill.
I'm
Don't
holding my
shoot
bubble
anything.
up. I'm
Don't
holding my
shoot.
bubble up.
Just
Tell
sit.
me when to bub.
Yeah.
Just sit. Let it go down. Chill. Ready? Kill this rise. Left. Kill her
Yeah,
left. Kill
alright,
left.
mirror.
Close left. Rat. Whoever the fuck this kid is.
Behind you.
Look inside,
Crack crypto. Best
No,
left.
man. Fuck.
Oh, fuck.
No.
I'm knock.
Ah, gitu.
They're gonna fight.
Yeah,
fight.
we'll knock here.
I'm gonna walk up.
Coba kalau pas tadi di atas di
Sit out.
Don't shoot.
chill-chillin.
Yeah, fuck him.
Nice.
Hit that third.
There's a Belk on the roof.
What the heck is that?
They're gonna fight. They're trying to fight. Keep it nice.
Let's go, design.
Nice.
Let's go, design.
Ah.
So far now,
Controller
Down
moment
destroyed
nggak
the
bisa
try
swap
challenge
armor.
Against CLG, but in the one-on-one, CLG will walk away with the
Kayak
victory.
Revenant bagus mainnya.
Oh, Oh,
Demen
dearie
gua.
me, you felt like it was gonna come together
Kita
for
lihat
G2,
poin.
didn't you? But end of the day, they didn't know about
Revenant.
V3 Vega just sitting
Kill 6,
underneath
placement
there.
6.
They
Nice.
said there was a
Nice.
team on the right, but they didn't
Nice.
know about the team on the left. And ultimately,
Nice.
CLG, they did also
Kill
have
6,
3
placement
players alive
6.
on the other side of the zone. They worked their way down, they kept their head cool, and they walk away with the win.
Yeah, I liked the patience there from
Kita lihat
G2,
standing
but,
berapa mereka.
you know, I guess retrospectively
Coba di
looking
sini.
back, you wonder if maybe they had to pop the black hole a little bit earlier.
2 Aga 45. Oh, nice, masuk 5 besar.
Chaos and potentially taken out that other 3 stack. Because remember, we were talking about how many teams actually had the full complement alive, and there weren't quite as many. Any damage they could have done to CLG right there probably would have been pretty important.
Indeed, but end of the day, obviously we've been talking about CLG a lot. They haven't been able to find a win up to that point, but they had been putting good results on the board. This now, though, is kind of their breakout game in this lobby. They should be sitting up quite high now as a result of 21 points on the board. FC Destroy, nice to see them up there as well as G2. I mean, look, it was a 3rd place for G2, but a 3rd place is much better than what they've been able to get so far to this point. So a little bit of a sigh of relief, I'd say, from G2, but they know, of course, they've got a lot more work to do as we do start to now think about Storm Point. You got IG International in there in that discussion again. Revenant, of course, can't go past talking about them as well. Lots of kills every game.
Man, that beautiful circle pull for FC Destroy gives them some placement points they're not accustomed to having in their column. And 19 points, a very good effort from them. But looking at the bottom half of the lobby, a lot of those points just getting really hoovered up by the top 10 there. Odic, the only one there with 10 points to their name from Game 3 and a solid performance to try and work it out going into the second half of this losers bracket round 1.
Well, that win from CLG is going to break the combo of NOBAR victories. This time we've got a Corsic team, and of course with the complement of the Valkyrie and the Gibraltar as well. Sort of felt as though CLG did keep their heads down a little bit right up until the end game, but still 6 kills coming through. Really, really solid stuff. Well, I guess 9 across the board is actually not a bad shout.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice brace of kills there for those guys. It was a fun last circle. You know, it was nice to see G2 finally finding their feet in this series. And, I mean, they're not all the way done yet, Elfish.
Well, we're halfway through this lobby. Plenty more to discuss, but that's not our job. That's for John and the boys on the desk. I hear he's got a special guest, so let's jump over to the analysts.
Special guest indeed. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Brilliant cast, as always. Fallout here alongside a very special guest. I'm happy to welcome for the very first time to the desk none other than Hockey's himself, big brain of Apex, captain and IGL of Alliance, joining us for the first time. First things first, man. How you doing? How you feeling after the big dub? Top 10, barely made it in.
I'm feeling great now. Was super exhausted after the games, but now I'm just relieved to be in the finals.
Congratulations on that. 10th place, first place, obviously a seeding point difference, but more importantly, you made it, which is big. And I'm excited. We've been chilling in the green room and talking through some gameplay analysis and gameplay-related things. Excited to jump into the discussion. Also joined with none other than Killer Pigeon and Xenox as well. But 3 games into this series, this is losers bracket round 1, win or go home. And first thing I want to talk about is G2, biggest topic here. I know you guys have a little bit of a rivalry. I'd love to get your thoughts on G2 as a team.
I mean, G2 is obviously a great team mechanically. They 3 rollers, 3 very cracked rollers. Not really sure what's going wrong in this tournament, but you know, they're a team that can always make it back, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw them in the late game there, KP. It's a situation where they did have God spot. We were sitting here watching. Complete God spot. They had a great position, great opportunity to close it out, but not able to do so.
Yeah, that's the difference, actually. The last 2 games, they've always been rotating very late, but it's usually been to their downside. What I like this time around is they peeled through Epicenter, and there was really no conflict. Like, all of the attention was drawn to the south side, so they're able to actually just sneak that in. I was really surprised no other team took it, but I think this is, like, promising. This shows you what G2 can do when they get in that type of position. I think we saw hints of this yesterday, but the issue seems to be the timing. Whenever they're rotating past that, like, second ring, I feel like they're coming in very late, and by the time they arrive in these critical areas, everyone's already got the God spot, right? There's nowhere left for them to stay.
Yeah, it's an issue and kind of concern of playing hard edge, right? You guys, we'll talk about it later, but you play edge, but you also find a way to rotate rotate and find great positioning. I'd be curious to get your perspective on that as we take a look here. Map number 1, though, was GMT, ending up on top. A dominant game from GMT. Xenox, walk me through what we saw in match number 2.
Yeah, well, it was back-to-back poor performances from Reply Totem as well, unfortunately for them. So kind of like G2, both starting very slow, match 1, match 2. And then obviously SSG kind of showed us what they're really capable of. Big result, big win, 12 kills. And it was also a really, really poor game from the APAC North teams. I think I ended up counting like 5 of the bottom 7 were all from APAC North. So a bit of a rough one there for match 2. And then obviously for match 3, it really was the focus on G2. Could they respond? Could they bounce back?
Yeah, that's a great point. And in this situation here, G2, full team of 3, and as we head to late game, they had that high ground. They were really fragging out, got a few high kills, ended up in 3rd place, though. So, Hawk, I'd love your take on that. I mean, you were kind of breaking it down here with us on the desk. They had Godspot, and you were saying, hopefully the action takes place at the trailer, at the truck. That's how they'll win this game. That's kind of their win-victory condition. Thoughts on how G2 could maybe turn that around and win it?
I mean, they ran down, tried to 3P the trailer because there was people fighting at the trailer. They threw their GB ulti and everything, and then tried to swing it left to like take cover and shoot the team in the back. However, they ran into a duo ratting. So I think Resulta went down without bubbling because of the rats. So I feel like if he gets the bubble down there, they probably win the game. But running into a duo ratting is kind of rough.
Exactly. That's a rough take, rough situation there for G2. They still get the kill points, which is definitely helpful for them in that scenario. But it seemed like the rats were there, but they were actually split. I think Designful was fighting towards truck. 2 of them were handling the rats behind them as opposed to all 3 of them turning. Resulta doesn't pop his bubble, and as a result, they get taken out, and they get a 3rd place finish. Designful still almost clutched up. He's able to get that first knock, but unfortunately couldn't finish the deal. Instead, it was Vatro clutching up, I believe, on CLG, the controller team. It was G2, the controller boys, versus CLG, other all-controller squad from North America, and CLG looked really, really great, KP.
Yeah, I mean, CLG, like, this has been a squad that they kind of come in late, right? Like, I felt that happened yesterday. They started off a little bit rough, and then they do clutch up at the end. The interesting part for me is kind of the dynamics at play. Like, just taking on GMT's performance, like, they start off solid at the beginning of this, right? And I was actually happy to see it because one big notable thing is, like, Fennel has especially been causing issues for this squad through and through. I loved how they got vengeance at the start of that series, right? They had the spot over them. They kind of, like, yeah, how the tens have tabled, right? Like, it was a beautiful moment. But what I just love is that we're seeing, even at this stage, like there's very clearly a lot of competition back and forth. It's not like one side is running away with the whole thing.
Yeah.
But one thing I'd love to wrap back in and get Hakisa's opinion on is, like, you mentioned about G2 and Alliance and having this kind of similar late timing on rotating into the rings. What do you think that you're doing so much better right now than G2 with that?
I think it's more like G2 is trying to brute force their way in, which is not... It sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. It's like either you get a high point kill game or you die early. More like we're kind of forcing teams away instead of like committing to it. So we're able to coexist a lot more with other teams while they're like hard committing to killing them.
That's a great point. I'm excited to jump in and talk a little more about that. But the standings are ready. Let's take a look at the leaderboards first and then continue the analysis and discussion. And here we go. GMT Esports with 35 points on top right now after really a disappointing start yesterday. They're performing today after a good game number 1. Audic from South America right behind them, putting SA on the map. Space Station behind them in 3rd place. CLG in 4th. FC Destroy with a must-perform game number 3, a 25-point total. And still not in that top 10. You see Crazy Raccoon sneaking in is G2. Let's take a look at the second page here as well. G2, well, they're in 11th, a 7-point bump. 3 games left. They certainly have an opportunity, but they are on the bubble right now. Ascend, another team, as well as IG, your counterparts in EMEA. What do you think's not working so well for IG and Ascend?
Ascend, I don't really know. They're playing with a sub,
yeah.
So I think they're missing a huge part in VJX, but I'm not sure, actually.
IG, do you agree with the roster change? I mean, you know, you obviously played against them. IG, I consider them a top 3, top 5 team in EMEA before the roster change. Do you agree with the decision to pick up Urban in place of Blasts?
I mean, both players are very good players. Like, I think Blast is more of a like flex player, like a caustic main, while Urban is like a mechanical talent. So I feel like they're just trying to find new synergies within the team. It's been looking good for them, though. I'm not really sure what's going on in Wrong Land. Maybe it's nerves, maybe something else, but I mean, both players are really solid, so it just depends on how they want to move the team forward, what type of dynamic they want.
good take, good perspective. Perhaps just the transition to LAN. Urban's obviously first LAN, younger player. We'll see if they can perform though and make it. You never know. Certainly 3 games left, an opportunity. But let's take a look at the map schedule. We're gonna be switching on from World's Edge to Storm Point here, and I would love to continue to get your take on what is the reset like going from World's Edge to Storm Point. Is it a physical or mental reset where you're saying, okay, let's play differently, the map plays differently, or what's the difference between the 2 maps? And what was it like having to adjust to a second map again in competitive Apex for the first time in 2 years?
I mean, adjusting to a new map is both rough and fun because all teams, I mean, nobody has no clue what they're doing, so everybody's just running around inting. But I mean, it's also fun because you're able to play new things, you're doing new zones, new comps, everything, so it brings a little bit more content to the game rather than more competitive stuff. So definitely both ups and downs, I would say.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see both sides to that story. Last question I have for you, Hakis, as well. Just would love to get your take as we're wrapping up here. So last question before we throw to a quick break. Any perspective kind of in the mind of a pro player in terms of the regional distribution of meta? You were talking a little bit in particular about Watson and Watson's impact on certain maps. Would love to have you explain to kind of the viewers here your thoughts on that Watson and crypto team comp and how it's effective or maybe not so effective.
I mean, it's a new concept for us in EU and NA, I think. Most of us are not playing it. We've been trying it out a lot in scrims, and I feel like the comp, it works on Stormpoint because the buildings are designed in a way where it's harder to break defenses, along with the map being bigger, so you have more space to like control with. You don't really play that close range like you do on World's Edge. I'm not a big fan of the comp on World's Edge because you're playing way too close to each other. It's just so easy to swing in the open, break the Watson gen, and then a couple nades, a GB ulti, you're dead. Yeah. So I think definitely prefer the comp on Stormpoint over World's Edge because it's just easier to control space on that map than it is on World's Edge.
Interesting. So Stormpoint a little more effective in your eyes, and really cool to hear that you actually were also playing as that team comp just to understand what it feels like and what works, what does not work. I like that preparation. But hey, great to have Hakis on the desk here joining us. Of course, getting some coaches, players to join us for some perspective. I tweeted it earlier, but we'll have Hodsik joining us a little bit later. Killer Pigeon, Xenox, always a pleasure as well. Game 3, well, it's done and dusted. First 3 games of this series. 3 more games to go where we will find out if G2 can clutch up and make it to the top 10 to continue their run through the losers bracket, or Invictus Gaming, or Ascend, or will we continue to see Space Station Gaming and a lot of the APAC teams that are performing incredibly well, the Indonesian squad in particular, showing up in Revenant. We'll find out because game number 4 on Stormpoint is coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Quick break, and we got game number 4.
back, ladies and gentlemen, to Stockholm, Sweden. Rain Day Gaming and James Bardoff here on the cast. It is time for games 4, 5, and 6, where we begin the back half of this stage of our first losers bracket. However, the most important thing to note, James, this is the first round that we've seen in this tournament over the course of a day and a half that will send teams home if they're not in the top 10.
Yeah, and there's a lot of teams who you wouldn't expect to be in that precarious situation, such as G2, IG, Detonator as well, with the way they've been playing. Kick not doing so well either, and Totem are having a nightmare. So there's still a chance for them to turn things around, but those chances are starting to run out now. We have 3 games remaining in this series of matches, and it's time to really start to put a bigger imprint on these matches to come. G2 finishing 3rd in their last game, but still only good enough for 11th place currently.
Wow. Not what anyone would have expected coming into this. I know a lot of fans around the world are surprised and still hoping. There is hope, and that means 3 games, anything that happened in the first 3 can swap and happen to another team, or better in this one. But you certainly are hoping that on G2 side, things look brighter. Let's talk a little bit about what we've expected as far as the talent predictions. I know I had CLG coming out a little bit quickly. Maybe game 1 was a sign of things to come. Game 3 certainly was. They got the win there. They're looking strong, but there were a couple other teams specifically in that final circle that I think allow us, James, to say that there are teams definitely looking to pick it up and will have a chance against the other 10.
Yeah, I think as far as predictions go, as far as North American teams go, predicting them has been disastrous for the most part. But that's, you know, that there are pros and cons.
There are.
Obviously, we have big brands and we expect them to do well, but they have been making way for teams from different regions, Latin America, APAC North, APAC South, and that's
right.
what we're seeing. We're seeing a variety where I think people maybe wrote some of those teams off, and they're holding their own. We're seeing deep runs from Watson teams. We're not seeing W's, but we're seeing 4th places repeatedly, and plenty more than that with some of the more common setups from different teams in different regions as well. So it has been quite a shocker in terms of, I mean, you know, if you're especially from North America, those guys are certain they are the best region, but they are not seeing the best results. So it has been somewhat shocking recently, but what's been great is that finally we're seeing some stronger performances from the likes of CLG, currently sitting in 4th place after that victory in game number 3. They are on the rise.
This is where you start to see the stories that you tell after the tournament is over begin. Will these teams somehow make it through the drudgery of not only 2 more groups that they probably would not have wanted to play in, especially if they had the opportunity to qualify earlier on in the day into the grand finals, which will be tomorrow. Only 10 of our teams were able to do that. The rest on this journey waiting, watching, getting ready to see which 10 qualify from here. You mentioned another team that's been on, I think, from the EMEA side of things, underperforming, GMT. They have started to pick it up big time with a win, and obviously with a few high placements here, so they're very close to leading the group, if not leading, heading into this, James, and that's a strong sign as well.
Interestingly, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place in the current standings. GMT winning the 1st game in 2nd place. Space Station winning the 2nd game in 3rd place. CLG winning the 3rd game in 4th place. But who's in 1st place? It's Odic, who've got 6 kills, 8 kills, and 9 kills respectively, finishing P8, P2, and P12. So that is quite the mixed bag, but the consistency in the frags is allowing them to be joint first with GMT, both teams on 35 points. Space Station just behind on 32. So there are different ways to secure your position, but I don't know that many of these positions are secure just yet. Things can, and I'm sure will, change dramatically once we start to get into these games, the remaining games. We're only halfway through this series. Vega are currently in 8th place.
Yeah.
I'll be very impressed if they are able to hold that. The first 3 maps that we've seen today were pretty good for them. They finished 3rd and 4th in the last 2 games respectively, in 2nd and 3rd game. But here we are. Looks like we're going to be heading into Storm Point now. So it is a different kettle of fish, as they say where I'm from. Not sure what they say where you're from.
I'm not sure if they say anything like that where I'm from, but hey, you know what? I think I need to travel a little bit more. I'm certainly aware that we have started to travel in this journey that will lead 10 teams to, again, a little bit of a layover before they see their final destination, whether it's in the grand finals tomorrow or whether it is going home, unfortunately. And we will see 10 teams now go home if they cannot put a performance together. They have 3 to do it.
Okay.
And they've got a brand new map.
Sentinel.
Boleh.
Peluru
Udah
di sini.
48 ya, Bang.
Tadi di pick ini gua. Enggak deh.
Ada dia dari sana deh.
We should go right.
Udah kan? Mana ininya?
Itu sentinel di supply bin.
Gua ada 48 nih kamu.
Sebelah bin yang di mana, Im?
Nih.
Oke.
48 ya.
Dapat 48 ya, nice.
Yuk, let's go. Lewat sini kan?
41
kan?
gua ya. Iya.
Gua 21.
Kanan.
4.
Oke. 44 bagi gua
Boleh
1
lah,
dong, Max.
1 juga.
Nih drop 2 gua. Wah, kita lo cepet sih. Mana kita dah?
Ke Jurassic Park sih kita. Lewat Jurassic Park kayak. Jangan coba ngeluting tengah-tengah bulu
Bareng ya.
juga tuh.
Ini Jurassic Park masih
Ya. Lu udah ngedropin belum buat gua? 1.
Udah.
Di mana?
Di belakang. Dia belain dua-dua ya, kan?
Enggak.
Ya udah biarin lah.
Enggak gua ambil ini.
Dipingin anjir.
Dia bilang gua drop di sini.
Sakai. My bad. Salah gua. Salah.
Gua ada bolt level 2 enggak ada yang pakai shotgun mereka. Kalau ada shotgun ya. Mau dipitur Mim?
Enggak, masih kelut mereka sob. Boleh sih repeater, ada kali-kalian enggak sih?
Enggak ada. Gua drop ya, gua drop ini.
Itu gua ambilinnya sih. Itu ada standar stock ungu, Im. Itu enggak pakai.
Enggak. Ntar gua terpegang.
Gua enggak ada ulti ya, 63%.
Kita ngambil yang room ini dulu ya sih sini. Dia
Dia ke kanan.
Kanan mana?
Udah di rumah bawah. Nih.
Dia rumah di bawah.
Iya, di bawah.
Tuh. Gua ini.
Sama crack.
Ya. Gue coba try. Gue lagi nyoba ngeliatin. Gue sentinel
udah dari sini terus gua ke
dia nge-pick mati nih.
Connect.
Nice.
Biar gua jaga sisi antenanya ya. Gua jaga belakang kalian.
Go, bro. Iya, ada fakult gak sih lo?
90 masih.
Tanah. Oh, gua liatin sini dah.
Ada Axel sih di bawah. Perlu gua ambil gak?
Dorong.
Dari mana? Balik yuk.
Gua ada ulti sih, gua ada ulti.
Balik bawah sih, Mim. Sini.
Iya, tapi dia langsung balik gitu.
Ambil tomatnya.
Gua ada ulti ya.
Gua lagi bingung mau kemana nih, kita ngulti. Nyari tempat langsung aja masuk ah.
Iya, kita ke sini nih kalau mau.
Mana? Tanda lu?
Sih. Baru kita fuck out.
Ya, boleh.
Sampai gak? Gak tahu gua.
Nyampe kan? Max?
Nyampe, cuma kita nggak tahu mau kemananya kan?
Kesini ya gimana Max?
Boleh. Ulti ya?
Lumayan tuh. Iya. Bisa kan ke situ?
Bisa.
Ke tanda gue bisa kan?
Bisa. Soalnya zona pasti kayaknya daerah bawah.
Iya.
Bawah dari zone. Kalau ada, gue belok ke launcher bawah ya.
Iya.
Di rumah ini ada orang. Sini.
Ada ya?
Nggak ada.
Nice.
Kita putih tapi di open.
Gua ada sentinel kok. Banyak gua tapi siapa nih Max kasih lu kar kan? Gua kasih lu like tuh. Kasih gua happy. Semua happy lu.
Udah, 60 doang emang.
Udah, tuh. Kalau mau.
Sekarang perlu gua popping gak ini?
Nggak perlu sih. Gua 41 doang sih. Ada yang
Gua
lebih?
22 doang.
Kita dikit sih. Kita sambil rumah gak sih, Bel?
Gue lagi nyari nih.
Coba lihat di launchpad, Bel. Di rumah tadi ada gue lihat. Rumah ini. Rumah yang biasa.
Ada satu squad nih. Di launchpad ya dia. Lagi nggak ini deh. Lagi nggak gituin apa namanya? Crafting deh. Nggak ngeliat kita deh. Bisa kita 1 2 3 nih.
Oke.
Lihat tuh.
Jibia keluar tuh.
Tuh.
Jibia mas crack. Awas jangan sampai ketahuan.
Lo Gibi.
Dia tau putih.
Dia
tau kita putih.
Bubble. Jibia body apa ya? Biru ya?
Body biru.
Akseleran lo ada berapa, Meh?
Satu doang.
Gua ulti aja ya kali ya.
Ada yang walk up ke kanan. Ada yang mau crack nih di sini Jibia.
Nice.
Bubble ya.
Nice.
Gua agresif dikit ya.
Iya.
Oke. Dan terlalu tapi ya.
Iya, gua liatin coba belakang. Reset kita dikit banget sih ya.
Dia mau nggak mau balik tuh, yang gua crack tadi.
Ya usir aja, usir Max, nice.
Ya kesini Dan ya. Lari kesini mereka. Masih di belakang itu deh.
Oke.
Koseknya plus sini. Lari ke kiri deh.
Bel menurut gua ya Bel, kita stay sini aja karena zona bakal ke bawah sih.
Iya, tadi lu juru ngambil
udah ngomong ya? Udah.
Lu
Iya.
ngambil rumah, sekarang di sini.
Terbang dia.
Ya terbang, lihat. 70, pokernya 70.
Gua mau bang gue.
Flash tuh dia.
Gua ada 4 net, 1 bolt 2 enggak kepake. 3-2 doang. Dia terbang ke kanan, ke sini.
Bisa Max.
Gua enggak
Gua repeater nih. Lu liatin itu gua ya. Ini gua.
Hah?
Lu liatin aja. Gua coba cari angle. Ditembakin dia. Ntar. Lu liat gua nih. Oh my god, perfect angle. Here, ngeliat ya. Pantek lah, aman dia rupanya sob. Balik gua. Oh,
ada tem.
Selo dikit, selo habis kan?
Selo ya dikit.
Iya, gua paling nggak ngesul sih.
Sil aja.
Buat battery kah?
Ungu ya. Cuma 9 lagi kok, 2 hit dong.
Gua 4-1 doang nih. Gua pengen biruin doang, habis itu udah nggak ngepick lagi aja.
Anjir, untuk kita gak pernah di rumah depan tadi di Jurassic anjing.
Iya.
Di belakang kita ada orang anjing.
Untung ngeliatin belakang loh.
Cepet banget loh yang hitin belakang tadi.
Iya. Untung Max juga ngomongnya iniin belakang. Ada yang nge-zipline di ke atas. 2 orang nge-zipline ke atas.
Gua lihat di atas dia ngepick. Berarti mau kita ntar perang sama dia dong.
Dia agresif banget anjing.
Iya, dia nyari angle tuh.
7 doang, 7.
Baterai jam.
Mas.
Ini dia agresif banget anjing.
Ya, ini orang mau nyari angle ke kita nih.
Kalau dia perangin, kita harus coba perang sih. Gue langsung pop up sentinel gue.
Gue nunggu arm shield gue dulu.
Ulti lo ada kan, Bel? Mending ulti dulu.
Ada, iya.
Menurut gua udah gak bisa nge-pick terlalu jauh sih, nge-flank jauh-jauh gitu.
Berani banget ya kayak gitu ya. Udah huruf kok ya.
Yang di launchpad gak ada scan zone, jadi dia gak tahu zona kemana soalnya. Dan ulti ya Bel, ingetin dong.
Iya.
Itu Gibi tadi Bel?
Iya.
Gak berani nge-pick lagi deh. Padahal dia udah berhasil 3 anjing, tapi masih nge-pick, aneh banget.
Fakut deh, nice.
Oke.
Kita bisa ini battery
crafting.
Iya. Lihat lo.
Kalau mau kalian aja sih, biar gua jaga sini.
Mana Bel?
Balik dia. Enggak jadi, balik dia. Balik ke
Ngeliat
tower.
spot doang kah?
Balik.
What the?
Nice ngomong balik gitu.
Berarti mau nggak mau kita perang sama dia, Bel. Dia nggak ada Valkyrie lagi kalau dia nggak ada acceleran.
Oh di
bisa dia
ada,
nyantai.
di atas,
Nyantai ada. Sampai dia nge-push baru kita nge-push.
Di atas masih zone dia.
Iya, masih zone. Dia main di belakang juga
masih di pintu itu.
Di pintunya ya.
Pintu
kecil banget zone.
Ya, nggak apa. Kita menyantai sini ya pokoknya. Turun deh ke bawah ya 1 orang.
Nice pressure aja biar dia nggak kesini.
Tekan dari gua kar kok.
Gua lepas ini mouse gua. Megang ini biar gak dingin maksudnya.
Pantek, petir rupanya. Kira park out anjing.
Mana dia Bel?
Di tower ya? GB 2 di situ. Tower men mereka. Di masih ring dah, di bawah juga masih ring dah. Di sini juga masih ring nih.
Takut-takut dia main tuh.
Di the bawah-bawah ini nih masih main. Masih ring.
Gua
Aman tuh dia.
gak ada shotgun ya.
Kita semua nggak ada.
Gak ada shotgun ya.
Berarti
Kita
kalau
apa ya?
nge-app,
Kalau gue tahu ya.
kalau nge-app bubble, langsung di app aja ya, jangan di ini, ngerti nggak? Maksud gua jangan main jiggle pick.
Kenapa Max?
Senjata lo apa?
Wingman repeater gua.
Anjing dua-duanya. Lu mau ganti wingman lu sama Kar gua nggak?
Gua make.
Gua nggak boleh, lu nggak boleh tap dua-duanya anjing.
Boleh tuh, Karnya him, kasih him.
Boleh dah.
Ayo kasih wingman-nya. Kar tuh lumayan.
Tapi peluru gua dikit.
Gua
Sama. Happy lu berapa?
Berapa?
Up. Nah, kasih gue sini nggak apa sih? Gue cuma bisa kasih 20 doang tuh kalau like. Terus 80 aku.
Wingman mah 40 peluru, 20 peluru juga jadi kayak dah.
Iya, gua 40.
Udah.
Nice.
Tes rifle dia. Bel, kalau misalnya zone nggak di sini, kita bisa perangin dia nggak sih, Tad?
Enggak, Max, enggak perang. Jangan perang.
Oke.
Jangan perang. Kecuali dia ngapus kita, baru kita perang. Kalau dia nggak ngapus kita nggak perang sama dia.
Oke. Paham. Tapi gue yakin zona ke bawah sih, katanya.
Gue yakin zona bakal kesini nih. Ada juga sih zona yang di sini sih. Lihat sih. Ada orang sini. Wah, kan ada ke atas. Harus gue nyari spot ke.
Kalau nyari spot saran gue bisa mungkin bahwa ini nggak ada yang ngambil nih sisi kiri kanannya, salah satunya. Tapi kita ngecek itu nggak tahu gimana.
Nggak ini sih. Aduh. Dia nyoba liatin tuh, dia mungkin nyoba mau gituin kita kali gitu kan.
Ada di bawah sini. Crack satu.
Kita makan yang jauh. Gua di belakang.
Gua crack.
Di mana dia? Di kanan kah?
Di pojok situ.
Oke, gue liatin. Gue juga liatin.
Gua di belakang.
Crack 70.
Gua net lagi.
Knock satu dia. 70 flash, mati satu.
Gua nggak bisa maju ya.
Dulu.
Ada just rifle. Net udah gua habisin lagi, goblok lah.
Dia ada orang ya. Dia nge-pick sini nih. Sob, yang belakang kita.
Di mana
coba? Nih batu atas. Gibi kayak di belakang. Gak tau dah. Fakri doang tadi di atas ini, Bal.
Oke.
Dia mau coba ituin kita, Sob.
Nge-grief mungkin. Ini udah lari nih yang gini.
Fakri kah?
Iya.
Nice.
Itu dia di pojok-pojokan itu tuh him, betul ya?
Iya.
Tapi kita bisa kalau misalnya ke ini ke fucked up sih. Kalau kita mau perangin ini. Kira-kira pakai bubble gua terus kita end gitu bisa nggak ya?
Tapi anti bang masih walk up sih. Enggak ada ya?
Taruh. Gak ada teman orangnya di mana? Bentar, gue lagi nyari.
Oh ya Bel, itu ada deadbox berarti di ujungnya. Boleh nggak gue loot?
Ada loot, boleh ambil. Hati-hati dari atas lu ya Max ya. Dari sini bisa ditembak lo.
Iya.
Gas triple deh. Ambil, lari ke belakang lagi. Seal ambil banyak.
Gue masih liatin belakang.
Ya, seal banyak nggak?
Banyak.
Kita blind leave out nih soalnya.
Banyak.
Nice.
12-1.
Ayo vault yuk.
Yuk, drop dulu sih soalnya.
Baru drop dulu sih lah ya, gue juga ngecas dulu.
6 dong bisa gue drop ya. Dia ultra bang Bel.
Ya, ayo. Biar itu cari spot. Oke. Berdepan. Kesini nih.
Dari kiri.
Dari situ Max, dari sini. Kanan sini, paling kanan pojok belakang.
Oke.
Belakang banget sini. Di sini belakang ini.
Oke.
Ada orang. Di gua.
Problem. Nice.
Di gua.
Yap. Ada orang di belakang kita.
On me.
Nggak ada bubble lah.
Di sini.
Gua juga aman di sini kok.
Oh my god, I'm still alive.
Nice.
Gua liat belakang lu.
Medkit.
Enggak ada.
Sini saya lo. Ke gua juga aman, ke gua please, ke gua
Iya.
please.
Oke,
Ke gua dulu.
Oke,
Phoenix
oke.
Nim. Ambil Nim. Phoenix tuh.
Koper dari sini dong.
Di belakang kita dulu lihat nih. GB crack. GB 130 di belakang. Kita GB ulti. Bubble
Dom
ada
sini,
kan?
dom sini.
Gak ada 9 detik anjing.
Oke.
Oke.
Di gua. No, 5 detik lagi. Main shield gua, Bel.
Oke.
Lu dia maju ya.
Lihat
Shield gua. Belakang lagi, Bel.
Gua gak gerak.
Oh.
Tadi
Bus
ke
gua
kiri
habis,
kosong
anjing.
juga tuh, Bel.
Hah?
Di kiri dekat laba-laba.
Iya kah? Ada orang di situ yang main Max?
Iya, tapi di sininya di sisi kiri sini nih.
Di sini kan?
Di sisi kiri di
Laba-laba
sini
kan?
sodot-sodot itu bisa dimainin.
Laba-laba ini. Tanda gua.
Iya, bukan di laba-laba ya, di sisi kirinya di bawahnya lagi.
Bawahnya lagi.
Tapi nggak apa-apa, Master.
Di luar zone itu.
Di dalam. Kan ini masih di tengah-tengah aja. Di tengah-tengah di peluncuran tengah-tengah itu kan ada sudut gitu. Dan ada batu.
Laba-laba mana sih?
Find some breathing room. Scars eliminated as well. They were getting popped by a wingman about a minute ago, and it seems they've got nothing else to say in game number 4 of this series.
Well, we've got Space Station rounding out that corner and holding it down. Obviously, we've got Audic, our leader in the lobby, still alive. G2 as well as Crazy Raccoon in the same building in Stormcatcher. So keeping an eye on the way these 12 squads are going to have to meet. It seems like Zen is not going to have to move almost at all, and so it's up to Space Station to try to maybe craft a little bit of space to move forward through the teams that are now looking to gatekeep them, and that is actually Invictus Gaming. Bryn, who is running away, trying to get to the southern side, closer to the zone. We've also got Detonator inside of here, which is what Space Station seem to be looking at, but they're finding a hard time really getting involved, but that's a big spray as well. It's about 110 with a purple shield. Frexes, though, still not comfortable moving forward.
Looking at the map, it seemed that nobody really was in the next zone at all. It seems that everyone's trying to avoid getting stuck in a sandwich, playing on the edge for the time being. GameWave are in a very dicey situation as well, unless they've got a launch to move forward at pace. But now that zone will start to close and everybody's got to press forward, and these reses are going to be even more difficult as we see Zenile looking for more. And there go the Detonator team. That's 11 squads remaining now. They still need to get dropped back into the game if they can, but first they've got to get the banner. So there is much work for them to do, and they might not have the space to do it. A defensive caustic gas thrown just to try and create some space. I don't think they're getting the banner back in time. There are so many people coming their way. Arcstars as well. Space Station may not survive this.
But they're going to try to. Frexes, he goes down, but it's Zenile who stays alive. And then can he skyward dive? No, it's going to get canceled. He decides against it, and he's going to hit a battery as he slides down the hill, just trying to stay out of the line of sight. And he's doing a decent job at it. He's got an armor swap, but he's now going to abandon that to try to find a better position. But look at this, a solo Valkyrie in the middle of this lobby. I don't see it happening for much longer, and that is going to be that. It is Zen who helps take that out, and Zenile actually will get cleaned up by Invictus Gaming. So a team we just mentioned weren't showing up in final circles are here.
The Vault is absolutely lethal at these medium ranges. Kick enjoying high grounds, and they are exposing people trying to hide behind a rock, but they're on the wrong side as far as Kick are concerned. So much KP opportunity for them moving through the flat line as well. They've crafted the good, and they're looking to make it pay for them. We've got the domes out, we've got the bombardments as they look for anything moving in their screens. There's again nowhere to go, trying to find cover. They're going to crack some more players, but can they get some more KP from this? 10 kills for Kick as there are 7 squads remaining.
Kick setting themselves up on the high ground. This is totally the spot that you would want to be on, but there's still a lot of work to do. Reply Totem, Amaz hiding out as a solo in between, and they've got V3, 1Tappy as well in the similar position. But you see GameWith holding that southwest side. If you're looking at it from down to upside on the hill, it is going to be a pretty easy rotation with everybody in front of them, because you know at the bottom, Audic and Invictus Gaming sharing that kind of open area building encampment do not want to move. They are in the best spot. But James, this is an opportunity for GameWith to see what does the Watson do, considering such a setup legend, when they've got to move into another zone.
Yeah, you can see Audic just trying to move into the next zone. It's almost a stalemate in that regard, because they've got to keep an eye on all the teams in front of them, but they've got IG to the side. But IG can go wide while the ring moves in slowly and then try to poke back in once again. So that's going to be very nervous for both of them. Plenty of anxiety down below, but moving up towards the top, it's even worse for GameWave. They are surrounded in many, many directions. They've got the odd rock to play with, but again, look at the angles being served to Kick. So much opportunity, and there's plenty of ammo as well, at least on the R301. Chaotic Much has got a lot of chances to get some more KP and really get a nice score for his team. Odic, let's not forget, they are top at the moment, and there's no sign of GMT, so while they've got 1 KP at the moment, they'll get the placement, of course, and they're looking to do even better and really secure their position.
Victus Gaming holding just by a thread of a life, and Kick realized that though things have gotten chaotic, that has been good for them. Chaotic Much with 7 kills, and the kill leader, he's going to find a beam here to try to finish off the downed player, but 11 kills on the side of Kick. They've climbed up into 20 just in this game, and now they're going to try to find 21. They can't quite do it yet, but that will be V3 Vega gone. It is Kick. Ukshako finding that kill. He's still got a phase breach to boot.
They are feeling themselves now, looking to hunt IG. You are surrounded. Put your hands up. IG are gone. 15 kills for Kick, and there's still more to go. Odic trying to stay alive now. They're distracted by other fire coming their way. And we could see an outrageous game from Kick. Where has this come from? We can see GameWave trying to hide actually on the corner. So they may be playing for second place here, surely, as Kick are looking to charge for first. Odic find themselves surrounded now. They are the meat in the sandwich, and they don't like it, the taste of this.
Are you kidding me? A 15-kill game from Kick with the potential to make it, I can't even say this number, 3 more, 2 more on the other side. It's nearly 20 kills possible for them, but GameWith is trying to get into the action. They've got 3 squads left. GameWith holding the high ground, but they're with the Watson. The Watson is down. It's Matsutasu who's got to find the answer, but he's got to hit the shield battery here just quickly. Kick still putting pressure into Odic, who are carefully balancing between both teams who want to go exactly where they are, and Odic are going to be the ones to finally get a kill as GameWith will push, and it will open up the door from Kick to be able to make this move now that Matsutashu is going to have to do something.
Yeah, he's going to lose position before anybody else, so he's just got to run to his doom, and it's a contest to see who can get the KP, and the Kick will get 1 more. Now, Odic, is this the run for you guys? Because Kick are looking very dangerous indeed. Down to the last dome now. Point blank range. All of Kick still standing. And they will take the victory. A monstrous game from them. Maybe the highest kill count we have seen this whole weekend.
That could be 19 kills for Kick as they kick down the doors of this lobby. They are trying to survive, and they are certainly looking like they are on the right path for that. Game 4 starts off emphatically and finishes just the same way. The celebrations from Kick, well deserved.
Absolutely. They had 5 points at the beginning of this match. They were in 18th place, and things are going to change dramatically. That came out of absolutely nowhere. Firing all the nukes in match number 4. That was a monstrous game from Kick. The highest kill count I can remember is 17, I think.
I think they beat that.
I think they have to have beaten that. I never do maths on the stream, never a good idea, but I can't wait to see the scores on the doors once we get there. I think they had at least 10 kills on just one of their players, so my God, that is one way to galvanize your squad for the final 2 games as well. They've really put the scores on the doors on that one.
Well, you're going to have a game like that to get everyone pumped up, get them energetic, because you've got to do it here, but you've got to do it again and again. And 31 points, one of the biggest, if not the biggest game that we have seen on stream here in the playoffs, with 19 kills coming out of nowhere in 18th place, James. That's certainly going to put them within the top 10.
Yeah, that's about a third of the server, and they've got so many kills that the first page is looking like a drought, as the second page normally is. Moving over to the second page, nothing but zeros, because people were harvested. They were put in the meat grinder, and there was nothing to show when they came out. Zeros everywhere. CLG had a good start, but that wasn't the game for them. But again, they've done good for the most part. But again, Kick, just so many points from that one game. That is a monstrous performance, and we'll see just how monstrous now as we look to the individual plays. 11 kills for Chaotic Much. You couldn't ask more from him in that game.
Hayarka as well, just holding it down with 2,000 damage. Ikshako as well. Every single player on this team has a 2K or above. And oh my goodness, 5 3 and 11. This is just a team effort, and you can tell by the assists. Usually it's not that high.
Yeah.
Individually, there's lots of performances that we've seen match what Chaotic Much has done. But in terms of assists, I don't think anyone has come this close to having that many group team kills.
Yeah, that was a flow state game, it feels like. The way they were moving down the slope, they didn't even need to necessarily do that, but they saw opportunity, they felt the opportunity, and they seized it time and again, and they made that work. That was fantastic to watch from Kick.
It was one of the games that maybe changed the feeling of this lobby, and to do it on Stormpoint as well might just show that if you are a Kick fan, you have got a lot to be excited about. They jump up from 18 to 3, a 15-point climb in just one game. What does that mean for the rest of the lobby? I would be worried, especially if you're Space Station, CLG, and GMT. You cannot stay content, which is what all those teams did in terms of their points.
Again, looking at G2, still in the bottom half. That really sticks out like a sore thumb in this bottom half, especially with everything else that we've been seeing. Detonator, another team who've had plenty of great performances, and as we have seen from Kick, it only takes one game. Problem is, there are only 2 games remaining.
And you've got, again, Crazy Raccoon, one of our representatives from APAC North that we think, as well as Ascend from EMEA, have the potential to maybe even be winners of this, have won major tournaments in their regions, and have been able to show up at the right time. Well, the right time is slimming down. We've got 2 more games left before we send 10 teams home for the first time here in the playoffs in Sweden. We'll see you in a moment. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Apex Legends playoffs here in Stockholm, Sweden. Rain Day, James Bardoff on the cast here for Game 5. And we've got some great finishes that just occurred if you missed the last 4 minutes of broadcast. It is Kick Esports who put together a 31-point game. And to give you a little bit of context, James, most games, if you're good and have a pop-off game, is 25 points.
Absolutely. And I'm starting to wonder maybe in future there should be some kind of bounty for the highest scoring game at LAN.
Oh, I love
right?
that. Yeah, I mean, there's a bounty for basically the highest scoring total kills. We call that the Apex Predator. They get some extra cash as well. That's in the rules. But for the highest scoring game, I think that's a good incentive.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like
Especially
that.
maybe mini
Pay attention.
trophies or something to go with that beautiful one, which I'm sure we will see more of tomorrow. But many of these teams won't be seeing more of that trophy because many of these teams will be ejected from the premises. Once this is all said and done, you really need to make sure you stay in this top 10. 2 games to go, and it is, well, the chances to climb are becoming slimmer and slimmer. But again, we can see how important just that one victory can be. You rack up those kills, and you can really make your way towards the top.
I mean, that's kind of what is amazing about this experience. You have one game, and it can change the way you feel about your chances at this tournament. But it is still a far cry from the work that has to get done to make it to tomorrow. For the teams who are watching now, they have to not only do this here, they've got to do it again. And it becomes a very daunting task, knowing top 10 here, and then guess what? My top 10 gets harder, because now we've got to go against the teams that lost in the first winner's bracket of today. I'm talking Elevate, I'm talking NRG, players. We've got crazy, AD Raccoon. We've got Empire, teams that, you know, we have considered maybe already confirmed for the finals. Now, these teams are going to have to do, but I think if you perform like Kick did, that's the confidence to say we can make it through.
Yeah, and I think Team Empire in that lobby are going to be real interesting because surely they've got to bring the business when it really counts, because there's no more time to mess around with people like them. And we know if they want to destroy a lobby, they will do so.
Right.
So I feel for whoever has to go and join them in that one. But hey, easier said than done. Let's not forget, we have seen a very different look to Apex Legends with all these different regions in these lobbies. Things that people are comfortable doing in their own region don't necessarily work as well as they used to with all these teams there. And there's certainly a lack of respect. And speaking of which, we'll see if there'll be more contests as these teams start to land. We saw 4 teams contesting across the map in our 4th match, but we start to move into our 5th. And we'll see if people start to get a little nervous now, as again, can't really afford to do these coin flips depending on your position. So maybe nerves will set in and people will settle for a weaker position.
One of the interesting things that we have to bring in to note is obviously Kick, where they are landing, looking to head southern and find their spot, hopefully uncontested through the squads. And it seems like we're going to have a couple of 50-50s to start off. It's going to be GMT and Finnel as well, 50-50. And we're going to see CLG and potentially FC Destroy at Mill. Now, this doesn't have to be a fight. We've seen this handled a lot of ways, especially with Optic Gaming. They actually love to take that fight, but sometimes when they were going at it against Sentinels, it wasn't really a...
Biru tuh jangan lupa ada di atas nggak, Alan? Just rifle. Just rifle.
Just rifle. Ada ininya nggak?
Nggak ada.
Bal,
Enggak, gue just rifle. Gue just rifle. Ya, ini gue kasih 13 nih.
Gua ada 30 juga.
Ada
Pantheon nggak?
Gua udah nih.
Lari dulu ayo, guys. Dia pasti bakal cepat itu lootnya.
Biru jangan lupa ya di rumah gua.
Gua nggak mau diperangin sama dia nih.
Ya, naik kanan ya.
Ya, naik kanan.
Dia crafting.
Gua kasih bulletin ya.
Biarin aja, jangan ditembak.
Ada apa
crafting
enggak?
biarin.
Ya, ada inian enggak kalian?
Apaan? 81 gua.
Kayak kali 6 gitu, 4 kali 8.
Enggak ada. 2 kali 4 ada sih, cuman gua pakai repeater.
Mau gua pakai kah? Gua just rifle. Nanti
Ada 48, ada 48.
Nice.
Nih kayak tim Jurassic Park denger ya, sob. Bertiga jalannya kalau bisa.
Cicil deh, Max. Chill dulu. Gua kemana anjing? Goblok. Diam dulu Max, him.
Ya, gua di 2
Liatin. Gua cek dulu bentar.
Jalan dia, udah.
Oh, ada jalan ya. Ya. 0 juga.
Kita lewat mana? Kiri apa terus?
Tuh, gua nembakin dulu bentar. Biru 1.
So mad.
Kiri apa terus?
So
Lurus
mad.
aja, lurus terus ke
Lihat
sini.
Lewat tengah ya.
Lihat itu tanda gua. Lihat
Iya
tanda gua.
lewat tengah, maksudnya ke tengah gitu lurus atau kanan.
Pokoknya di tanda gua. Intinya tanda gua.
Ada peluru idiotnya. Ada pelurunya banyak di bawah di tengah, sniper. Ada chest rifle
Boleh tuh
lagi.
Sisel.
Gua udah ambil. Gua butuh turbo. Sama heavy. Gol 384.
Gua 4-2 doang.
10-1. Ini gua drop 2.
10-1.
Gua 5-2.
Nope. Lu berapa, Im?
Sel aja kalian sekali enggak apa.
5-2.
Oke.
Kita terus ya kita.
Terus depan.
Lihat kiri.
Lihat depan ya, kiri. Oke.
Pada ulti udah.
Oke, ke depan terus saya pokoknya.
Wah ini masih kosong sih kayak ini.
Nih ini masih kosong nih pasti nih. Cuma kita harus deeper lagi.
Gak tahu gua. Iya.
Pokoknya ngedip terus saya.
Masuk terbang ke situ kak Bel? Berarti kita harus deeper gitu. Pasti kosong tuh menurut gua.
Mending di sana dulu gak sih?
Jalan dulu kah? Boleh
Mending
ya.
jalan dulu biar bisa dari sana.
Tapi oke.
Takut lu ada orang gitu kah? Telat sedetik gitu
Enggak,
kan?
gua ada via Axel. Maksudnya. Kalau si Max mau.
Kita harus nunggu dulu berapa lama loh?
Iya, jalan benar-benar. Gue setuju.
2 menit aja.
Jangan ditutup dong.
Nah, bet.
Oke.
Nah. Casket tuh harusnya udah duluan ke dalam malahan deh. Nggak mungkin dia main di situ. Buat apa dia main di situ? Gue pengen ngambil sini sih, kalau bisa.
Oke.
Di mana yang ini, Free? Kalian lihat belakang dong, belakang dong.
Iya.
Kita mau fakulti kan dari sini? Gua
iya deeper dulu. Gua megang pakai juga deh.
Menurut lo main dari sini bagus nggak sih? Lihat tanda gua dah.
Bagus. Emang tuh kosong.
Fakulti
kosong Bel.
Kosong.
Oke, gua ulti. Jangan sampai cancel sama laba-laba, cuy. Ya gas.
Batai, aduh, iya. Ayo gas.
12-1 gua.
Anjir. Pas buat gua hancur, pas buat ini nih, rumah ini.
Gua split ya guys, split aja. Satu rumah nggak sih? Satu.
Enggak sini.
Oh enggak split.
Sini.
Oke. Kenapa Bel kita nggak split Bel? Kalau boleh tahu.
Iya kan kita turun, kalau ada orang gimana? Kan kita nggak tahu 100% apa enggak ininya.
Gua kira lo udah cek semua. Oke, maaf.
Ya nggak mungkin. Nggak mungkin inilah Max. Drone gue nyampe dari situ ke sini Max.
Nggak bisa lihat dalam.
Kick mati ya.
Nice. Ya.
Oh my god, we have a god spot.
Boleh nih, baru kalian mau ngelut. Gue juga mau ngelut.
Ya gue mau ngelut.
Gue bisa ya. Gue di kiri.
Yap. Gue liatin kalian dah kalau gitu.
Ada ini, ada kali 6, ada heavy mag.
Kali
ada ini.
Boleh sih heavy.
Ada R9 juga tuh.
Ada
ada mobil.
Di mana tuh?
Ada ngambil 2 kali 3-4 gua anjing. Siapa yang ngambil 2 kali 3-4?
Enggak.
Ada repeater juga, ada sel.
Boleh dah heavy tuh, gua liatin dulu ya.
Tukar tempat aja. Biar gua tempat lo. Lu ambil aja tempat gua. Lu butuh heavy mag ya game?
Iya.
Satu.
Gua ambil tadi. Ini gua balikin.
Pokoknya intinya ada yang liatin sini nih satu.
Iya,
harus.
Gua tukar senjata. Tukar ini sama hal yang. Oke.
Gak mau gua nge-split anjing. Mending gak usah dah. Nge-split. Satu split aja.
Satu ini.
Dua rumah.
Ya,
rumah.
biar Lahim Max saya yang kalau mau split.
Iya. Jangan sih, menurut gue jelek banget anjing. Aduh,
bisa di app masalahnya langsung.
Kalau mau heavy bilang ya, Him.
Yep. Holy shit, I don't believe we got this shit, man.
Iya, bro.
Anjing, kok bisa? Nah. Banyak
Bel,
peluru Bel.
Gua pernah
banyak,
latin belakang aja
140.
Bel ya. Di sini doang kan yang perlu gua latin.
Cuman di situ. Lo harus liatin terus, Max, nggak boleh ngeliat apapun. Itu aja
Oke.
udah.
Oke.
Mau gua bilang, ini lo banget nih, nggak boleh lo ngeliat yang lain.
Woi, apa
Ayo,
ini?
bentar. Sini
Oke.
crack.
Oh, Gua kira-
Jauh banget.
Peluru lu banyak kan?
Banget.
Ini ada
Gitu lo
peluru
bisa
juga.
puas.
Iya.
Ada
itu gua
ada
sengaja
Phoenix di bawah zipline gua ambil boleh nggak?
taruh. Iya, boleh.
Gua latin bentar ya. Satu timing jelek
Iya,
kan.
gua. Bel, bisa dapat kill gak situ Bel?
Ya, I'll try, man.
Pakri Bel.
Lo. Flash. 6 doang anjing.
Udah tinggalin.
6 flash doang.
Pokoknya gua ngeliatin sini lu Bel. Nih.
Ada kanan sampai nutup ya. Iya,
lu bisa lepas banget main di atas.
Oke.
Cuman
Gua percaya lo.
ada tahu juga sih belakang takutnya. I don't know. I think I'm with you Bel.
Sini nih, lo.
Dapat lu.
Nice.
Nice.
Scars itu matiin.
Gua nggak bisa lihat apa-apa selain zipline ya pokoknya.
Ya.
Biar
Gak lihat
bisa
lu gak boleh lihat
Ya.
apapun sama sekali.
kecuali lu call ya.
Ya kecuali gua call.
Soalnya Zundum
Kalau gua
masih-
bilang nih liatin, tapi nggak ada nama lu, jangan pernah pergi dari situ.
Yep. Terus up komsnya up nice. I like it.
Pan. Delete lagi nih, 61 lagi.
Merah sih kalau bisa. Enggak deh. Gak usah lah ya.
Ada terbang
Tuh.
nggak?
Nggak ada.
Lu ngekal gua aja kayak tadi boleh.
Kalau yang benar-benar
Him.
sure kill bisa, baru gue ini.
Iya.
Terbang.
Terbang liatin.
Oh 50.
Gue hit yang siapapun, crack, Valkyrie,
Gila.
dan flash.
Ini.
Fucked up tadi harusnya.
One thing Bel gua matain. Ini orang nggak bisa ubing gua di situ kan?
Enggak, ubing di sini jatuh, Gue udah pernah
enggak.
nyoba, langsung jatuh.
Lu kalau di ubing gua beam anjing sob.
Iya.
Serius. Ini open banget anjing kayak gini. Gua beam anjing.
Ya kalau misalnya
Percaya sama
kejadian
gua.
ya gua diturunin gua langsung masuk ke
Iya.
dalam.
Oh, kalau lu langsung naik plan aja. Bebas deh ke bawah.
Nggak bisa kalau ke zipline bagi harus dibunuh tuh orang. Kita
Belakang
masih
ada orang Bel, belakang ada orang. Jalan.
Iya belakang ini nih.
Liatin.
36.
Fokus kita sih itu. Gue pengen ke ini. Gue pengen main rumah ini di atas tatapnya.
Silakan. Mencet rifle juga dia. 42.
Nak satu
Body
dia.
slam-
Dia pantai ke sana nah.
Serius.
Iya.
Dia bakal full agresif ke sana kayaknya.
Iya, nanti dia fakulti ke sana tuh.
Lo fokus situ aja Bella, gua liat zipline lu kok.
Iya.
Di finish gak tuh? Iya, lu selalu liat Jiban Max. Oh my god, nice. Ini Pakri, bel.
Jangan dia fakult. Dia mau ke sana tuh. Lihat itu, Im. Son. Terus saya liatin. Datang ke situ dia pasti.
Bel.
Gue lagi nge-reload.
Crack.
Mana?
Di sini di crack.
Gak lihat.
Dari angle gua Bel, kalau mau Bel.
Taruh Gibi di gua, aduh. Gibi. Valkyrie crack. Flash. My mouse, bro.
Woi. Maju deh Bel.
Oke. Valkyrie 48. Crack.
I miss my fucking hold shot, man. Ini solo nih, Bel.
Temennya kah? Balik lagi deh. Temennya itu. Crack. Flash. Flash banget, 20 flash. Gua gantian ke tempat ini. Him liatin gue ya, Him ya. Liat gue nih, gue di mana nih.
I
Gue
know.
pengen nyoba fuck upin lagi juga.
Oke. Bikin dia ngusir ke sini, Bel.
Iya.
Gua dapat angle ya.
Tenang, dapat embelnya harusnya. Dia tadi nge-fuck upin dari sana soalnya.
Kita bisa walk up sih menurut gua ntar. Nggak perlu fakulti, menurut gua aja ya.
Bro. Enak banget nih, spot gue enak banget.
Terus. Ada fakulti Bel, balik lagi sana.
Iya. Aduh dia charge triple lagi. Gua nge-sell dulu.
Depan gua ada orang Bel, di batu.
Oke. Itu yang Valkyrie ult-nya.
Bel, di gua Bel.
Ando ya.
Gua
Sas.
Lihat aja tuh ungu satu tuh. Gua
Max,
lihat depan dia ya,
lihat
gua lihat depan
belakang
dia.
Gua mau ulti sih, Max.
Mau ulti kah?
Bisa sih gua ulti free kill itu.
Jiplane gua lepas gini.
Lo di ulti, kita di ulti kah?
Iya, kita di ulti. Gua ulti dia juga. Fokus
Iya.
ini, fokus apa?
Iya, fokus.
Max lu bisa fokus itu, Max.
Liatin Max.
Oke. Gua flank jauh ya.
Iya.
Gua keyin. Dia kayak maju deh.
Enggak lihat gua di situ. Hati-hati Max, lu di open itu.
Iya ya. Gua kelihatan dia dari mana soalnya, kemana soalnya.
Ya gua iya.
Enggak ada lagi dari sini. Dia kayak udah maju gitu. Ada yang Valkyrie lagi ya.
Iya. Kita kayak main di sini deh. Udah diambil ya ini ya? Enggak, emang dia di situ sih.
Udah.
Main ini gak sih? Main ke situ gak sih? Coba ambil Ki kalian.
Di mana?
Ini tanda gua.
Sekarang
kosong kah?
Putih doang. AC putih. Bisa kita Valkyrie.
Gua kap. Oh, di kanan ada juga, Bel.
Iya, hati-hati yang kanan. Yang kanan just
Enggak apa-apa, kita maju nih.
Taruh. Kita fakultas kali ya? Putih tuh deh.
Boleh sih.
Fakut ke dia.
Iya. Fakut ke dia yuk.
Boleh. Ayo.
Putih deh.
Ayo, kita merah ungu-ungu.
Sini di gua.
Sekarang
Tunggu lahim. Ayo.
Yuk.
Ke dia ya, kita
Ke dia. Benar-benar ke dia.
Kalau bisa jangan sampai knock ya.
Tandain lagi dong.
Ini nih. Langsung ke dalam ya, ke tengah-tengah. Oke. Langsung dum sini, di bawahnya ini, di paling bawah.
Iya.
Masuk ke dalam ini, terus dum sini. Tuh. Dum.
Mim.
Udah.
Bel.
Strike low. Iya, low.
Usir aja.
Low dia.
Iya.
Maju. Masuk dia nyantai. Kita dapat tempat.
We have zone.
Iya, chill.
Enggak bisa di situ.
Di gua save.
Iya, sama.
Di gua masih save.
Duo kayaknya tuh orang.
Dia enggak di ring tuh.
Ya.
Ada Fakulti juga nih.
Iya.
Di belakang kita guys, belakang kita.
Oke.
2 tim.
Lokit.
Depan gua.
12. Garing dia.
Awas ya.
Dia kan yang Max liatin dari situ Max, yang tadi ke ini. Lihat ini. Ini Max, low lagi.
Ya, lu berdua.
Lagi portal. Lihat portal lah. Knock.
Nice.
Fucked up tuh temannya liatin. Valkyrie.
I got Citon. Itu orang di bawah dua-duanya crack, dua-duanya crack yang di bawah yang duo.
Golti.
Lihat sini dong.
Golti.
Aman. Ada tim. Bel. Di gua.
Di gua aman juga nih.
Gua ngelut dulu.
Itu di bawah dua ya.
Ada lagi.
Gua.
Fuck, man. Sebenarnya best spotnya tuh di sini juga bisa nih di gua nih.
Di mana?
Dari gua nih, di gua nih.
Oke.
Nih, tanpa kena hit sedikit pun.
Saya bilangin
Nah, ini bawah ini duo.
Ada sisa
dia ke kanan. Kita perangin yang ini ya. Dengerin gua.
Oke.
Gua bakal crypto ult ini, lu nge-pick di sini ya.
Oke.
Ayo, go, nge-pick. Just pick that.
Mana?
Cari. Dia lari ke jauh ke depan.
Jalan ya kita?
Kita cari ke depan sini lah. Ayo, sini.
Max.
Oke.
Ke gua. Ada orang
di atas dia. Ungu itu orang yang di atas lo. Gua enggak ada baterai ya.
Ada orang. Valkyrie ult lo ada gak?
Enggak ada. Kalau enggak dapet. Dapat cuman pas-pasan banget. Gua ngelup bentar ya. Soalnya ada baterai. Atau ada
kasih pressure aja, Sob. Kasih pressure aja.
Iya, lo alatin dulu sih. Cari pressure lo.
Yang kanan, tim kanan.
Iya.
Ini mesti sih. Oh, 2 tim anjing.
Iya, di sini 1, di belakang 1.
Oh, ini kayak perang dah. Yang belakang ini kayak perang sama yang ini, Sob.
Enggak, yang ini di sini dia save dia di sini. Dia lagi di tanda gua sekarang. Lagi jalan mereka. Bisa kita jalan yuk.
Oke.
Bokongin dia.
Jangan lupa healing him ya. Bel.
Bilang kalau ada fakut ya. Berapa persen lagi fakut?
88.
Gua butuh sisa.
Gua enggak ada sel. Gua 4 sel 3 battery.
Gua drop
kan kalian tuh.
Gua drop di sini. Bagi aja.
Kita bisa main di sini enggak sih, jalan gitu ke depan? Di dalam
bisa.
bawah ini.
Kita walk. Gua dapat ulti Bel 5% lagi.
Oke.
Dapat nih.
Kalau pindah kanan nih. Pasti hampir crack. Gua pengen main di kanan sih.
Gua ada ulti, Bel.
Kanan nih masih
Gua ada
ring
ulti.
nih.
Iya,
Ini
kita masih
ring
ring, kita nggak perlu takut kayaknya.
Oke, bisa kita bisa
Bro
pakai
ada
ya.
ulti emang Gibil
Ada,
ulti.
ada.
Gua ada.
Ya udah Gibil ulti nih sekarang. Yang ini. Tanda gua sekarang. Di situ.
Gua ulti, Bel. Gua ulti itu Bel, perfect banget.
Iya.
Depan gua dia.
Iya.
Awas net, awas net.
Gua ulti nih. Nah,
Di sini nih.
iya dia di sana.
Gua
Oke,
mau ke sini, gua ke sini dah.
Awas
Kita
di ulti.
Bel.
Lo di ulti.
Di gua aman.
Gua ulti, lihat tuh.
Gua tank.
Awas Sim.
Gua
Sim. Lu jangan mati.
dum, Bel.
Go, iya gua aja. Let's go.
Bel lu nggak zone, Bel. Dum lu nggak zone. Bel lu
Gua medkit. Udah masuk Sim. Ke kiri gitu.
Gak bisa.
Dari safe spot.
Gak ada orang di situ, Bel. Di batu itu, Bel.
Di batu mana?
Yang lu nyuruh ulti.
Dia masih di belakang banget kah?
Iya, anjir.
Tadi ada causticnya di situ.
Kenapa?
Ada caustic di situ. Gue nembakin caustic
Gua
anjir.
kira lu udah ngedrone terus ngeliat mereka bertiga di situ semua.
Enggak, ada caustic doang di situ. Gibinya di belakangnya, di belakang yang hijau-hijaunya itu. Ah, my bad lah.
Masalah.
Berarti kita emang harus paksain 3v3 ya. Tadi ya, ke kanan gitu ya. Ultinya aja ya. Ultinya kan dari gua kurang pas kan.
Yang dua tadi sih harusnya.
Ahead. Meanwhile, there are many teams here. We're going to have to start moving into a very small ring, and it's going to be awkward. GMT going to hold down as much area as they can with their angles, and they have a lot of cover actually, all things considered. They've got no one on their back, so all they have to do is focus forward. No need to watch the 6 because that zone will burn anyone down who tries to enter it now. 9 seconds and they will just enjoy the pain, but also there are 23 players still on the server. There is opportunity to get some kills, and they will be looking to seize those opportunities.
8 squads left here. SSG holding the rock. They're outside most of these teams. But it doesn't matter because they've got angles on almost everybody here. Still a lot of work to do for Totem Esports as well as Invictus Gaming. They're here as a duo. And look at this, Game With dropping right away. And they're actually going to be taking the phase breach. Totem Esports decide they don't like what they see. And smart play, they're going to get out of there. But on the God spot above them, it is ALGS who are looking down, almost like shooting fish in a barrel. And look at those Gibraltar dome shields as well. They will survive for about 12 seconds, but not for long as Kings decides he likes what he sees. And it's time to drop anyway. This zone is starting to get way too close for comfort. And Kings looks with a Peacekeeper like he's ready to go.
Surely people are going to start dying to the zone. Yeah, that's a nice stick, but we'll see if he can do anything else. We've got boxes. GMT, they waiting for these domes to go. So much opportunity. Natsuki gets the drop with the charge rifle. Down goes Jay Savage, and he's not going to last very long at all. Goodbye, Totem Esports. We're down to 4 squads all of a sudden, and GMT are enjoying all the range they have. Look how far everybody else is. They're having to fight each other. They're having to run around and get charge rifles, sky grenades, barrels. It's all happening on this end.
The only problem is GMT are the place everyone wants to be. Do they somehow create a lot of the vision, the attraction to go there? But look at this. Sir Dell's not letting him even have the decision. One tap, he gets one tap there by Dell, and now Space Station holding on this left side, looking to finish off B3 Vega. Can they do it? It's just GMT who have a chance to go ahead and try to finish off everyone, but they're best leaving these two teams to fight, and they know it. B3 Jiggin falls. It's about to be a 2v2, a 1v1 essentially for the win here with Space Station and GMT.
Really difficult position for Vega. Tatsu now just hoping, just begging that surely, please, just leave me alone. But there's no one else to look at almost. He's gonna Crypto, he's gonna ult himself actually, as well as everybody else. Going out in style, I suppose. 2 squads remain now, and position will be very, very key. But that is a greatly timed ult because the rim is starting to close, and they may be forced forward out of that zone. But here comes the full send now. GMT going forward with the shotguns, with the massive. Down goes Nasky though. Sir Dylan Maisie have to deliver.
Oh, he hits the 99 for the PK, but he gets kicked back. What did I just see? Apex Legends Kung Fu Matey finds a way though to bounce back. Can he do it for his team and clutch up for GMT? No, Space Station are here to stay.
Dude, I just saw some Kung Fu Apex Legends. That was unreal. Heel kick to the face, spectacular fashion. Space Station will be the victors That was quite the game. I can't wait to see how many kills GMT got in the end with all the range and opportunity they had. But of course, you have to contend with the domes as well. And being between Space Station and GMT proved to be very painful for Vega.
It was such a great zone for GMT. And you have to wonder, you know, because they were aggressive, did they pick the wrong choice? Because obviously not winning that game felt like they didn't play to their strengths. They phase breached actually and walked up, which I wanted to mention, but it was too hype in the moment, which is a unique strategy we don't often see. Teams will use that Ashe ultimate to all ints, but of course, if you all use it, you're susceptible to a thermite, you're susceptible to a peacekeeper in the face, and that's just gonna end the fight right there. So instead, they kind of bait it out, but it ends up giving Space Station Gaming the ability to just wait and start the fight. And they certainly are the ones who ended it. 21 total points. That's a great game from them. They desperately need it to get involved and continue on in their losers bracket run.
Only 4 kills for GMT, but second place will be good for them as well. Again, a late resurgence for GMT. And hey, sometimes you need your back to the wall to start moving forward. You need a bit more pressure, and GMT is certainly starting to deliver now. Another quiet game for Detonator, excuse me. G2 not having the greatest of times either. Just 2 points for G2. That one is a shocker. And again, CLG running hot earlier. Hey, they got 6 kills. Right. That might be the consistency we're looking for. Beyond that, it's almost zeros across the board.
I think a 7-point game, realistically, that's enough to say that we did a decent job, especially if you win, and especially if you have performances that are relatively in the 5 to 10 point range outside of your wins. That's going to be enough to push you through in top 10. But it's Space Station Gaming, who are a team that have dominated and won games in Stormpoint and have the potential to win games in the future, even in the best of best Apex Legends lobbies, but they haven't been able to put it and put their actions to back up their words. And right now, they finally show us why we consider them, why you picked them in this lobby, James, to be one of our top performing teams.
Yeah, because he's Denial there with 6 kills and almost 2,000 damage, just about 1,900. That's the Space Station we're used to seeing. That's the Space Station we need to see. We haven't mentioned Drop's name too much.
No, we haven't.
This entire weekend, and it's a surprise. It's something we want to do more. But here is the overall leaderboard. Suddenly, Space Station move up 2 places now into second place. Joint first, in fact, with GMT, as both are on 56 points. So that's pretty good for them. Vega popping up into 6th place. But below that, I mean, even, I would say 6 to 10 is still the danger zone. All their numbers are pretty close together, so I wouldn't be comfortable if I was any of those teams.
I would say a win next round gets you a guaranteed top spot if you're anywhere within the top 18. Because 12 points, I mean, 12 points, if you get a big 25-point win, that should put you in the conversation. But if you are G2, you now realize you have 1 game left to not go home in about 30 minutes. That is crazy. Crazy Raccoon, a mainstay in APAC North, a team that we know has had so much success in their region. Ross, one of the most famous players internationally when it comes to the scene in all of Apex Legends history. He was on the stage when they were winning, or almost winning, the final in Poland that TSM was able to clutch out. He is now here looking like it could be the end of their journey in our next LAN, our first LAN in 3 years. Cannot wait to see how this all ends, James. So many storylines, so many exciting things, so many potential disappointments, all coming up in Game 6 soon. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for an historic event. It is our first LAN in 3 years. We've covered that a lot over the last couple of days. Rain Day and James Bardoff, by the way, here joining you.
I'm James Bardoff.
But it is time, James.
That's Rain Day.
This is me. For game 6.
Some people have been confused.
Why? Well, maybe Hardeki, right? When he first saw us.
I wasn't going to say.
You weren't going to say the joke.
It was funny, though.
Hardeki did confuse James for me, and I think that was a good compliment. I mean, height-wise, I was very happy about that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I came out of the airport.
Mask was on.
Hello, Rain Day. I was like, hey, man, how you doing?
I love how you do his accent. I've heard this story like 6 times. We keep telling it.
It was really funny.
It's a good thing, too. And I actually didn't know who Hardeki was, by the way. But no more Hardeki. I love the blonde hair. He's my homie now. We've got them coming up in the next round. Why this is so important, though, is Game 6 means that 10 teams will be deciding their fate. These 10 teams as it stands now. After Game 5, going on to the next round where they will face the 10 teams who lost earlier in the losers bracket, the bottom 10. Those will then be the 20 teams that fight for the next 10 spots in tomorrow's final. But these 10 teams and the 10 teams who lose the next losers bracket round will be going home. These are the first 10 teams, if it ended now, that would be flying back, watching the rest of the tournament as spectators. And there's some big names in here.
5 teams, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That is 5, indeed.
You can count.
They, sometimes. They are 10 points or less from 10th place. So, so this is going to be crucial. Every
close.
Kill, every placement point is going to be absolutely critical. If you're in that top 10 and you have a nightmare, if you go out early and then suddenly your fate is no longer in your hands. That is going to be really scary. Let's not forget, Fascination Color Destroy. They're in 10th place in that first game of this Storm Point series, so game number 4. They contested CLG and they killed them. CLG went after them afterwards in that game number 5 and wanted to exact revenge. So now you've got to feel a bit nervous. You can't really afford to have that variance at the beginning of your final match.
Would you say that if G2 win, they're in?
I would say a lot of things, Rain Day, but that's also one of them that I would say. I would say they're probably
CR too, right? Crazy Raccoon.
Yes, yes. They're on the same points. They're both on 22 points, so they are 6 points away from 10th place. If they win, they're in.
I think it's worth reiterating. If you get the job done here in Game 6, spotlight like Jordan on the final shot, you will be on to the next round, and that's what makes a champion. I'm sorry, I think we have to give esports its due in terms of the clutch moments. That's how you make a name for yourself. You do it when it matters, and you also have to keep that consistency heading into your next round and of course tomorrow, because we don't hand out a championship in Apex Legends unless you win the game. And so these teams better start practicing now.
I love how happy GMT are. After the airport incident, I actually got Nasky to go to Rain Day and say hello, Bardoff, in the cafeteria, which was pretty fun. But yeah, they are super, super happy. Great energy from that squad. But I'll tell you where the energy won't be great if G2 don't make it to the next match. That's going to be...
I don't even know.
It's going to be dicey.
I don't even know.
It's going to be dicey. It's going to be like a bad salad, you know?
Well, I won't cut to team comms at that point. That's what I would say. And I think it's not even going to be anger. I think it would be just dejection. It would be disappointment, and I know the fans would feel the same way, but nobody would feel that way more so than the players. Gent, Resulta, and Design. They want this. They have been aware of their lack of performance, and they want to prove the rest of the world that they belong in the main stage. Well, they have one game to do it alongside Crazy Raccoons, Game With, of course, FC Destroy, Zen, even Finnel. have.
Gue langsung bawaan. Nggak nyampe dia.
Dari sini kan gue.
Ya, ini kita bisa padahal kasihan dia guys itu.
Nggak usah.
What?
Nggak tahu dah. Ngapain dia? Oh, dia telat juga tuh.
Bisa ditembak dong kalau gitu.
Hah?
Bisa ditembak lah kalau gitu.
Enggak.
Dari sini ke sana, bukan ke sana ke sini.
Ya.
What the hell is that?
Im, repeater lo ada di gue, Im.
Boleh dah. Gua udah mastip nih, sob. Gua satu rumah ini ready sih. Bawah udah
Iya.
gue loot boleh.
Kenapa di lihat bawahnya?
Oh iya deh. Oh, sorry.
Gue senjata gue jelek dong, gue liat tempat lu dikit ya.
Kita mau di F ini, mending lari ya.
Ayo.
Ayo, lari.
Gue liat kanan sini ya, Gue nggak ada senjata bagus soalnya. Sekarang liat rumput.
Dia di belakang kita tadi. Kita mau kesini aja lah sih. Putih lagi kita kan.
Boleh sih di situ. Repeater lu anjing.
Iya ini di gua. Sini.
Lewat mana? Lewat sini kan?
Tuh.
Jurassic kan?
Lewat sini aja nggak sih, Bel? Itu open tuh.
Jurassic.
Oke.
Mau inian dulu nggak Spider?
Boleh banget.
Boleh banget sih.
Mau 24 ke Him?
Gua ke 3 aja.
Kalau mau 24 ngomong ya. Tembak aja tuh biar kalian ini semua.
Tombol
ada yang biru, biar ada yang biru. Hati-hati dari pistol
ya. Dari belakang juga tuh hati-hati.
Gua drop 24.
Let's go.
Berapa?
Travel anjing. Ini kayak mau.
Wah.
Bel.
Aman.
Gua ada Phoenix sih, Bel.
Gua balik ke kiri lo.
Iya, aman kok.
Ya sini, mau Phoenix dong.
Nih Phoenix.
Gua match kita lah.
Dia nge-kill.
Mau ngapus dia?
Gold ya, Bel.
Oh, karen lo.
Gua lari ya, guys.
Datang, ya.
Mati gua tapi.
No.
Bro, he's creeping.
Pulang kayaknya Revenant.
What the fuck?
In esports, they have 31 points, James. That puts them at 7th right now, but 8th, 9th, 10th, they've got 20.
Bro.
I don't know, man.
What the fuck, bro? Bah.
Gue tembakin Tyson juga tadi. 44.
There is a replicator at the mill as well, so CLG may feel inclined to head in that direction. So it is an interesting scenario for Zen, but also if FC are to chase Zen constantly, they may be wasting each other's time as they do need to think about position eventually.
Here we go, Scars. They have not had the performance they want this tournament. They know that they have been riddled with controversy and problems, and this is going to do it. That will be the end. We will be saying goodbye to Scars in Sweden. Many people did not expect this story, but there was just no recovery. They didn't look like they had it turned on. There's obviously difficulty whenever you're playing with a sub, making those adjustments, but unfortunately that will end their run. And Scars fans around EMEA, one of the teams that have won playoffs, have won tournaments like this in the past, definitely disappointed, but there's always champs coming up.
Absolutely no judgment there whatsoever. We saw the ring is circled around Command Center, and it is very busy just north of that region, so it'll be interesting to see how things escalate, and I think we are going to see some bigger casualties considering the
Revenant.
this series than Scars.
Jadi tadi itu mereka nge-spider kan, di third party lah sama tim yang dari ujung. Wah, rip kesalahan besar mereka nge-spider. Jadinya ya udah nggak mungkin mereka pasti turun dari top 10 kayaknya habis match ini. Kayaknya balik. Tapi nggak tahu ya. Ya lihat-lihat lah. Nanti match ini gimana ujungnya. Ini nih mereka nih match skillnya nih. Bobo pulang mereka. Soalnya kalau dari lost bracket ini yang di bawah top 10 udah langsung gugur.
To take advantage of the position that they put themselves in? That is the question. There's fights that we can see on the map happening all over as well. I think CLG in a scuffle with FC Destroy. CLG not worried about qualifying. They've got a lot of points here at the top of our leaderboard in a loser's bracket, but still would not want to lose this one at all, but it seems like that could be it. FC Destroy taking it to them, picking up 3 KP. That's all CLG is to them at this point as they knock out one of our leaders in this lobby in 5th place.
That is absolutely bananas. 3 KP for FC Destroy, and that will be bars of gold, all of those kills. And we did mention that CLG would likely rotate through the mill, especially with the replicator there. That's exactly what happened. And I was fearing for FC Destroy because I thought, okay, they're kind of entertaining themselves, chasing Zen around who have rotated elsewhere, and maybe they'll get themselves into trouble, but apparently not. They are ready for it. They are, again, they're being the bad guys today, focusing on Destroy and moving a little further to security, but some people who are very insecure at the moment in terms of their placement are, well, both of these teams actually, Detonator and G2. So we've got another flashpoint here, but we'll see if they go for a full send.
G2 have to decide, are we going to make it happen? Are we going to wait and buy our time? Are we going to be a little bit respectful of other teams, knowing that, hey, we are not where we want to be yet. We cannot die here. Well, that's not going to change unless you get kills, unless you make these placements go your way. And right now, doesn't look like there's a better fight for them to take. Resulta holding out the range with the charge rifle. Gentrifying looking to push in as well in design. Leading the calls on the comms. Can he bring his team into striking distance to overall qualify for this next round? It hasn't been the tournament they've wanted, but there's a chance at redemption here. They're not going to push this one yet. Now fighting in the zone, this becomes more dangerous for everyone, and Detonator might just be able to skirt around this mountain without G2 willing to pursue them anymore.
Yeah, they can't really chase this position unless they see Detonator run around the corner and they want to go after them, but that could also be an ambush. So I think the opportunity has come and gone for G2, and they'll have to disengage.
Kayaknya sih nggak mungkin lolos ya mereka ya. Soalnya skornya tuh mereka tadi 3-2 gitu. Mepet-mepet. Nih. Coba cek di sini. Gak nge-reload anjay. Iya, kalau komnya padahal lebih bagus dari Dewa. Cuman sayangnya mereka sering banget ngelakuin minor mistake gitu aja sih. Yang mana yang fatal. Nih 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mereka di posisi ke-8 sekarang. Ini kalau game with IG Sen, game with sama IG dapet poin lagi aja udah kalah mereka.
And we've got some buildings with which to admire the carnage. Space station here as well. So again, you've got to be really careful about how you move across this terrain. Make sure you've got some rocks to cover you.
Gue nggak ngerti juga sih. Gue di rank aja kalau tahu ada tim dari depan belakang, terus ada spider, gue nggak pernah gue ambil spider sumpah. I don't know kenapa mereka tadi pengen spider. Dan mereka semuanya white loh body shieldnya. Why? Shield white, spider yang spidernya juga posisinya di open gitu. Aduh. Badan Astray lah. Jadi apa? Harapan satu-satunya
Not
tinggal
many of them
Dewa
have
doang
more
nih.
than 4 shield cells, and I haven't seen any batteries, so they need to win a fight eventually just for the resources. They can't keep these engaging, they can't just keep engaging and disengaging and not getting anything out of it, because they won't have anything left to fight with afterwards.
Are Invictus Gaming going to be right where G2 are? I feel like there are shots happening. They are. It's Invictus Gaming and G2 who are fighting here. Invictus Gaming in 8th place, and Result already takes so much damage. It's time to do this or go home. G2 have tried to wait out the perfect time to fight, but it has arrived on this Skyward Dive. What are they going to do here? Black Hole as well from Designful to buy some time and maybe some space, but he is so low. He gets the blue shield back up with a shield battery, but look at this Ash poking in. It is going to be Invictus
Oke,
Gaming
Sen
taking the fight
gugur.
now to G2 underneath.
Ini mereka nih. Kalau sampai game sama IG-nya nyusul mah udah.
2 teams to finish them off, so it really didn't work out for them. And it seems they may have forced the issue if they didn't, and the other teams did.
Oh my.
And, well, yeah, there's more than
Ini
one team
di negara mana? Negaranya di Swedia, Stockholm, di ibu kotanya. IG mati nih kayaknya nih. Oh enggak ding. Gitu kalah lawan IG. IG menang. Udah deh. Tuh agak 45, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sekarang Revenant posisi ke-9. Asal bukan Crazy Raccoon atau Game With yang menang sih kayak mereka masih bisa lolos. Let's see. Wah ini penentuan parah sih. Oke, IG mati. IG mati.
SSG clean up Invictus Gaming Bryn
belum deng.
After this party
Hidup.
happened, and it's a third party, you know, the kind in Apex Legends that happen often. But my oh my, a big story there just had its conclusion in G2.
And we might see another one. IG, they're currently in 8th place, and it's not looking good for them at present. There's another downed player just around the corner. Okay,
Yes.
Frex is going to finish him off. Goodbye to Noises. So I don't know if IG get these banners. They've got 1 player remaining now.
Urban.
And again, 8th place is not safe at all. Odic are going to be gatekeeping, looking to get some opportunity for themselves. Currently in 3rd place, they'll be feeling way more comfortable. Got the slippers on and the bathrobe, but they're looking to get a little pipe as well, and maybe they can find it if anybody comes their way.
We know that there's been incredible representation across South America. This region has shown up in this losers bracket right now, as well as APAC North, South. There's been so much interregionality that has given us context of the strength of Apex Legends around the globe as an esport. But this is the moment that Ascend found out that they were going to take this fight and take down Zen. Ascend desperately needing these points to move forward, and it's a team that, James, if they win, would certainly do what their fans are hoping, which is put them into the next round.
Hope and despair will cover 2 halves of these leaderboards. Definitely want to be in the more positive side of that engagement. Otherwise, it may be a long journey home for you, one that keeps you wide awake.
Tuh Revenant sekarang di posisi 9 dong.
From IG is still being gatekept by not 1 but 2 teams. Space Station and Odic are waiting for him. I don't know how much health he can have, but there isn't much for him to do. I can see him on the radar going back and forth. You know, he has
Ya asal Game With mati sih aman Revenant.
stay alive. Even if it's Tarat, placement is so important. Even if you get 0 kills across the board. But we'll see. I'm sure we're going to see his name in the kill feed soon, for all the wrong reasons. In the meantime, Ascend are engaging. They've got plenty of cover. Not a full send.
Game With cuma butuh 1 poin coba buat nyusul Revenant.
Purple, so they could be in a worse position.
At 15th place, Ascend needs a lot more to get it done. We told you a win would probably be what sends them into the next round. But they're a team that is familiar with doing it at the last minute. That's how they won
Singularity
the
kasihin
playoffs
cuma
in
berdua
Europe.
deh.
And they were able to take our Split 1 championship away from the hands of teams like players like Alliance, who are in the next advanced brackets. Alliance even sitting in the winners bracket waiting for those to challenge them tomorrow. So accomplishments aplenty. Can Ascend add 1 more to the
Oh,
resume
detonator
here? A
mati.
couple of shots going through.
Detonator eliminated.
You could hear some of the yells behind us as well. The energy in this arena is crazy because every team knows it is a do or die moment. Each choice, each shield cell, or each shield
Dia ini diambang banget Revenant.
each drone thrown could
Yang
be
bisa
the
nyusul
difference.
Crazy
What's
Raccoon
going
kalau
to make
menang
the
mereka.
difference? That's where I think James
Oke
teams
lah,
have to
game week
start
nyusul.
asserting
Revenant paling
control
turun ke
in this
10.
lobby. You
Tapi
don't
Crazy
want to have
Raccoon nih jangan
be
sampai
the
menang.
victim of someone else's
Kalau
choices.
mereka menang udah.
This is such a gamble for Urban. He managed to make it
IG
out
tinggal
of the
sisa
zone. Space
1.
station disappearing. Detonator eliminated by the way, and surely
IG
based on
sekarang
their
posisi di
poor
mana?
placement, they have to be
Oh, di
eliminated.
atasnya
We'll see
Revenant
confirmation
lagi, shit.
later on, but this is quite the send. Everything Urban does is a gamble. He knows not what lies below him. He has no help from anyone. He's alone for the time being. He has Bryn's banner though. If he
Gila
can
cepet
find a way
banget,
to
baru
get it back
bentar
into
aja
the
udah
game,
sisa
that would
14.
certainly help, but I do not fancy his
Baru round 3.
chances. If he lands and he makes a mistake, that is curtains for IG.
What pressure for Urban to hold on to his shoulders.
Yes, kick.
But you would expect
Oh,
him to be able to do it.
Ascen was eliminated.
Way Ascend eliminated by the duo of Singularity, the team that has been fighting through everything. 2 players in every 3-person lobby from the beginning of this tournament, and somehow take down Ascend. This is epic. This is a story of epic proportions, and you cannot take your hat off to them more. Although Ascend fans desperately disappointed at that result, it has got to feel like that one is a kick somewhere they do not want to mention.
And Kick now, let's see what they were doing earlier on. This is a replay as they were putting in some work and really making life pretty bad. And I have to say, Singularity, S-tier gatekeepers, give them an award for that one, just a one-off. We can see Vega getting into the mix now, and maybe Urban can survive while all this is going on. I may have missed something, but I think he's alive for the time being. I can't see a respawn coming in unless he finds a beacon in one of these death boxes, but that would be an interesting rat story. If he can provide a miracle, that would be quite something. Kick now in an awkward situation, and cover is limited, but they're trying to create some space for themselves. I see a charge rifle. They're getting shot from all kinds of directions. The dome has been forced. I can't see a team above dropping on them. That would be probably suicidal for them. And indeed, Singularity have been eliminated as well.
You got to understand, in a moment like this, in a lobby of this intensity, you may start a fight, but you may not be the one to finish it, especially with a charge rifle doing damage. And now the shot from V3, Tappy, I believe, actually helping to take down members of Kick. And so Ushako finds himself in a much more chaotic position than he would have hoped for, but looking to get desperately this KP.
Crazy Raccoon, aduh, main aman lagi mereka.
They should be advancing, no problem. It's almost a guarantee. So not necessarily fighting for their lives here or their chances to play in the next round, but certainly do not want to go out here and keep their momentum up.
That was a very hard situation to survive for Kick. Vega on top. They just ran around the rock and managed to win the fight on top. Found themselves some shield swaps as well. Vega are still in it though for the time being by the skin of their teeth. They are barely surviving, barely, but they haven't been eliminated yet. So we'll see what happens. 12 squads remain. So many stories to be ended.
Oh, ini Crazy Raccoon mau aman. Tapi mereka belum dapat kill point. Sampai subuh nggak tergantung.
Just admiring the goings on around them. Again, don't need to do anything crazy. Oh my god, I've done it again.
Berarti hari ini sampai full ya, sampai apa? Finalnya dibesokin berarti. Ntar abis ini top 10 lower, top 10 low winners lawan top 10 ini. Gimana sih? Gue ngomongnya pusing banget dah. 10 low winner bracket lawan top 10
most likely has a chance to go ahead and take down the spot that was being held by FC Destroy. We'll follow along with that as well. One of our representatives, one of our favorites from APAC North, having a chance to get involved there. But Odik,
aduh, aman banget lagi sih.
it is GMT who are doing well. We know they're going to qualify, but it's Reply Totem and Crazy Raccoon really with a lot of the storylines here, because they have a chance, if they win, if they keep this up, to push beyond the teams that have already fallen. G2, like we mentioned, FC Destroy, Invictus Game.
Udah turun ke 10 dong Revenant. Ini tinggal Crazy Raccoon aja nih.
Space Station just got eliminated as well. They are falling like
Crazy Raccoon harus ada yang ngebunuh nih. Ya, mereka dapat KP lagi. Kicknya mati.
Okay, but Kick have been eliminated as well. They got some work though. 39 points definitely improved on that. That's a great angle for Crazy Raccoon. Again,
wah, nyusul Crazy Raccoon kayaknya. 27 KP sekarang. Udah kayaknya bye-bye Revenant. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Crazy Raccoon cuma butuh 4 kill point. Placement juga udah dapet mereka.
You've got Fennel,
Udah sisa
you've got
7 squad mah.
Crazy Raccoon, and you've got Reply Totem. These are the teams that really need to find a way, as well as Phoenix team. If they win, they might be able to push past the threshold. But you've got to beat at least game win. That is the team that is currently leading and in a qualification spot.
Belum ya,
And
Crazy
you have to
Raccoon
get
belum
at
deng.
least 28 points because we know that is
Ini
where
tuh
FC Destroy
leaderboardnya udah
at
langsung
least
di
had coming into this
join
lobby.
sama
Most
ini
likely
what left.
32 or more will give you a chance. 35 will probably give it to you, but you want to win. That's the only way to know for sure, the only way to feel comfortable, and it is Phoenix team who will not have that chance. They are going home.
I can't think of anything worse than having a bombardment come your way and then see drone detected afterwards, because you know you're in for a bad time when that happens. 5 squads remain now.
Iya, moga DU lebih bisa kom lagi. Saya gue lihat kan gue tadi nge-streamin VOP-nya mereka kan, kayak lebih kurang aja komnya gitu.
They've got a team near them, but they're in a very good position to just have a deep run. The placement points alone are so critical. And again, they're just engaging. They are chilling. They're just having a little drink and enjoying the madness around them.
5 squad left mah, Crazy Raccoon Yosu fix.
GMT and the bottom 4, 33 to 25. Whoever wins this game is going to definitely advance, and the others will not be safe. It is up to GameWith to try to perform here. There's never been a more intense and more important moment in their Apex Legends career. And it is now on the center stage, at main stage in Sweden. They have a chance to make history. GMT clearly qualified.
Oh, maksudnya si ininya apa? Si dewanya.
They finished here. They found a couple of KP. It's 28. That's tied, but not enough. They need more if they're going to advance, and so a big showdown about to happen as our final ring slowly but surely will force these teams to engage.
You can see Reply Totem currently in 13th place. They've got 3 KP.
Crazy Raccoon dalam rumah lagi aman.
So they need at some point to push and get more kills on the board. I think the same is true for Fennel as well. So at some point, risks are going to have to be taken. You can't be passive forever. Yes, they'll get more by placement, but that still might not be enough depending on what is happening elsewhere. Crazy Raccoon, they've got 2 KP in 11th place at the moment. Everybody's got to do a little bit more. Everyone has to go a little bit further, a little bit deeper. But again, it's about risk management. At some point, you have to take some. But will it be the right time? Someone's going to fail. Which team is it going to be?
Reach inside and find your fuel. Find your energy. Find your moment. And believe in yourself. That's what every team in this lobby essentially has to do. GMT Esports sitting pretty. They could play spoiler to someone's playoff dreams here in our first LAN in 3 years, but who will it be? Crazy Raccoon have held this building from the very beginning, James, and they're still holding it, but the zone is pushing them up into the high ground, so they're going to be forced to take a different route and Reply Totem on top of everyone.
Crazy Raccoon,
gila.
bombardment and crypto ult. I need to see the combo meal deal, the hunger buster, because indeed they need to be fed. 11th place is simply not enough. They've got all the tools to get what they need, but we'll see if it works out for them. In the meantime, Fennel have to make a play here, otherwise they're going to be on the kill feed very soon indeed. Reply Totem have got eliminated. Crazy Raccoon in, and they're getting absolutely melted. They had all the things they needed. What is happening?
Crazy Raccoon is down too. Fennel, they could have just done it.
2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Udah ke 12 mereka. Si Totem yang naik. Totem yang naik. Totem yang lolos. Sayonara Revenant team. Yes nih. GMT pertama, Spaceland kedua, 2, 4, 5, Reply Totem jadi kelima. Ya GFC Desa Final V3 sama GameWith itu sampai 10. IG aja nggak masuk. IG aja nggak masuk yang 32. Man.
But my God, I do wonder if they've made it in the end.
I mean, James, what they had to do was way harder than everyone else. GameWith had 33 points at the end of that, but they started with 29. Reply Totem started with 18, and somehow I think they at least got over 35.
Fennel masuk ya? Oh iya masuk.
Celebrating their performance. Was it enough? It looks like on their faces, it's seemingly enough.
I need to see the numbers.
Is this Reply Totem saying?
See the numbers.
Is this true? Did Reply Totem We don't know.
No, they're gamers, man. They don't smile. I think they've done it, but we have to wait and see, though.
Oh my God, I'm nervous for them.
Where's the
Masuk lah, nggak mungkin
abacus? We need
enggak.
to do the numbers. We got counting to do.
I don't know what's happening, but we certainly know that Reply Totem had the most kills in that game. With 20, that puts them at 38.
Aduh, sumpah dah match terakhir tuh Revenant ngapain tadi?
I've got so many questions. 16 points. I mean, I think that might have just put Fennel either tied or in the same position. This is crazy. There's so many scenarios here. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if Crazy Raccoon had enough at that point, James. Even though they did 9, they did well. They were in that final circle.
Super sad for IG. Super sad for IG. But look at the point Singularity got. Look at all the people behind them. G2 couldn't best a 2-man Singularity. And that maybe tells part of the story of a horrible weekend as far as they are concerned, because it's certain that they didn't make it. But we'll soon find out who did. And I can't wait to see it. But before, I thought I was getting baited. I thought this was the overlay, but it's not.
We just got to shout out Sharp, J Savage, and Amaz. Just incredible players and performances. Whether they go home or whether they move on to the next round, there's one thing you cannot say about them, that they didn't put in their absolute best at the very end of that one. Just plays all around. You saw a bit of a dejected look when they were looking at something. We saw Fennel hugging and clapping and getting excited about something. We don't know what it is, but I'm excited to find out with the panel, James. We've done enough on here. We're hyped. We're going to go stop drinking Monster and calm down a little bit and let our desk tell us what happened.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Rain Day and James. Hell of a cast, and what a series. Our losers bracket certainly did not disappoint, unless, of course, you're one of the bottom 10 teams. G2, an unfortunate exit, but ultimately a massive congratulations to the likes of Fennel, Reply Totem, and, of course, our dominant teams today, Space Station, Gaming, and GMT. We'll take a look at the leaderboards here in a moment as I welcome to the desk someone I've been tweeting, hyping it up a little bit. It's Hodsick Reed joining us on the ALGS. I got to lean over and give you some dap.
Absolutely, man.
This is my duo, by the way, my casted duo, my analyst duo, back before he started coaching Team Liquid. Good to have you back in the desk, man.
Dude, it feels good to be sharing the stage, so to speak, again. And super cool of, I think, Apex to be able to be on LAN and, like, branch into this, you know, coach and player perspective. You know, having Hawkins on earlier was really big. Absolutely smart player.
Yeah, 100%. Good to have you back on the desk, that's for sure. Well, hey, we don't want to keep y'all waiting. We want to jump right into the
waiting udah tahu bos hasilnya di sini.
Qualifying for the next round is B3 Vega gonna do it. Fennel and game with APAC North inches by FC Destroy as well.
Sampai game with doang.
Barely these APAC North teams make it. Reply Totem with a monstrous showing, and to represent North America is CLG and Space Station. Audic also representing South America, keeping their playoff dreams alive, Xenox.
Look, there's some absolutely big names that are missing here from this top 10. I'm just going to get straight to the point. Firstly, of course, G2, we can't miss that one. But also Crazy Raccoon, you know, being from APAC North, this was a team that finished second back in the Pro League. I had big thoughts that they were going to be able to do well internationally. Thought maybe the composition would hold up. Did not. Again, this has just been a little bit disappointing from them. They haven't really had any excuses for it either, to be completely honest. But congratulations, of course, to those top 10 teams that did make it.
Look, lihat. Gara-gara mati tadi, turunnya 6 peringkatnya. Gila. Coba mereka coba nggak mati. Coba nggak mati, at least dapetin KP aja. Wah. Kayaknya masih bisa aman.
G2, Crazy Raccoon, IG, probably the biggest names, but also at the very bottom there, Scars.
Ya, nggak apa-lah, jalan-jalan ke Swedia lah ya.
Situation and turn of events for a team that is so beloved.
Nggak dapat hadiah berarti mereka.
And teams like Ascend also playing with sub VJ. Not able to make it from Iran, unfortunately, due to visa issues.
Nice,
like Phoenix team,
nice try sih, tapi ya.
My heart goes out to them. My heart goes out to all these teams. My hat goes off.
Tapi ya daripada G2 lah di bawah banget. Padahal yang di jago-jagoin.
ALGS champs later on this year, and guess
what? G2 cuma dapat 2-3 poin.
Valuable playoff points as a chance to qualify for ALGS champs, a major competition coming in just a few months. So obviously, not a whole lot to hang your head on, Hodsick.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's heartbreaking. You know, this is the first LAN that we've had in 3 years.
Yeah.
First for many players. There aren't too many repeat players here. So it's super heartbreaking. I mean, you know, we all love the victory stories, but, you know, behind every victory, someone has to lose. And it's tough, but, you know, like you said, it's not the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Wait, we got a lot to analyze. We got a lot to break down, especially with Hodsick and his brilliant mind as Team Liquid's coach here on the desk. But we We got some celebrations first, and we got some fun ones at that. One of the most celebratory players, one of the most outspoken players in Apex, one of my favorite players. We have none other than Nasky of GMT live for an interview with Killer Pigeon on the main stage.
Thank you, John. That's right. I am here with Nasky. How is it going, bud? Day one, not looking too good. Rough start, but to come in like this, the complete turnaround. Talk me through it. What was the big change up?
Well, in day one, it kind of just we did what we did in scrims, what we had learned, our rotations and stuff like that. But we weren't we were kind of expecting teams to be playing a little bit more safe, you know, and stuff like that. But all the rotations, they just, I don't know what happened, but we would be caught on rotations. The team would just see us like 200 meters away, and they would just full send us, and sometimes they would die to the third party too. But anyway, the day one was just horrible. Nothing we had practiced worked, and then now we studied what we did wrong. We studied what was the reasoning for the practice, that we had practiced, why it didn't work, and came to the conclusion that we needed to be more aggressive. Today we came in with more confidence. My teammates were hitting nasty shots. It was going good, and yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely amazing. I mean, it looked like you really struggled with, I'd say, Fennel on day one. Their performance in day two kind of mixed. Like, did you see them as a threat, considering how much of a nuisance they were at the start of your first day? Or was that just in the back of your mind and you're more focused on the internals of your team?
Well, obviously we're contested by Fennel. Today we were able to win the contest. We won game 1 versus them, and then game 2 and 3 on Stormpoint. They were so low on points they didn't want to risk it. So we won the contest today. I don't see them as a threat. I see them more as friends, because when we were boot camping together, they were sitting right behind us, and we were obviously practicing contesting scrims, and then every time we would win, we would say, GG, nice, and then we would give them candy, and then, sorry, they would give us candy, and then when they won, they would yell the same but even louder, and then we would give them candy. So they're more like friends than anything.
Oh, dude, I absolutely love that. You know, speaking of friends, obviously not everyone can make the cut. We're already seeing some teams, they're not going to be here any longer. It's heartbreaking. Not everyone can make it. What's the big heartbreaker for you? There's got to be a team that you feel for, right? That you may be close to or you expect in deep run. Who is that?
I'm going to have to say Scars. I absolutely love the Scars boys, and it was very sad to see with the situation with Mandy getting COVID. It was really unfortunate. I know that they have done a lot of preparation for this. I've been hanging a lot out. I can't speak. I've been hanging a lot. I've been hanging out a lot with Scars.
Ya bisa yuk, tapi yang nontonnya ngantuk bosku. Nonton apa? Stream dari jam 4 gua anjay.
No COVID, and then they're gonna pop off. But yeah, that's the team I want to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see that the thrill's getting to you. I mean, that this has been a phenomenal turnaround. And this event, like this has meant the world to so many players who've been grinding online for 2 years, waiting for this. Just put in a few words what this event means to you.
Well, it means a lot to me because our so that, you know, Strafey knows that his teammates aren't washed up, but also just in honor of Strafey, who obviously couldn't partake due to the situation in Ukraine. Hopefully, stuff will be better soon. And then, you know, if we do good in this tournament, we will qualify for champs, and then we will play champs with Strafey again.
I'm looking forward to see if you can make it, and you've given some promising things to look at here.
Cara exitnya gimana anjir?
Looking at before, because there's the big teams, right? Like the, you know, TSMs, your C9s, like everyone's thinking about. But is there someone who's kind of like inspired you or gone now into your reticles and your target?
If you gave me a few more 5 minutes or so, I could probably give you a better answer. But if on the top of my head, I'm quite surprised about Audic. Going into scrims that we started 2 months ago by now, they were contesting TSM and Fragments, so you know what was going to happen there. People kind of shrug it off. They stopped contesting, and then, well, if you aren't landing at your home spot, what are you going to do? They actually pulled through. They were landing at a new spot on Stormpoint and World's Edge, if I remember correctly. So that's impressive, I think.
Definitely impressive, but not as impressive as you guys. Fantastic performance today. Let's send it back across the desk.
Thank you so much, KP. Pleasure as always, and great to hear from Nasky, who is on a high right now. But hey, got a long road ahead. And of course, they go next in the losers bracket finals here in just a moment. But welcoming these guys back to the discussion here. Xenox, I want to chat with you about a really important topic. You started to kind of allude to it earlier. APAC North, 4 teams sneak right in, but not the team you would have expected. Crazy Raccoon, the number 2 team in APAC North, not making it.
It's like polar opposites a little bit, right? Because Detonator is a team that came in very last second, filling in for FA Kids. We probably didn't expect a whole lot from them. So to see them bow out, not the end of the world, but Crazy Raccoon, of course, top 2 team in APAC North, finished second in the Pro League. Expected a little bit more and definitely didn't expect them to bow out this early. I think one of the issues for them was actually just the composition didn't really stack up here internationally. They did try to adjust a little bit towards the end. Maybe it was too little, too late. And ultimately as well, consistency was probably a big factor. They lacked it. I think you could probably say for the majority of the teams probably in that losers bracket, consistency was something that they did lack.
Yeah, that's a great point. Obviously, the replacement of Selly for Mania, a controversial discussion. Selly goes over to AD Raccoon. Selly not playing in this competition, as we do have an injury, and Karampu is substituting for Selly, but certainly Selly's absence is felt. Consistency was certainly key. We'll take a look at the highlights here from this entire series. The last couple games, at least. Match number 4, and again, we were all in the green room watching Hadzik, Xenox, and just waiting, hoping in a lot of ways that G2 would pop off, and unfortunately it just didn't happen, Hadzik.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough. It's really surprising to see. I feel like there's a lot of teams in this lobby in general that you would not expect to see here. I mean, SSG, G2, obviously one of them. Crazy Raccoons myself, I was very surprised by their performance. So it's a pretty stacked lobby, and it's kind of ridiculous. I think, like, kind of goes to show how difficult it is after so many years to come through and have so little time to prepare and actually bring it all to the international stage.
Yeah, that's the best point I think that we can make here, how difficult it is. And you were talking about it earlier as well. Every team here, there's no bad teams here. Exactly. It's the best of every single region. So every lobby is going to be competitive, Xenox.
Yeah, 100%. The other factor of it as well is
that was a nasty game from Kick, by the way.
Yeah, it certainly was. They're all capable of obviously having big games. And I think no more than that we saw probably from Reply Totem. Now, I'm probably going early here since this is the Match 5 highlights, which, you know, Space Station kind of wrapped up their way into the next bracket. But, you know, you look at Reply Totem, 20th, 19th, 15th, those first 3 games on World Edge. And what do? They turn it around. Again, it's that consistency. It goes both ways. We know they're capable of big things, and they were able to do that in match 6. But I think what you've got here is 40 teams that are all capable. Unfortunately for the 10 that are missing out, yeah, maybe it just hasn't quite clicked for them on the day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you made that great point about consistency, which I want to talk about here in a bit with Team Liquid. But and the consistency y'all have had so far, I got to put some respect on your name. But for now, I want to keep kind of walking through these highlights. Match 5, won by Space Station, didn't even celebrate. Just another day in the office for them. They came in expecting to take care of business, I think.
Yeah, like I said, that's a team personally that I hold in very high regard. I mean, they have just some incredibly talented and seasoned BR players. I mean, Frex and Dropped have been in BR since H1Z1, so you know they've been around the block. So I was super surprised to see them even fall to losers bracket. But you know, like I said earlier, every single round there's winners and there's always got to be some losers, and it's tough bringing it to this stage where there's so many teams and so many different metas. It's the first time we've had an international tournament where different metas collided. For those that don't know, in Poland, it was all the same. It was all Wraith Path Watson. Every single region.
100% pick rate.
Yeah, every single region.
I think there's like 3 Gibraltars.
Something like that. Yeah, something small like that. So it was all basically the same playstyle, and it was just who did it best. Now it's a million different playstyles, and now we have to figure out what's the best one for whatever current lobby you're in, and it's proving for some teams to take a little bit of time to get adjusted to, but I'm glad to see SSG found their stride.
Yeah, ultimately they changed their playstyle a bit. We chatted with them going into this competition. They said, we're no longer playing Edge. We got to play a little hard rotation. Instead, play early rotate placement, and that new playstyle worked for them. So hopefully they can carry that momentum right into this losers bracket final, as they, of course, have to do it now against an even better lobby that's coming from the winners bracket, which is interesting. But back to that topic of consistency, and that's a good segue here to Team Liquid, and really one of the most consistent teams we've seen so far. You know, I told you before the broadcast even started, I'm going to roast y'all, because you guys did not have that consistent performance throughout Pro League. You were kind of in the lower tier in terms of average kills, average placement stats. What turned things around for y'all? How have you been so consistent?
I mean, we knew as a team, we kind of just got together during the Pro League, actually. I think it was around right after the 4th or 5th day, and we basically got around and just started talking about how we know as a team on paper we should be doing way better than this. I think a lot of people expect us to be doing way better I think everybody unanimously. That's why I can't even get mad. I think a lot of people would agree that we were underperforming for a while. So we kind of got together and just try to piece together, find the examples of success that we have had, and then figure out what are we missing from that in our current gameplay, and then we kind of re-embedded all that in, and it seems to be working really well. I mean, I'm over the moon impressed about how they're doing right now.
They've been playing so well. I mean, talk to me about two players in particular, Nocturnal's an IGL, the strides he has taken to be the IGL that we all know he can be, to reach his potential, and of course, none other than Gilderson's the young fragger and his strive, his destiny, and his path for greatness.
Yeah, Nocturnal's always been, I think, one of the, I've always, even before I was on Team Liquid, I'd always held him in super high regard. I thought he was always very smart about the game. He's one of the players I could always remember scrimming against and just knowing he's not doing those dumb plays that's getting everybody killed.
And only 18 years old, but he's probably 17 at the time. It's crazy to think about.
And he's just one of those.
Sorry, Nocturnal you're talking about. I thought you meant.
Yeah, no. I was gonna say that.
Not 17.
Yeah, but no, he's definitely one of the smartest IGLs I think in the game. Definitely underrated, but more so because we haven't really had those results and we haven't proven ourselves. But he's basically just found his confidence. I feel like he found his groove again, and he's understanding that it is his first time IGLing a team that can actually fight any team in the lobby. Previously, sometimes
skill-wise, you think you guys can keep up with any team?
Oh, pound for pound. I used to get so much anxiety watching them like about a year ago.
Tembus
Anytime
suara.
I get into a fight. Now I have absolutely no confidence. My heart rate never increases. I just know that, if Fun's always going to get a good bubble down, Guild's going to one-clip like 3 people, it'll all be easy.
Awesome. Then on the flip side, Gilderson's, you kind of mentioned his warrior mentality, the amount of work he puts into prep and practice. Talk to me about that.
Absolutely. I mean, I have not met a single player that just wants to always be on the game and always improve. I mean, that if he's not in ranked, then he's in pubs. If he's not in pubs, then most of the time you'll find him actually spending in the firing range. I was mentioning backstage, after the 18 games we played yesterday.
Friday? The 12-hour day, 15-hour day?
After those 18 games, Nock and Fun were packing up, packing up all their stuff, getting ready to go to bed. Gilderson still booted up the firing range for another 5-10 minutes just to shoot his gun. I mean, his desire to be the best is just, it's infectious. It's Fun is also caught on to that, and he started to basically, and Nocturnal, we all just want to be the best, and I think we're super hungry for it, and I think it's showing.
You guys are heading in that direction, that's for sure. Top 3 in your winners bracket matchup, and you guys, of course, right behind Optic Gaming and Cloud9, who's been a big surprise, obviously, with the substitute. Very impressive stuff here. Let's take a look at the losers bracket round 2 or losers bracket finals matchup here coming up, and start to preview this one. Biggest thing I got to talk to you, Xenox, about is APAC North. We got 5, maybe 6 teams from APAC North in this lobby. It's going to be insane. Actually, no, it takes like 7 or 8 APAC North teams in this lobby, so it's going to
Wah
be
gila sih.
I think it's just going to be a bloodbath in general.
Lebih berat sih. Bentar, yang berat siapa? GMT, PlayStation, Kick,
Oh no, they had one. They had 4-7, so I take that back. Only
Tim
one team
Empire
qualified.
mungkin.
I think the biggest thing now looking forward
Nggak,
here is
Tim
the fact
Burger
that
deng.
you've got so much talent. You've got so many teams that
Aduh, fan tidur gua.
and unfortunately not all of them can. So you've got 6 games now, only 6 matches. And this is where I kind of want to get your thoughts, Hodsik. You got 6 games. Imagine Team Liquid's in this position. What do you say to your team? You got 6 matches to get to a finals.
As we were talking about earlier, I mean, overall, in every 6-game series, consistency is key. A lot of people look for those really big games where you're winning with like 10+ kills, but realistically, a lot of the formula that a lot of the pros use is if you just get 8 to 9 points a game in a 6-game series, that's usually the average that you need to maintain to be just fine in the top 10. So consistency is key. Obviously take calculated risks. That's a no-brainer every single time. But basically, don't force yourself. Don't feel like just because your back's up against the wall early on that you have to make these massive games just to keep safe. Just get consistent points. Don't be taking extremely unnecessary risks until maybe later on if you're down in points.
Well, it's going to be an interesting final, that is for sure. We play a little game here. It's called the Talent Predictions game. I'm not looking forward to seeing this one because I said, you know what? Production, SSG or G2, pick for me, surprise me, and unfortunately G2, it's my fault though, and G2 did not perform. But SSG did, and Killer Pigeon is the lone winner of the predictions game here. This is, of course, the team that performed the best of the teams we predicted to win. Ultimately, GMT obviously won out the lobby with a dominant showing. Safe Station right behind them here, so congrats to Killer Pigeon, and ultimately Yeah, my hat goes off to G2. Got a lot of love for the Roller Boys. So sad. I was literally depressed in the green room. You can ask these guys that we're not going to have a chance to watch the Roller Boys. Most of the most entertaining, actually probably the most entertaining trio, in my opinion, competing in the losers bracket finals. But ultimately, it's been interesting. It's been a fun tournament so far. We now have a ridiculously stacked losers bracket final. I want to hear your thoughts on a team in particular, NRG, a team that you know well. You've scrimmed against them, you've played against them, you've coached against them. What do you think is not clicking for this squad that they find themselves up against elimination?
It's tough to say from my perspective, just because we have been these are the first sets of matches that I'm actually able to watch myself. My team's been competing, and we don't really necessarily have replays to go through, but something that's struggling. A lot of teams are struggling to basically adapt. Like I said earlier, we have so many regions and every single one of them having a different meta,
Coba yang Thailand
all clashing at once. That it's
nggak ada ngomong-ngomong.
much most of my money on. That's why a lot of these teams that you expect
Coba
to be
Mandarin.
in losers bracket are.
Nah, ada nih. Asik.
然后
Langsung
决
melek
定说
bos.
谁可以跟着胜者组的前
Let's
10
go
一起前往到明天的决赛，争夺这一次冠军的一个荣耀。
langsung
那
belajar
我们休
Mandarin
息一
gue.
下，等下回来呢就是今天最后6张地图败者组2的对决喽。
Baru ini hilang.
Less than an
Hilang
overall
Portugis.
That makes total sense. And you see that, TSM
Sama.
opting for
Oh,
caustic
mulai
against
sekitar
NCL,
15
playing
menit
caustic,
lagi, aduh.
right? Major competition. They're changing things up. You saw NRG on World's Edge also changing their comp, playing a little more aggressive with an Ash pick, and it's working. It worked for them. They got a couple kills. Their problem has just been placement here and the ability to place. Here's Ox.
Well, you actually mentioned a really good point there, the caustic, because really that's a legend. When you start to see that come into the fold, everyone has to kind of adapt and start to probably play that.
How do you adapt if you can't beat them?
Right, exactly. Join them. So I think that's a big factor, isn't it? Right, especially when you get to these international tournaments, and once we get more of these, I think teams are going to go back to their regions and think, what's a setup, what's a composition that we know is going to be able to perform internationally rather than just domestically.
Yeah, and on that note too, I'd like to get your take. Well, how have you adapted? What have you had to do to adapt? What are some tangible examples of things that Team Liquid and Optic Gaming have done to stay consistent, to continue to adapt and to evolve with the game?
I can't speak too much on Optic, because like I said, I haven't been able to watch too much. But I have noticed that they have been, rather than running a lot of the, like for example, forever they were running Val Caustic Jibby on World's Edge. There are a couple games I've seen them fighting, and they were on Horizon. I've seen them throwing around a couple different team or comp changes.
What about for y'all?
And for us, I mean, we haven't changed up too much in terms of
Main game aja dulu. Duh, main game makin ngantuk ya.
we've been changing up is the way we're playing.
Oh, interesting.
Our World's Edge gameplay
Energi kebuang, makin ngantuk
we have
dong.
the option to play zone if we want to. We know how to do it.
Because you got this legend called Valkyrie. It's
absolutely.
rotate, and next thing you know, you're in the best spot in the game.
In
and things like
Apex.
that.
Yeah. So basically, for us, it's been more of a mindset change of like reading the lobby. One of the biggest things we do is we count how many edge teams are in our lobby. Once we know that, we know is it better to play zone? Is it better to play a little bit more aggressive? Maybe capitalize on some of the edge teams. But for us, it's just been basically trying to figure out what is the best way to play for the current lobby we're in. We haven't changed comp much, so it's all just about securing our playstyle.
And what has the best way been for you on Stormpoint? You talked a bit about World's Edge. How about on Stormpoint? And how involved were you as a coach in putting that kind of strategy and approach together?
I mean, I pretty much, not to take too much credit, because at the end of the day, the boys are the ones that press the buttons. They're the ones that press the buttons. They're the ones that should be taking most of the credit, but I do have to pat myself on the back a little bit. I did basically craft our entire Stormpoint game plan
Masih banyak yang online.
by basically dropping center map. It's something like too groundbreakingly new, but it's definitely something that not a lot of other teams
So
are
you're
doing.
saying you drop center map and you rotate early?
Yeah, crazy.
Wow, crazy concept. No, just kidding. Continue, though.
And
Continue.
we pick Loba because there aren't a lot of center map POIs on Stormpoint. So that makes center map rotating much better. And that means Loba's usually not very great from edge, so a lot of teams are going to opt out of her. So we cut a lot of loot. As soon as we know where the zone's going, we have a zone read. We go to the zone, we pick up building, and then we just let all the teams that are struggling to rotate die around us. And
They fight each other.
Yeah,
you guys just chilling.
And we just
That sounds like a very, very efficient strategy. At the end of the day, let everyone else die and take the winnings, the earnings from Loba. No one else is really playing Loba on Stormpoint.
In general, you're not seeing a lot of zone gameplay.
Firing ring aja lah.
Most of the reason I think a lot of teams are like a lot of North America, they know their game plan is usually in really big tournaments like ALGS tournaments. They know that zone is usually the best way to play. Yeah. But there's a lot of edge teams that are, and like I said, we're not used to these teams. We're not used to these teams rotating. So a lot of times, a lot of these teams are just getting caught on rotating. They don't know, they're not adapting properly.
Yeah, well, there you go. Loba, 38 picks total. Arguably, probably most of those on Loba that you are from a few teams running Loba on. So important. We have some breaking news for everyone watching right now, and perhaps a lot of y'all have already seen it. A heartfelt tweet from Designful, and this one hits hard from someone.
痛そうだね。次は、ああ、私はボスを撃ったこともあるけど、彼は許してくれたから。なあ、目標物確認、視界、音響、ともに良好。
It hits me hard as someone, former competitor, passionate. I understand the passion that comes from Designful every single day. I love that passion.
VTOL jet 起動。
It certainly is. Look, sometimes, and I will say, the heat of the moment.
VTOL jet on。目標物確認、ミサイルを放つ。
Permanently, Patrick might be here permanently, so I think that's a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably speak on this, like, because I obviously I did the start of the game, and it breaks my heart to read like that.
VTOL jet 起動。What? VTOL jet on。
FOMO, basically. I want that to be me. So it could definitely be an in the moment thing.
目標物確認、ミサイル発射。
I know he can make it work. So maybe we can start a hashtag or something. Everyone blow up his tweets and say you can't go. Not letting it happen. Say Fallout is not letting you quit. Not gonna happen. Not for someone as passionate, as hype, as skillful, talented as a leader, as Designful, let alone someone who has been a fan of competitive gaming and esports since Major League Gaming and Halo back in 2007. He was 8, 9, 10 years old, watching these people play, and he's been dreaming for this opportunity. There's no way he can go out like this. Designful, I'm talking to you right now, my friend. Someone clip this, please, because you cannot go out with a 30th through 40th place finish. We know you're better than that. We know you still got this. You still got the blood. But at the end of the day, we support you in your decision, 100%. And ultimately, we want what's best for you. But hopefully, man, it's not the last for Design. I completely agree with that. Again,
I think I'm gonna sleep.
One that we did not expect by any means, but
nanti aja lah, nontonnya lah, replay aja.
Gentrifying result. You were part of the early broadcast where we started telling this story. Came out of nowhere playing.
Thank you udah mampir. Dan yang hari ini udah subscribe ke channel gue, terima kasih sudah subscribe. Skip dulu karena ngantuk banget dan gue besok harus mudik, jadi nggak bisa begadang ya, gue harus tidur. Oke. Thank you for watching, dan ya kalau ada update atau klip-klip dari Dewa yang nanti gue rewatch lagi akan gue upload kalau ada yang bagus. Kalau nggak ada ya udah. Thank you.